your place on fire. Let's get higher. Get a little bit of gasoline. Welcome to another crime scene. Get a little bit of gasoline. Welcome to another crime scene. I'ma make it burn. 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 Get a little bit of gasoline.
All right, babies. How's it going? I'm doing great. Oh, yeah. Just waiting for MichealB, the Game Genie, to start a stream. Maybe he has. I'll have to go check. That's right. Welcome, Papa Brad, in the chat. I'm going to refresh the screen here and see if he has started. Yep, still waiting on him. I'll type in the chat here. What's up? Nick's in the house. That's right. That's how we do it. Welcome everyone to the chat. How you doing? You're probably gonna watch this on the replay because you're probably over watching MichealB. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting interview. Yeah, and we'll sit and watch it. I got my arcade on, so I might jump over and play while we're watching this. And if you're in the chat, maybe we can play some online games on the arcade. We'll see. We'll see. We'll get to that bridge when we get to it. But let's first off, let's get MichealB started. Okay, hold on, I gotta turn that down. Okay, that should be good. I gotta turn my audio down. There you go, that's better on my ears. Yeah, I am multitasking. I'm gonna cut, let's see, this off. I gotta turn my audio down. Okay, that's better on my ears. Okay, perfect. Everything's coming through good.
Hey everybody, what's happening? It's me. It's MichealB. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. Tonight, I'm going to be hanging out with Micheal Jerome Svabek. I can say his full name. I'm not doxing him. At least I don't think I am.
Svabek.
We're going to talk about everything from iArcade. We're going to talk about who Micheal is, his past, where he comes
That sounds
from,
better.
maybe where he hopes to go, and then we'll talk about some other stuff too. I got a very funny story to tell you about how the show came together because this wasn't my original plan. The funny story is Pete said, hey, I'm doing a show with Micheal tonight. Check with this.
Let's see, I'm gonna turn him up a bit.
That's awesome. How are we gonna do it? And then P-Dubs wrote me back and said, yeah, I'm not doing a show tonight. So now me and Micheal are. So that's how this came about. It's awesome. Anyways, guys, hopefully we have a bunch of fun tonight. We're going to focus on some of the interesting stuff going on with iArcade system many people were fond of. Not everybody, but many people were fond of. And we'll talk about Micheal's role there and kind of everything about it. Anyways, guys, hopefully you guys have a lot of fun tonight. Hopefully I'm not too loud. Bit of an echo. Anyways, thank you so much for being with us tonight. You're going to hang out with Micheal and Micheal on Chill and Chat with MichealB. Anyways, guys, hopefully we have a bunch of fun.
Alright, that's good, man. I think we're good.
What's happening, Micheal?
All right, Micheal. Thanks so much for having me on Multicade Mondays. It's gonna be a great show. You know?
Yeah, I gotta change the brand over. No, I can't do that. He loves to get the guy. But I do have access to his assets. A couple weeks ago,
Right on.
what was it? 90K Fox did a show called it a Chill and Chat. And I was like, oh man, Monday night instead of doing Chill and Chat, I'm gonna do this week. I was gonna completely rip off his gear.
You gotta coin that term. You gotta trademark it.
Well, I can't trademark Chill and Chat. I know Biggie D does it too. It's like a common phrase that people use for just like hangouts online and stuff like that. It's like I do another show where I actually do gameplay. I call it Game and Watch with MichealB, because I'm gaming and you watch, so it's very simple and it's with me. That's kind of how it is. So how you doing, man? Rough week, but things are moving forward.
It is a rough week. It really is.
And I'll probably be back to work after this, honestly. But yeah.
How's the sound now? Do you need me to turn it up?
People and things like that, especially right now. But beyond that, I have emails I've got to sort through outside of just the the community social, Twitter and Facebook stuff. But then the actual part of my job, which is the things on the back end too, I have to take care of all this stuff. So there's a lot going on right now.
How's that?
But
What's funny too is people don't know this, but when like a business or when your business closes,
Is that good now?
that's it. But a lot of people actually have to stay behind, have to sort everything out. There's a ton of work to do, and people don't get that.
yeah, there's so much stuff going on right now too that we clearly don't talk about with you guys because there's no need to.
All right, that should be good now, guys.
So,
Why don't you tell
There's
us
a lot
what's
going
going
on
on
now.
now? There's not really much to talk about, guys.
How's that?
it's mostly books. So
Yeah, I worked for a call center when I first came out of university, and our branch shut down where we were too.
I'm gonna turn my light on.
Then
But you
everybody
guys
was
can
let
see
go.
me better.
An awesome severance package. Everybody got the summer off, and they were like, "Hey, Mike, congratulations on being part of the management team. You know what your prize is? You get to stay and work through your severance." And I was like, "Great!"
fantastic prize that you've won. Bring them on down. All right, more work. Let's go.
It was awesome. I was sitting back. I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna play a bunch of Nintendo DS games all summer. I'm gonna get out, and get all this sun." No. Anyways, man. So I wanted to do this tonight. I'm gonna bring the chat up on the screen, and there's gonna be.
I got
lots
my
of
popcorn,
questions. We'll
guys.
get
Do
to
you?
some of those, but before we get started, I wanted to start and get a little bit of history on you, because here's the interesting thing. I got to talk to you a lot in Chicago. I get to learn a lot about your past, where you came from.
I know it sounds good to me. It's probably your end, Howard, because I'm streaming on my cell phone and it sounds fine. Everything's coming through fine. Everything's coming through fine.
So my degree is actually in game art design. So I do have a Bachelor of Science, so I am more on the design and programming side of things rather than.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
So that's actually that's my degree is game art design.
Yeah, I'm gonna
And
turn
so
these guys
beyond,
up.
Before here even too, I was doing my own game studios and things, but before that even, I was at AAA companies. I was at Bethesda for a long time.
Wow.
About 4 or 5 years. So not too long actually. But, good for me. It's a long time, right? for me to work. Yeah. So I'm coming from AAA. I started in QA there, and then I eventually
I'm
went to
adjusting it
level
now.
design. So which is fun. Which is basically doing like world creation. So taking the tools that are using tools, but taking the assets that artists would give you, the prop models and things like that, the 3D assets, and building the world around it. So terrain sculpting, for mountains, and popping in all the trees if they're not coated in a certain way, doing buildings, interiors, things like that. And then before that, I was at Disney for a long time, both as an entertainment lead, leading a lot of the production stuff in the parks specifically.
Okay, my apologies, guys. Here you
Acrobat
go.
in the parks at the same time, so I was dual there. So it was
Get out
yeah,
of
a little
town. You were an
different,
acrobat.
Yeah, so that's I got started doing that when I was in school. So I'm a gymnast, born and raised almost, right? So
How come you didn't break out on any of that stuff when we were in Chicago? Like,
people just didn't know. Normally when I'm at parties, especially, people will always be like, "Mike, do a backflip. Mike, do a backflip." That's the story of my life for 30
I'm gonna move some things around here,
That's how it
guys.
goes,
Wow.
but, yeah.
we get a super chat here from Tyler V. Tyler gave me a hard time because I told everybody very early Glenn was working on light guns for the iArcade. He asked me every week until you guys finally announced Operation Wolf. Where's the light guns, MichealB? You're not going to be able to answer this, but thank you very much for the super chat, Tyler. What other fun games did y'all have in the works?
I don't know. I still can't talk about everything necessarily too, because there are other licensed games. But let's see. I know people wanted Murtop a lot too. We were really trying to get Murtop on there last minute. It's not happening yet.
There we go.
It takes time, right? It just takes some time.
So how's everyone in the chat doing?
Talk about. There's other contracts that were like just about to be signed, but clearly we had to pay for them, and we had to, cut that. So yeah. So I can't really talk about that. Unfortunately, I wish I could answer your super chat more there, Tyler. I'm so sorry for you. But yeah,
That's okay, Tyler.
Down the line, but yeah, it's still a little tight-lipped on that one, right? Because NDAs, but.
All right. Well, now that you broke it out, the lion's out of the cage. You can't let the lion halfway out of the cage. Were you ever gonna get any backflip videos from you? Like anything like that? Is that a possibility?
Do you really want me to send you a backflip? I can. I'm sure I can find them somewhere. Yeah. Okay. I'll find some after the show for you, and I'll send it to you.
So I did want to ask you about that because I found out about that the other night that you used to work at Disney. When did you work at Disney?
Almost 7 years. So 2009 through. Oh my gosh.
Michael's has an
16, something like that. Sounds about right.
Wow. California, Florida.
California. So I went to school. I went to
amazing.
school in California. That's why I was out there to begin with. So I'm from Pennsylvania originally. Went across the country. Left the family and went to school in California. So yeah. So I transferred from Penn State out to there, and then changed a major, of course. So that's why I went to school out there. But yeah, worked there for almost 6-7 years. So it was a while.
Yeah. So I'm from a place called Newfoundland, and everybody makes fun of us here because
Canada.
Whenever we go somewhere, we ask questions like, "Do you know this person?" And we assume that we know each other. So when I heard that you were working at Disney, I was like, "I bet you Michael was working there when I went on a trip." Now, there's a 1,000,000% chance that I never saw you, but I was there in 2009, right after me and my wife got engaged.
See, look at that console fanboy. Why is Michael S so happy? It seems odd to me.
Real possibility. I have possibly.
He's a miserable man.
Maybe. If you saw the Pixar Play Parade, especially back then, I would have been in that the most. So
I gotta go back look through my pictures.
Why wouldn't Michael be happy? He gets to go on.
We used to talk about that all the time too. The amount of like
It's
family
an
photos
exciting
and things
time for Michael
over the
S.
years. Like when you really think about it, it's just like it's insane. So
Oh, that's awesome. All right, man. So you went from there. You worked at Bethesda.
Oh crap! There goes my mic.
Really cool. You worked
my
at Bethesda.
camera.
Any really cool games people would know?
yeah. So I started on Doom Eternal was my first project with them in QA.
There, you
Went
guys
from Doom
awake?
Eternal
There.
to the Dishonored series. So I did Dishonored 2. Worked with Tango Game Studios, which is a subsidiary of ZeniMax back then too. Still is. But they do The Evil Within. So I was working on The Evil Within 2 was that project. And they just did Tokyo Ghostwire, I believe is what it's called. I forget. I don't. That project changed names so many times.
I'll take this
I was
opportunity to
actually on
plug
that project
Michael
way
B's
back when,
channel.
yeah.
You want to head over and join
Yeah,
his
other games
chat
too, of course. We've all touched
and be
Skyrim
involved
before.
in that video.
We've all touched Skyrim.
Go head over to his channel, Michael
There's been a
B, the
couple
Game
releases
Genie.
of Skyrim over the years.
And even Starfield back then was.
Maybe you
was
can
it's,
ask Michael
in its
Svabek
very
some
infancy,
questions
right? So even back
in the
then, I was
chat
still on Starfield, but yeah. So it's coming out this
This
week.
is just a watch party. Because
I don't think I'm credited on that one anymore, but yeah, it's. Yeah, again, it was way in its infancy back then too. It was barely a project at that point, but yeah.
So, speaking of credit, I'll tell you a funny story now. So, through my job, even though I'm not technically qualified to be published in medical journals, somehow I'm published in medical journals, right? It's just the way my job works, and
it's
helping
just like
with,
me when I'm getting
doing some research for
recognition
it. So
in
the
video
very
games.
first time I
Like
was
shout out
published,
to
I was
Heavy
so
Metal
excited. I was
Titans
like, "Oh man, I can't wait to show
and
everybody in
the
high
team
school.
at
I'm
Washbug
published in
Games.
a medical journal." And anyways,
for
I got
being
my
very generous
copy
and
of the
working
journal,
with me and me
I
working
read
with
my
them
name,
and
they misspelled my
put
name.
me
I
in
was
the
like, now
the
no one's
credits.
gonna believe me. Damn it.
As well as a soundbite of my name in the game.
All right, we got a bunch of questions.
And my
so,
gamer tag in it.
Go through the super chats here.
I'm
There's a fellow
very
here by the name of
ecstatic
Console
that
Fanboy,
happened.
which I'm sure you've heard. Why is
I'm
Michael S
over
so
the moon.
happy?
I've never
It
thought
seems
that would
so
ever
odd
happen to
me.
have my name in
I
lights.
don't know if he understands.
that.
Like people can be happy,
and I'm very
life
appreciative. And if
changes,
you
man.
haven't
You gotta be
played Heavy
positive.
Metal
Thank
Titans,
you very much. though,
head
for the
over to
super chat.
Steam
I
right now
am a person who always has a
and
smile
pick
on
it
my
up,
face too. So
and
I feel like
you won't
B's the
regret
same
it.
way
It
too. I know
is
B's in the chat too. I watch him. I think he's about
it
the
is
same
a
way too.
metalhead's
Even when I'm down, I
dream.
will
Shoot 'em
usually
up.
be the person smiling in the room no
Right.
matter what. So I like to
Yeah.
keep people upbeat. That's part of my job. Anyway,
definitely
too, as
support these
producer.
guys
I
so
gotta
we
keep my
can
teams happy.
create
I like
a
everybody to,
sequel.
You know,
that's
be in a
gonna
good mood.
be
Working
out
with
of this world.
working with people in a bad mood is not a good time for anybody. So you know.
Yeah. I will say, like, watching the stream there on Friday, it was the first time, like, first time I ever seen you where you could tell, like, you were
there's
you
Papa
were
Brad
upset.
there
You
in the
were
chat.
a bit more
Nice, yeah.
downtrodden than you usually are. Like, you're usually so positive. That was a tough day.
Yeah, I mean,
It's business.
yeah. So I
Business.
can't always be happy, but you know, I try, especially when people are watching me, of course. So,
It's business.
Again, I was
Michael
an actor,
Svabek's
I was a
not going to have
performer
a
at
hard
Disney, too. I
time
always
finding
had to be
another
happy.
job.
Even on terrible days, I had to be smiling.
He's got an incredible resume.
I'm used to this. So
So another thing, Mystery Encoder's here. Mystery Encoder, you're a great guy. He's mentioning now, why was Bill's Facebook post deleted
I
on the
messaged Bill about that
iArcade?
earlier too. I literally messaged him before I removed that post too.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was just causing too much confusion in the community. So we're still
Yeah.
monitoring their community and stuff right now too. That's all it was. I literally messaged Bill. You can talk to him if you want to talk to
Yeah,
Bill.
you
But I
got to
literally
control
messaged him
the
like,
spread
yeah,
of
pull this down real quick,
misinformation.
just
That's
causing
very
too much
important because
confusion.
there's people out there in the
Yeah.
community that like to spread
Okay. Thank you
misinformation.
very much for the super chat, Mystery Encoder. Appreciate it, brother.
That's a great point, Michael
All right,
Svabek.
so going from there, I remember the first time I saw you involved with iArcade, and I could be wrong here, was the famous video where you and John went to Prentice's house and dropped off his iArcade.
It was
When
sometime
did you
around
s-
then, at least. Yeah,
when-
I was
I
that
remember
when you
that.
started?
I remember that. Those
So-
are good memories.
Is that
and
when you started
I
with
remember
iArcade?
that.
And what
How many
drew
of you
to the
guys were
company
back
as
there
this
for
was
that?
an interesting opportunity for you.
Yeah, so I was there before that. Still, I was there just about the time the Kickstarter started, right? So
Yeah.
whole 6 months prior to actual launch of the product, right? So back then I was QA lead and producer at that point, right? So I was mostly here for I was brought in originally just for the games. That's
Yeah.
it. So I've grown into, clearly I wear a lot of hats, so I pretty much do everything at this point.
Michael. Absolutely.
But yeah, that was probably one of the first times you at least saw me on screen. I might have been there on screen on one of the lives or two before that, and at that point I was behind the scenes helping Jean with the lives as well too, actually making content for them a little bit too, or like, making sure things are running smoothly.
So I don't know if this has always been mentioned before, but all those hands in the videos that we saw for all the iArcade demos, were they your hands?
Not always, no. A lot of times that was my QA team. So yeah, we had a team of 3 for QA too, and it was great. So.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to ask you about this because you did mention QA earlier. One of my favorite movies of all time is Grandma's Boy. How accurate is that movie?
The least accurate movie of all time. That is not what a game studio is like. So any of you looking to get into game design and go to game studios, absolutely nothing like it. So
I can't go to the studio and just tell everybody I got a gray bush. That's not going to work.
I mean, you could try. I guarantee you're going to go to HR probably day one.
Your
but,
encoder
it is
brings
what
up
it
a
is.
great point. In your opinion, Michael, what could have you
shoot
done
your shot, I
differently and
guess.
better to make sure things didn't end up the way they did?
We had a super chat here from Dr. Z.
I already
just
had
$2
my
super
own
chat, no
thoughts on
message.
that
Thank
subject.
you very much, Dr. Z.
iArcade needed
appreciate
to
So, what
design their
drew you to
cabinets
iArcade?
with
Because
profit in
I don't see
mind
you
and
as
not
kind of
have it
person
as a
going,
loss
"Oh, I need a
leader.
job."
That was number
You're very
one.
motivated by opportunity.
2, they had to
things
be
you can
different.
do.
They
So
had to stand
what
out in the
about
crowd
iArcade,
in a
interest
zoo
you
full
enough
of
for you
all
to
these different
take a chance
products
on a
out
startup
there.
and go there? Was it the
They
idea
should
of
have stuck
doing
with the
startup?
newer modern indie titles and
Yeah,
given
so, I
all
mean,
those
I come from
guys
a lot of big
a
corporate
leg up
companies, right?
over
So I
like
do
the
like-
AAA titles
I
because
did
those
like the
indie
opportunity of
developers
being a
can make
startup
really good
because
games.
you
You
can do a
don't
lot
need
more, right?
to spend millions
it's a lot
and
more
millions
work.
of dollars
It's a lot
to
more work
make
for
a
less
good
pay, quite
game.
honestly, is really what it is. But at the same
Right.
time, there's it's a
And
risk reward benefit, right? So
that would have been the way to
sometimes it pays out,
go.
sometimes it doesn't. But at the same time, I
I would have
had a lot
bought more
control
games
here,
personally
not
because
that
you
I'm
wouldn't
like
be able to get it
control
on
freak, but
like
liked
any other
that
platform.
I could actually make viable changes, right? I'm not just a number in this company. I can,
Like,
I
instead
can
of
go
actually
talk to my
getting game
teams and say,
licenses,
"Hey,
they
guys,
should have
like,
should
we're
have
doing it
hired
this
some
way right
game
now, too.
developers
If,
and
if we have a better
get
way,
games on
or if
board.
something
Like
works
this
better
could
for you
have all
guys,
been worked
let me
out
know, and
before
we can,
the
we can
the
adjust and
console
make
probably
changes.
came
So
out.
that's like when we shifted from like
Right.
working in
If you had
office
all
every
that
day
stuff,
to like hybrid to working
done
from home
prior
and
to
stuff
your
too, that was a
launch,
big part of it too,
right,
is
and have
working
that
with my teams
integrated
and
into your business model
being able to
for
literally
your
make those changes.
your
Be like,
first
hey, we don't need to be in the office anymore with
investment
the
loan,
equipment because we're not
right?
testing it.
You have
every
game
single day.
developers that have
Do you guys want to change
exclusive
to
games
hybrid?
for the
Sure. All right,
console
that's- everyone
that
wants
are
to, so
really
that's what we
good.
did.
Like you,
So
you,
yeah,
you
that's
do
really
your
a big part.
research
The
and you
community
get
to it.
some
Beyond
good
that,
guys
of course, was
on
just
your team,
making a console.
and you get those games
whether these
to
guys
be
knew it or
really,
not,
really
because
good.
when I joined the company, they didn't call it
And-
a console back then.
And then
I think
you
I coined the
sprinkle
term
in some
arcade console at
common
that
games
time
as
too.
well.
But yeah,
Like imagine if they had some
early
developers already
startup
developing
phases, you
games
don't really know
just
what the product is quite yet.
exclusively
You're
for
kind
the
of learning. Everybody's
iArcade
learning it, right? Marketing is learning
before
at
the
the same time too.
machine came out, and they were kick ass. Like these are all
Kind of, right?
hypotheticals.
So with that, yeah, it was really the draw
But
of like
that's
a
one way
console
they
kind
could
of
have went about it.
just making that.
Um,
Right? So which is what we've
But
done.
yeah,
We've released a system
having it
that,
as a loss
you
leader
download
was
games,
the
online
worst
play,
thing.
purchasable games,
Because
fully
they're not going
licensed
to
and all that
compete with the
stuff
likes
too,
of
leaderboards.
PlayStation and Sony because
It
they already
exists
have
in the
that
wild.
user
It's-
base
it's
built
real.
up.
So,
That
I'm going
the
right
new
behind it right now.
consoles
So
that come out,
that's really it. So
they
that's really
can
what drew me
take
in the
the
most.
loss
And then
and
I
make
saw
it up
the
with the games
potential
by
from
charging
there, basically,
$90
right?
a
So,
game up
you
here
know,
in Canada.
Why
like
couldn't we become the
on
next
the AAA titles?
Xbox,
It's just
Nintendo
it's
stuff?
ridiculous.
You know, why not?
Got to shoot your shot, right?
Right? At least we took the risk. It's a gamble sometimes. Sometimes it pays out, sometimes it doesn't. But at the same time, proud of what we did. So
Yeah. All right, we get another super chat from
Yeah.
Backward Bob. I'm not going to try to delay the conversation too much with super chats,
Okay.
but I got to read them. And I appreciate them.
In my opinion, I'm going to bring up the
says, "Thank you
fact
for
that
sticking with
we've
it to
already
the end.
seen some of
Your
those
team's
indie
been very busy
developers
today. Facebook
giving
page
the
is very
games away
active
for
and
free
fun to
already
watch.
on the
I will miss your
iArcade,
team."
and that's a decision decision the developer
Appreciate
makes.
it.
That's
We'll
not a
make you too,
decision
you know,
our
yeah. The
arcade
community has been a huge
makes.
part
So
of it this
people
whole
are
way.
saying,
Right?
why
So
isn't
we
our
put a lot of
arcade just
changes
going to make
into the system
everything
just
free?
for you guys
They
asking.
will not for the purpose of the agreements.
And,
They're under
you know,
legal
thank you
contracts
very
not
much
to
for
do
the
that.
super chat. That's
However,
one of the things
if
we'll
the
talk about a
devs
little bit later,
decide on their own to
is the
go in
community
and make it
family that
free
was
and
built
tell
here,
iArcade to make
and
their games free, that's a different
I want to talk about
conversation.
that. Where
It's a
is it going to
different
go from here and stuff
thing
like that?
entirely.
And you guys
which is
have,
what happened today.
you know,
The developers
enabled
decided
a
to
way
make the
for it
games
to
free.
continue, so we'll talk
And
about
I
that
think
little
that's
bit
a
later.
strategic
I want to
move
talk about now.
on the developers'
So you
part
started
because
it
we
with
all know
QA.
Mystery Encoder
How
is
did your
going
role
to
end up evolving?
break open
because
the iArcade.
towards the end, I mean, you
and
were
we've already
basically
seen
the
that
public
with
face.
with the
John kind of disappeared a
getting
little
Metal
bit. You
Slug and
became
all
the
that,
public
and
face,
I've
like,
experienced that. I've
basically,
seen that
if someone said
firsthand.
iArcade, they would
And
stick your face on a machine. And
I
be
don't
like,
think
yeah, that's
that's
Michael's
right to
machine
do.
there towards the end.
I
So
think
how did
those
that
devs are taking a
slowly
proactive
transition
stance. Like
there?
they don't want
How
their
did you end
games
up
to be
taking on your
pirated,
different
which is
roles
what
with the
Mr. Encoder is intending
so I mean,
to
it
do.
really just evolved
And
from
that's gonna be
like
the
starting
narrative.
off learning the
Right.
system, the backend system of
That,
the games, right? How do you
iArcade's
package games? How do you put them in
hackable,
the system? How do
you're
you
gonna get
download
all
the
these
games? Doing
games
all
for
that
free,
stuff,
blah blah
testing all
blah.
that stuff, right? How do we
And
build the
it's not
machines? How do
gonna
we
it's
assemble?
not
How do we
gonna
come
be
packed?
a good
So after
end story
really,
for the
really I'm the one
developers
who
that make these games,
I
right?
help out with all this
And
stuff.
it's almost like a
and
slap in the
I
face
had a
to
big
the
hand. I
devs.
had a really big hand in it.
So I
first,
think it's actually good on
in
the
different
devs
ways,
to
right?
actually
And then
make the
towards
games
the
free and
end
get
now, too, I
ahead of
still have a
all
big
this
hand in everything,
before
of
they
course, but
actually close
I
the
have
doors down and
different
Mystery
teams of people to
Encoder
sort of
has at
mitigate
it
or to
and take that
direct
power
a
out of
little bit
Mystery
more, right?
Encoder's
So-
hands,
Mitigate.
right?
the
Make
different
the
word I'm looking
games
for. I'm a
free.
little tongue-tied right now, but
Yeah.
And that's
but
good
yeah,
PR for
basically,
their
I'm the one
games,
who
right?
literally knows
We're gonna play them.
everything about all the
We're gonna
systems,
stream
all
them.
the
We're
teams
gonna
come through me. I
advertise
have
these
to
games for them. And
communicate.
hey,
That's really my
this
job
could
as a
give
producer, right?
opportunities to
Communicate
these
between
up
all
and
of our
coming
teams, and
developers.
that's just not
For new
that's
endeavors going
engineers,
forward.
that's design,
Right.
that's marketing.
So this is a positive.
That's voyeurs, that's licensing.
that we should be
that's
taking away
so
from
many
this.
different things, right?
Um,
and I'm the one who also deals
And I
directly
think
with
the
all of our
developers are
developers,
doing a
right?
good
So
thing by
beyond
doing this.
our CCO as well
piracy
too.
is wrong.
It's me, right? So
And-
I'm the
and
one
don't
behind
get
the
when I
scenes,
say
really
that,
getting the games on the platform for
don't
you
get me
guys.
wrong, we all
it's a big
do it.
part of what I do, as well as our
Don't even
engineers,
go there with
making
that
sure
argument.
that stuff happens.
Don't be
for
a
you guys, right?
hypocrite.
Things like light guns, we had to put in all these drivers, right? Sinden has open source drivers, but we had to make them work for our
And
system.
yes, shout out to
Lot of
In-City
work.
Games for
So,
making
and other
all
things
those
beyond.
games
So really,
except
that's how I got to
Once
where I
Upon a
was
Time
more
on Halloween
just-
free.
I'm a very logical
I do
person,
enjoy
I'm
your
just really
games.
good at
You
picking
do
things
have
up really
potential.
fast, honestly, that's
Not every
really
game's
just
going to
my-
be a hit.
That's my
What
key
you
feature,
need is
honestly.
good
It's my selling
advice
point for me.
from good
So
people
it's a curse,
surrounding
isn't
you,
it?
not
Because
It's
super
the-
fancy
yeah, it's a
yes
blessing
men
and a
that-
curse,
You
right?
need
Like, it's
people to
great.
tell you
I'm great
in a
at, like,
constructive way what works,
yeah.
what doesn't work,
You always get more work
and
for it.
play your
It's just
game.
how it is.
give you that
I was telling
feedback.
them,
Farm, I'm a workhorse
And
anyway, no matter what. So
use your
like,
magic to
that's
make
what
it
is.
happen.
That's how, what I'm
And
used to.
you
So I
will,
was having
will make a good game.
I was telling you a little bit before with my job. It's kind of the same way. I just end up having to do everything. It's the way it is. And you ever watch the show Heroes?
Absolutely, yeah.
So I kind of, when you were explaining that, it kind of made me think of like Siler. It's been a long time since I watched it.
Think Styler?
And
Yeah, Styler. It's
yeah,
fine.
and remember what his power was. His dad was a watchmaker, so he would get in and just see how something was done, and then he could do it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of sounds like what it is. It was like no matter
wish I
what,
could
you
do
would
that
find
one.
it and do it.
I actually drive a Nissan Versa, weirdly enough.
Oh yeah,
Remember from the show? Yeah, Nissan Versa. Hero used to say Nissan Versa. Yeah, that's actually my car, weirdly enough. So, yeah.
I've been in your car. Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Mystery Encoder's asking about modding the stock
Alright.
hardware.
Catch up with a couple. I should know.
You
that.
can once the
So
thing
we
is
go
in your
backwards,
home, you can
Bob,
do whatever the
and
hell
we
you
just
want
have
with
them
it,
come
man.
in. It's just a
I've
donation.
modded my
Thank you very
cabinet.
much. Brian, if you wanted to throw something in your message, feel free
And
to
really,
do
after
so.
they
I'll
go
see if I can
bankrupt, you
catch it
can
and
do
just
whatever
bring it
the
up.
hell
Thank
you want
very
with the
much for the
cabinet.
super
So
chat,
I
by
don't
the
know
way.
why you're asking permission, Mystery Encoder.
People are so kind. Like it's crazy.
Well,
Crazy.
again, that's the biggest thing with a project like this, especially. So again, coming from like really big corporate companies, you don't get to interface a lot with the community.
It's like you're asking
right?
a question you
or,
already
like,
know
there's
the
certain
answer
people
to,
who
you
do
know
it,
what I
and
mean?
That's pretty much
Like,
it, right? For us, it's
yeah.
you know, it's different here for iArcade, especially like we are very open with everybody. This whole step of the road. I mean, the very first shows before the project even existed.
Don't get me wrong, I appreciate
John
what he
doing
does.
live streams right in the basement, which we
Right.
showed off a little
I've
bit.
I've got the pinner
other
mod on my
day, so
arcade one
it's
up
pretty
cabinet.
crazy. So that was definitely yeah, new to me, especially being very open and front facing.
And this is
which is
not
good and
like
bad.
I'm not
Honestly.
hating
Yeah,
on
it is good
Mystery
and
Encoder.
bad,
I'm just
and we'll
saying
talk
this is
about that a
what
little
the
bit later. I
developers are
know,
probably
I don't know
thinking
if
and
you had a chance to watch
probably
Super
doing.
Gamer and Dudes on
Just to
Friday.
give you that
Nostalgia
insight of why the
had
games
some
are being
critical
released
comments
for
about
free.
the openness, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. Trying to be positive here, Michael. We'll talk about some
day.
negative stuff.
One day I will meet Steven Nostalgia.
You don't want to meet him. I've met him. He's terrible. No, he's awesome, actually. If you're coming to Cleveland still, we think he's coming. We don't know. He's a bit of an enigma, wrapped in a question.
And
mark.
Marty,
So
and you're right,
hopefully
Papa
he's gonna
Brad.
be there.
Modding's always been a part of the
I think
home
I'm going to
arcade
be there. I
community.
don't know yet. It'll
Absolutely
kind of
right.
it depends on where I'm at the time,
Yeah.
right? So if I'm still in Chicago, it's it's a 5-hour job. It's easy, and I have family right there in Ohio. So, but if I'm somewhere else in the world or if I'm across the country, we'll see. But I'm trying to make it there. Yeah, because I love
See?
you guys. For the
Modding.
show. Shout out to Tommy.
And I love it. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful.
Cleveland Gaming Classic is fantastic. I'm
Look
so
at those
excited
speakers.
all
Look
you
at
guys
that
are going
two-way
through it.
tweeter.
So, because we've gone the past couple years and it's fantastic to watch it grow, and I love it.
I guess we'll shout out to Uplay Arcade if you want to get some arcade accessories. Check them
I've
out.
been on YouTube a long time. I've got
You're
people,
welcome,
like a
No
group of
Quarter
people that
Gunther.
I've been friends with for like 10 years. We still talk. It's actually been longer, like 12 years. We still talk, and we're actually going to meet up at the convention for the first time too. So this is going to be amazing. Like I can't wait. We gotta go ahead. Sorry.
I haven't actually met Glenn in person in the flesh yet too, so that's the other big part of it too.
Yeah, you know I still
I'm
love you,
so
Gunther.
mad that Glenn never came to Game and Brew. Like
He tried.
I know.
Yeah.
I was calling him.
I cherish that
harassing him.
Space Invader club.
All right, we get a couple more super chats here. Console fanboy. I would like to know how much of a contribution my channel made to the demise of iArcade. I would love some clarity. Zohar.
I can't give a percentage on that one.
Let's just say 30%.
Sure.
And yeah.
Mystery Encoder has another discussion.
And
too.
like exactly,
I know Mystery Encoder,
UplayArcade.com.
good guy.
He
He's
does
trying
a
to
lot
do
of
something for the
3D printing.
community, and I think right
You
now,
know, he
there's
3D printed
a
this
little bit of time before he can do it.
this
That's really what
iArcade
you were
quarter.
trying to tell him earlier.
So
And I do respect the
he
fact
knows
that
what he's doing.
Mystery Coder,
Check him out.
he's been waiting and holding off too all this time too, which is fantastic. Because I'm pretty sure he's had one for a while, honestly too. We've changed the system to add securities and things too, but I know he's doing something else entirely different than what I expected, kind of. But yeah, so shout out to him too, and he helps you guys out, honestly too.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of against our original policy, right? But like at the same time, so like we never encourage modding in the light of games themselves, right? But like modding the cabinets, kind of whatever, right? But I get like people want to open up the system and stuff too, and we cannot do that right now. We legally can't do that anyway, right? So like,
Yeah,
we just
see, I
can't-
told you,
doesn't work for us.
legally
Saying it's not how the
cannot
system's
do
built,
that.
It would take us
right?
another month of work, probably, honestly. to
Yeah,
get
and
the back
exactly,
system
and
set up
there's no value there. They're not getting paid
which
to
I've
do
already
that,
said.
so why
But
bother?
yeah, so shout out to him
Right?
for
It's
taking our
not
wait
gonna
time
happen.
to lengthen everything for you guys too. But beyond that,
So
too,
that's where
I don't know how
Mystery
complex that one
Encoder
is,
will
too.
come
Of course,
in.
we have Glenn's deck as well. Come with that, but yeah. So we do totally allow discussion of modding and stuff.
And you
too.
know,
I don't
and you
really
know, and you know that's fine.
rip that away
right?
unless I have to, honestly.
Mystery
I try not
Encoder is
to-
going to make the entire
I really don't delete as many
back up
comments
the
as you guys think.
entire
I kinda let
arcade
the
store and
community
make it
kinda run
available
wild,
for
and,
everybody.
like,
That's
you guys
fine.
see
I
that
don't have a
group
problem
sometimes,
with
like,
that.
It gets wild. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some points when I gotta ban some people sometimes because.
I'm just explaining why the developers are making those games free. I can see why they want to get ahead of that.
It's kind of
to kind of make themselves
and I'm gonna
look
save
better
that
in a
for later. I don't
PR
wanna talk about it
standpoint.
now, but we'll talk about Facebook later because that one's a difficult one for me because like you get fan pages, then you get official pages.
I don't know, I'll be
then
interested
you
to
get
see what Mystery
companies on
Encoder does
fan
going
pages
forward
and
because he
their
says he's going to
involvement,
get
so I'm gonna
servers
save
in
that
the
for
high
later. I don't wanna
the
talk
high
about it
score
yet, but I wanna say
leaderboard,
thank you very much,
maybe
Mr.
online
Encoder.
going.
Good
I don't know how
dude.
that's going to work, but
I know he's trying to get.
we'll
his
see what
message out
happens
there
with
to
that.
people because he's trying to help stuff. So it's only a matter of time. And thank you very much, Zohar, for the super chat as well. Sorry if the percentage wasn't as high as you wanted. Oh, we get another one here. Zohar again. Another $4.99 super chat. Zohar, you don't got to do that, man. So you're saying I only contributed 30%. Did the
You
other
know, Zohar, all
writer
this money
break
could
one?
be
I'm just
donated
curious.
to like children's
Well,
charities,
we'll get to the
right?
bottom of that. Stay
Instead of
tuned.
these super
Thank you
chats.
very much, brother.
That's kind of a
Anyways,
waste
so,
of money. I don't think
so your
Michael
role
B
changed
needs the
with
money,
company,
right?
And you were doing a lot with the licensing side of things too, right?
Yeah, so yes and no, right? So really, our CCO handles like the
console
big,
fanboy,
really
hop
official
over
stuff for
here
the
so you
arcade
can
space,
super chat me,
especially, too.
man. I could use
So
the
usually I
money.
don't sit down on those two because a lot of times, honestly, you have a 30-something-year-old when you're sitting in a room of a lot of
I know.
older Japanese men. Sometimes it doesn't pan out too well with the conversation. So So anyway, they don't quite trust us enough sometimes, right? With that, even though you can show it running on your product flawlessly, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's okay. Anyway, yeah, so I did do that sometimes, but a lot of times I worked with our more modern developers, particularly too. So I would still work with those teams as well too. Our big licensors like Taito and things like that, right? Too. I still do talk to them directly, get their games onto our system. But yeah, the actual like deal itself, a lot of times for the bigger companies, I'll let him do it.
I'll be right back.
Because I don't like to deal with money. So I'm good with money. I just don't like to deal with it. So
I am not good with money.
I wear it. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with pushing that one aside.
Guys, everybody, Cornercade's here. Corny's here.
All right,
Thank
I'm
you
back.
very much, Cornercade. Fun guy. So the reason why, and I want to make sure I didn't miss a super chat here. We got one here from Rocky. Make sure I didn't miss it. Hold on here now. Am I a little bit too loud, Michael? I'm not popping
You're okay on
there.
mine
am I?
end, at least. I don't know about for everybody else.
So I don't understand this super
So,
chat from Rocky. Encouraging
Rocky
Glenn's
says,
deck
encouraging
allows for
Glenn's deck
illegal
allows for
use of
illegal use
ROMs.
of
How would it
ROMs.
affect Jong's ability to get
ability
legit licenses in the future?
Well,
Well,
we
what
don't
is
know
Mystery
if
Encoder
Zhang's
going to be
ever
doing?
gonna do another game system again. No one knows what the future is for Zhang, right? So that the other thing too is
Like, I don't know what
Glenn's
this argument
deck
here
does is it allows you the ability.
Mystery Encoder is going to do
put
the
in
exact
a
same
single
thing.
Board. Basically, it's the same as if you bought an iArcade and you said, "Well, screw this, I'm going to gut it."
It's
and put it in
the
a
same.
Raspberry
It's
Pi."
the
But
same
what this
as
allows you to
making
do
your home
is do a
arcade
soft
from
switch so you don't
scratch.
have to take
Is
out your
essentially
original.
what
So
this
it's not
is.
like
You're
you
just
guys are
going to
opening up your
repurpose the
platform.
controls
It's not
and
our
the
board or
monitor
our
of the
platform. It's an
entirely
iArcade
separate
and
board
turn
that
it
they'll be
into
selling
like a
with it
Raspberry
later on in the
type
year, right? So the
cabinet,
control deck itself
which
is simply for
everybody
controls, right?
does.
And then later
so
on in the year,
your
there'll
argument
be the
is
additional board that you can
what?
attach to that, which yes, will have that switch to go between the iArcade board as well as a separate motherboard entirely, which you can at that point that's your board. You can do whatever you want with it, right? So it's not locked down like ours is.
Exactly, bankrupt. We own it at
It's
that
no different
point.
than right now. Anybody could buy an
Right?
iArcade.
We own
and
it.
be
We
like,
can do
"Man,
whatever the hell we
great
want with the board
speakers,
and
great
whatnot.
Controls.
Yeah, you
I'm
can
a
use
gut
the
it.
monitor and stuff,
I'm a gut it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a way to.
And Michael
and
B's choosing to
Glenn's
gut it.
amazing, too,
So
for doing all that
exactly,
stuff, too.
to
He
each his
originally
own. We
wasn't
can do
planning on
what we
doing a
want
board
with these
switch like that,
cabinets
too.
now.
Originally, it was just
I'm
a control deck we were
choosing
working on,
to
too,
buy the
and then, of
GRS
course, we
deck
got the
and
news.
go
It's like,
down
okay,
that
here's
route.
what I can do and try to do. So that's why. And again, so you guys, if you haven't
yeah,
pre-ordered yet,
everybody
if
has
you're
a
gonna
choice
pre-order
of
Glenn's
what
deck,
they want to
he
do
needs
with the
those 500
cabinet.
orders, so it's up to
So
you guys.
have at it.
Because it's if he hits it great. If not, that's how it goes. But he said if the community wants it, that's what he's gonna do. So
Yeah, thank you very much for the super chat, Rocky. Canada Phil, I'm going to just get you really quick. It doesn't. You don't need Glenn's deck in order to put in Raspberry Pi or SBC. What Glenn's trying to do is develop this switch so you can switch back.
But
and
yeah,
forth
but the
between
thing is, we're going to get the
systems or not.
controls
There
that
might
in
be
the
other ways to do
spinner,
it. I
and
don't
that's what
know.
we're going to
No
be able
one's
to
saying it's the
use
only
with
way.
that
It's just an
SPC.
easy way.
that's an easy way, yeah. And I mean,
And
that's
not
our-
only
that's
that,
our
with
core
this
audience,
with
too,
this
right? So we
argument
make-
is you
we
get
make
to
a
have
console, we
spare
make a product
parts
that is
for your
as
arcade.
plug and play
This
as
is a
possible,
one and
right?
done
So,
run probably for this
talk about
control
arcades later,
panel,
too.
so
Again,
I
I don't
wouldn't
usually talk about
hesitate
companies,
and
but-
order right
But you can
now,
now.
else you're
We
going to
can
miss
talk about 'em
out.
all.
Kind of, yeah.
And then you're not going to have
Glenn's
a spare
playing
control
well,
panel in
terrible
case
idea.
something
But yeah,
happens
no, look, At Games is a
in the
great product,
future with
they
your
make good stuff, but,
arcade.
like,
Damage,
very
who knows?
different-
And then you can't
a
find
different
spare
user
parts
base
to
than us a lot of
replace
times
the
because
control
they're
panel.
built for people to
You know
tinker
what I
with
mean?
a lot more than us.
Take advantage
right?
of this
We are
now.
literally the person who just wants to set up the machine, plug it in, and then the game downloads. They can
Like,
just
I'm
turn
not-
it on and play.
I'm not
That's it, right?
plugging-
So that's more
I don't
our
know Glenn that
demographic.
well,
and so
right?
intricate
I
technical
think he's a
things
good,
and stuff,
trustworthy
our general
person.
user base just doesn't
So
want
I
that,
put my
honestly.
money
That's
down
why
as
a lot of times you
as
just won't see a lot of mods on your system, honestly.
as my commitment to see this
I
product
mean,
through.
Obviously, I'm not
And,
going to turn it into a dresser.
You know what?
I don't know how to
He's a
mods.
man
That's
of
where it's worth for me.
credibility,
Everybody's a mod.
and he's going to make it happen.
I do have some
So-
mods coming up though. I got.
Are you gonna make another
I'm
Dresser
looking
cake?
forward to it.
No, I'm not gonna make another dresser cake, but I got a couple arcade one-ups with really
Dresser
bad screens
cocktail
that I'm gonna
table?
fix. No, the dresser cake was supposed to be well, I'll tell you a funny story about that. So my idea was always to build.
Oh,
an
look what the
Atkins
cat
cocktail
dragged
table.
in.
That's what I
There's
was gonna do for
Casey.
the competition
There's
too.
that
When
louse.
Steve and Nostalgia hoodwinked me into doing it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna finally build my At Games cocktail table.
That's what
He's
he
like,
calls
well,
everybody.
You
He
can't
calls me
because
a
Killer
louse too,
Penguins is
so
already
it's
doing
fair
it. I
game.
was like, you got me into this, and I can't even build what I want. You son of Video Game Vegas here, $10 super chat, and you don't got to do that. Michael,
Obviously,
I just wanna thank
Zohar,
you,
the
John,
funds are going to go
Iron
to the
King 2 personally for
developers.
bringing an amazing machine
right?
to my home arcade. So many good
And
games. I love. Can't
yes,
thank you
right
enough.
now,
Michael
the other
B,
money
you
will
also
go
rock.
from
I feel
our
like I'm
arcades
only
going down to
little
pay
bit of
down
that,
the
but
debt.
that's okay.
But for the
Well, thank you, Video Game
creditors,
Vegas. We appreciate it a lot. So again, we
come in.
built it for you guys.
Now,
and
I've gone through
as much as it was
a
built for
consumer
ourselves, we built
proposal
it for you guys,
myself,
right?
and what
So,
you do is you stop paying
glad that,
your
you know,
creditors
we had
at
some
that
fun,
point,
and you can still have fun with it,
and
too, so.
you do a consumer
not the end yet.
proposal. It's sort of probably similar to
And
like,
we got our
like
buddy
bankruptcy,
Zohar
but,
here again.
It's a whole
Serious question.
process.
Will the funds from
So
customers buying
I'm
games from
sure
the arcade store
in a
go
business
towards game
standpoint,
developers or towards
the other money will
well,
I can't answer a lot of the question, but yes,
will
the
probably
developers
go to
get
the
paid for the
creditors,
games that are being
or
pulled
maybe
right now.
maybe the
If-
leftover money
yes,
will go to these
100%.
guys right up until
any
the
game
end.
that any game that you buy on our
But,
system,
yeah, it'll
the
be
developer
interesting.
gets paid for that. Yes, they're whatever the portion may be. Right, every deal's a little different, but yes.
yeah,
These
and
guys will
Zohar,
be free
I
and
mean,
clear
like,
this bankruptcy. They'll pay
the
a
company's
bankruptcy
going
fee.
through bankruptcy
We don't get to
proceedings
keep
right
that money.
now. Yeah. No.
I'm not pocketing, $1 million+ bucks right now. I wish.
No, he's not
That'd be
pocketing
nice,
$1 million.
but no, that's not how it
He-
works.
he's
So-
probably just getting his wages. That's all he's getting.
Mystery Encoders here, $5 super chat. Thank you very much, Zohar, for the big super chat. Again, you don't have to do that. If you need bus fare or money to get
So
home,
hard.
again,
Donate
once again,
to
just
children's
hit me up. I'll
hospitals,
hook you up
children's
afterwards.
charity. The
'Cause
amount of money you
don't
give
need
away
to
as
keep
super
spending
chats is
all
sickening.
this money to make
You could help so many
Mystery
sick
Encounter,
children
$5 super chat. Thanks for being
and
willing
children
to
in
answer my
need.
questions.
Even
Having
Big
worked in a
Brother
similar industry,
programs.
I know it's not always possible. Thanks,
You know,
Mikey, for
the
asking.
Boy Scouts
Of course,
and whatnot.
brother.
You can
Thank you very
donate to all
much.
these charities. Why
Hey,
do you
King
do
Creole,
this?
what's happening, brother?
I don't understand.
Okay, so where were we? I'm a little distracted right now. And here's another thing I wanted to talk about. A lot of people don't really know the inner workings of
Oh,
Arcade. They think it's just like a mom and shop with just Jong, just you, and like that's it. That's the decision-making team. Everything, lives and dies with you guys. I don't know if you can answer this, but that's not really the way things work. I mean, you guys have people you answer to, right?
Yes. Yes and no, right? So a lot of stuff is our decisions, right? So sometimes my decision, not usually, honestly, but a lot of times it's, our chiefs of staff and stuff too, which includes John. But beyond them, even too, we do have a board of directors, right? We are an investment. We're a company that has investors above us, right?
Investors.
So if the investors have the lion's share of the company, which they do in this case, then they make decisions. So that is what it is. Usually they take our consulting into heavy consideration. Usually it's, our decisions, but it's not always. So sometimes you work on some projects that you may not necessarily agree with, but is what it is. Resources are spent the way that they dictate.
Exactly.
So that's not always my decision. Yeah, I wish it was more my decision.
And they just decided not to
really
continue on with the project,
Yes.
so the project folds in on
I got
itself.
so many questions,
It
Mike.
is
I'm
what
sorry.
it
I'm
happens.
gonna try not to keep you too long because
Like I
I
explained
don't
in
know
my
if
other
you've ever watched
streams,
my show
like
before. When I have guests, sometimes I keep
it's like that
making
concept.
them
Like
up.
Sega is a great
Oh
example.
my God,
They had
Jason,
a bunch of
yeah.
stuff that flopped, like the Sega
That's
CD,
crazy.
the Sega 32X, for example. All
Huge
the
super chat
money
here
spent in
from
R&D
Jason M. Super
doing
chat.
that,
Can we get rid of the
and all
typical stream hijacking once for
games
all?
developed,
Many of us pretty
all that
tired
money
of the
down the
Zohar
drain.
Comedy Hour and endless BS
Right,
making
and you
a
don't
show
get
about
that
him.
return on your
But
investment.
many
You
of us feel
can't,
the same way.
you
And,
can't do
thank you
that
very
too
much
many
for the
times in
super
the world
chat.
of business
I
before you just
understand
can't
that,
dig yourself out of
a
the
lot
hole you
people
dug.
Don't like other
Right,
people's
the money's
comments
just not
and seeing
coming in
stuff there.
fast enough to
Jason,
pay
thank you
down
very
your
much
debt
for
load
saying
and to
that.
grow the business. And,
Try to
and
offer
you'll
an
just,
open
the business
opportunity to
folds in on
everybody to
itself.
ask questions if they give a super chat or if they
It
put something in
happens.
the comment book. Hopefully, it won't bother you. I'm very sorry. And that super chat is bananas. You didn't have to do that, man. Thank you very much. So,
Look
before I
at
get
the angry
distracted,
people
I
in the
gotta
chat,
ask
like
you
the
again
name
about
calling,
this. So,
like King Kirill with
I
the
was
Bradwater
starting, and
comment.
then I got distracted. So I started
name is
asking you about
Rainwater, buddy.
licensing, and this is where it's going to get interesting here. So, with licensing, iArcade, one of the things that sometimes people have been very critical of is the games library.
So,
and
you want good content, head over to Papa
find
Brad's
really
Gaming
super interesting
and
about
Brooklyn
this
Menaces channel
is
and Steps Gaming,
how do you guys
and
choose
your
your
self-host
games? Like, how
mixed
does
reviews.
that process work?
If you want some
and how
some
difficult
really
it
good
is. Here
gaming
we go.
channel, high-level competition,
Yeah, I don't know if that made
and
sense.
community
I'm sorry.
involvement.
This is
We
my
want
show.
you to be a part of the show.
The games that we choose, so we see all the games.
come
that you
on
guys
and
want.
join us.
I get that. It's very easy to
every
tell.
time we stream,
and then you'll
we'll have a good time.
You'll get people all the time too. Why aren't you going after this game? Why aren't you going that game? Even though we might have already talked to that developer, they said no, or they said not right now, and things like that. So again, I've said this so many times in our streams too.
Yeah,
You
those
just
guys
can't
on those other
understand
channels, you don't want to
licensing
waste your
until you
time
have to deal
watching
with it
that. Your
yourself.
time is valuable,
There is
right?
no logical side to it.
You want to
Almost
watch positive
95% of the time, it's illogical. It makes no sense, right? So for us, we're in that fun mix too, where you guys want modern games, you guys also want classic arcade games.
I was going to.
Some people love the Coleco games, even though you.
So my
hate
recommendation
them.
is so
I know
you don't get
do.
that
Yeah,
stuff
that's
popping
fine.
up
That's
in
totally
your
fine.
YouTube
So we're
algorithm
in that
feed.
fun
Unsubscribe
system
to
of
those
that, too, where
channels.
we have to like pick and choose a little bit that way
And
too. But
start
doesn't
telling
always
your
come down to that,
YouTube
too.
algorithm
Sometimes
not
it's-
to show.
Sometimes it is funding. Because sometimes you just get
That
these
way those videos
ridiculous
won't show up in your
pricing
feed anymore.
Structures. It's like these 10 games, and it's like, well, none of these are like games that are like really AAA like names that you want anyway. Too. This isn't a system selling game for me, so why would I pay this amount of money for it when we literally have to do all the work, put it online, put the leaderboards in there too, get all this stuff working for it. We're doing all the work, and then you're going to take the profit anyway too, and we have to pay you for that to do that.
I know.
It's rough, right? So you have to take that into account as a business too. We have to.
This is the one thing I'm going to miss
is
is from Michael and Jong is their personalities.
Beyond that, so the games that we pick though.
Right.
It depends. Some games come to you
and
on
the shows they
because
did.
The developer reached out to us themselves.
And community
and they say, hey,
involvement,
I'd like my
making
game
us part of their show. Their
we are a
shows,
console,
Michael Svabek,
we don't want to limit what's on there,
Jong.
right? It's the same thing as like a Switch.
That's what I'm going to miss the most.
You have a ton of different games, a ton of different
I think that's the
developers, and of
biggest
course you have
impact that
games
they
that
left.
Are, really
on
high
the
quality
community.
games from big.
And I
big
think
publishers
that's
and
what's going to
developers
be
and stuff, too. But
remembered
of course, you
for
got
years
games that
to
were made by
come.
one dude in his basement, and it's his first game ever, and he
Like I
just
said,
is
that-
happy
it-
to have it out there.
It
right?
really
So
struck
we
a
support
chord with
all of
me,
that.
and it's
So we
something
have
I'm
that
never
huge
going
range
to
of spectrum. But yeah,
forget.
the games that we pick are
And
based
me
on a
and John
huge
are
range
always
of
going to have
things.
that
A lot
connection
of times too, we
with
go after
the
games.
heavy
It's
metal
not even about
titans.
money. It's the developer just doesn't have
with
the
him
time
doing
crunch,
that
right? So
voiceover
you get a
for me
lot
at the
of
last
modern
minute,
games, particularly.
saying I'm
going to
put
that, right?
up
You guys will
more
see a game
points
like say.
like Jeff Bidner.
Well, I
believe
won't
that's
say
what it is,
I won't say
at the
Turtles
end
because
of
that's a
the
different
level
thing
when you
entirely
play
for licensing.
Zhang himself.
So you guys unfortunately are not going to see Turtles either too. I
really
thought we had that one in
appreciate
the pocket
that,
honestly
guys.
too. I really
At
thought we did because
Squashbuck
we work
Games.
with Dotini, right? So
Yeah.
You guys are the
but then
coolest
somebody
group of
else, an
guys.
outside company, which is a multi-trillion-dollar company, I think at this point, came in and said, "We're actually going to put this on our platform instead. So we're going to take this." So nobody's doing
Yeah,
that
maybe
one
you
right
guys
now.
have
But
an
anyway,
opportunity
there's
to
those situations
Google
too.
search
But beyond that,
Squashbuck Games
even
and check these
like a
guys
modern
out.
game developer too, who's maybe like a mid-level developer, right? So good games. They've been released for maybe a year at that point, right? You come to them, you say, "Hey, can we get this game or DLCs and stuff too?" They're like, "Oh, it's a really cool platform. We'd love to have it there and stuff too. And like, how do we do it and stuff?" And we explain the process. Like, awesome. And then they'll be like,
Like I
"We'll
said,
look into it."
I'd like to see
or
what Mr.
sometimes it's just
Encoder's
like, we
going to
don't
do.
have the time right now. You know,
I
our
know
team
he's
is
a very
stretched. We're working
intelligent
on a new game right now,
Um,
right? We don't want to go back to that game. We just don't want to put the resources into it. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
From
it's
how
okay.
he speaks, he
And for
seems like
us,
he is very confident.
It's hard to entice
but
us at that, or it's
I
hard to
would
entice them at that
recommend,
point too.
if you
because
are
the user
really,
base
really
isn't
confident,
quite
just
big
tell him
enough,
that,
right?
that
We don't have a
cocking
million
is down.
users yet,
Like,
right?
we know
So
you're really good.
realistically, that's what they're looking for a lot of times too. But how do you get there? It's a catch-22 of how do you get there, right? You
I
want
know
the
you're an
games,
honorable guy.
You get there with the
because
games,
you didn't do
but you can't
this
get the
while
games until you get
Arcade
there.
was in
So what do you do,
business.
right? So you have to
and,
do a lot of
you know,
wheeling and dealing. You have to do
you're
a
a
lot
stand-up
of
guy for doing
different
that.
things and looking around the market and stuff too.
Yeah, it sucks. So just really quickly before we get, guys, listen, me and Michael are here. We're happy to answer questions, happy to talk about iArcade and stuff like that. Just try to stop fighting amongst yourself in the chat. It would be a personal favor to me.
See, look at this. See, King
Stop
Creole,
fighting
stop
amongst
it.
yourselves. Talk about us. If you want to say something about me, cool, man. I'm here for
See,
it. I'll jump
please
in
do
the
not
fire
tune
with you,
into
but
Old School
don't-
Gamer Magazine
don't be
channel
fighting with each
because
other in
this
the
is
chat.
this is what happens.
Feel free to
This
throw
is what these
anything you
guys
want up
do.
About, like the topic, us.
They just
don't be
they go
at
into
each other.
people's
Don't be
chats
asking for people
and
to be
they
blocked.
just
I don't like
attack.
stuff like that. I will
Right.
not give in to terrorism. Just keep watching
Yeah,
the
look
show
at
and
this.
have
See,
fun.
it's interrupting these guys.
All
Michael
right, so,
Svabek is giving his
really
valuable
quickly,
time for this
with
interview,
the
and these
games,
guys are
I'm
so
one of the
inconsiderate
proponents,
and
like,
rude that they're
I was really
disrupting
hard, guys. I'm hard
the
on
interview.
That too.
Right?
It's
That is
not
that
because,
is
like I'm trying to crap on you guys. It's just like I see things, and again, I'm not at the level you're at. I'm at the 10,000 foot level where I don't really understand how everything works.
that's
and I'm like,
pretty
man, I
disrespectful.
think that this could work, and I think
Yeah.
you guys should do this. I always talk
And I
about
get it.
that home run. Like I wanted to see you guys take that home run. And I look at the
Unbelievable,
game
guys.
lineup, and I see a bunch of good games. They weren't bad games. I did like very few games I played, and I said, "Man, this is shit." I would actually.
Michael
look at
B,
them
there's
and I'd
no
be
need
like,
to
"There's some
swear."
good games here, but it didn't ever feel like, especially this.
And that's
past year,
disrespectful to
we
say
had
that about a
big
game.
where it was
To
like,
the
boom,
time the developer spends
killing
on it,
like killing it.
that shows no
So
empathy.
when it came to
Have
that
some
selection,
respect.
was it just like
Where
these are
where
the
is
games
your
that are
game,
available
Michael B?
to
What did you
us?
develop?
And
That's the
here's
thing I always
million-dollar
ask when
question I
people
wanna
talk
ask you. When
like
it
that.
came
That is
to
so
maybe some of those
disrespectful.
other bigger games, there's a price tag attached, and does that get difficult then? Because, like you mentioned, like you got to have so many users before they would probably work into a deal with you. Otherwise, you would overpay. And how does that risk
Now remember, this is a
portfolio work
watch party,
when
guys. I'm
you're
just
looking at a
reacting to what I
license
see,
that's
just
gonna
like
cost
you'd
you,
watch a
$2 million?
sitcom on TV.
Do you
Yeah.
even look at that, or is that like just something out of the equation? How does that work?
Yeah, so no, I mean you'll look at that kind of stuff too, of course, but again, it has to the cost, the benefit has to outweigh the cost at that point, right?
Yeah.
If the risk is too high, you're not going to recoup that loss, or are you going to sell X amount of systems off of this to recoup at least some of the loss, right? And then you can make it up in other games later on too. You can think that way because it's a console. But yeah, sometimes it's just too high, especially when we have other projects going on which are eating up all the resources. It takes away a little bit from it too at the same time, right? So at least for the ones that we're looking to purchase specifically, right? The ones that cost a lot of money, that eats up those too. The other ones, it's more, again, it's just what I was just talking about more with, are the developers willing to put it on the system? Yes or no, pretty much, right? So
Yeah.
and it is what it is. Again, if you work with smaller indie developers, a lot of times, sometimes they say yes, but when they say no, it's usually literally just because they're like, I'm a hobbyist. I don't even do it full time. I don't have the time to do this. So like, I'd love to put it on your platform. I just, maybe in the future. And you
Yeah.
get a lot of those. So that's like probably 90% of what you get at least, if not more. So, and you get that with a lot of bigger publishers a lot of times too. So, but a lot of the bigger publishers for the arcade space specifically, it's usually just, here's a game list that you might be able to choose from.
Just type it
A lot
in
of
the
times you
chat
pick
for
your list,
everybody that's
they
over
still
there
whittle it down
on
even
that
more too,
channel
and
that
then they
doesn't
tell
want
you
the
the
drama to head over here.
so
You can watch
it's
this
a little
without the
rougher.
drama. We
It
can
gets a little
talk.
rougher, but yeah, and certain games too, they just don't want to release, particularly at that time too, on different platforms because they might be doing like a remaster of it or something else. You say, yeah, but yeah, so that happens as well too in our space.
So that's like classic games. Like House of the Dead would be a great example. Well, not really a great example because they lost the original source code, and then they did the remasters. So
yeah, or like the Contra collection, right? The 30th anniversary just came out this past year, 2 years ago. Yeah, I think a year ago. Yeah.
See, I'm going to be funny because I'm going to be critical of Contra. I don't understand why anybody wants the arcade version of Contra. Like, just play the NES version. It's the better version.
Kind of is a better version. Yeah, but if you have the nostalgia, right? This is a nostalgia-based space too, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of you guys are drawn to nostalgia, right? So you want those key titles, which are
Okay,
always
so-
different for everybody else. But yeah,
So, some comments coming up here, super chats. You got $5 from King Creole by Bradwater.
See,
I think
how
that's a
immature is
combination
that?
of Brad and Rainwater.
Exactly.
Thank you very
Donate
much for
that
the
to a
super chat,
children's
King
charity,
Creole.
Casey.
Rocky,
Really?
I don't know if
Like,
we've
come
talked
on.
about this one yet. Licensors word frown on a peripheral that fans in iArcade know is being used to play illegal rounds. It's very ironic that John was against piracy. So, again, and we talked about this earlier. I thank you very much for the super chat. Again, it's the thing. Anybody can mod a system. It's like at games. At games basically have it open that you can bring your own ROMs to you. And,
I'm
some
gonna type it
publishers,
again.
absolutely. They would look at that and say, okay, well, that's probably not a company we're going to work with. Other people are just like, we don't even care, So
and we're not the ones doing anything to it too. So our board is staying closed. Our board is a console. It's closed. Beyond that, Glenn's deck is not opening up that board. It's connecting to it with controls, right? Controls and peripherals, right? To add the USB support for Lycon specifically, but other controls as well too. Right, the steering wheel and things, flight yoke.
Here we
and stuff
go.
too. Those are things that are being added on with it too. And then even when he adds his board on, it's a blank board. It's up to you what you do with that board. We're not responsible for any of that stuff, so it's up to you entirely what you put on that board, honestly.
Yeah.
And if you own those games, you can put them on there as well too. But yeah.
I found out the other day, I didn't know this, and I don't know how I missed it. When did Robbie Roto come to
There we go. I put the
iArcade,
link
or was
in
that,
their
like, 2 months
video.
ago?
So
2 years
come
ago?
over, guys. Join.
Get out of town. Are you
For a
serious?
long time for free. Yeah. It's a free game. Because that was a Warner Brothers game, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know the history behind it. Like, it's on Glenn's as well, because I think it's like license free or whatever the hell it is. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, I love Robbie Roto. It's rough. It's a
Yeah,
rough
I agree,
looking game,
Kevgrit.
but
Thanks
it's
for
fun.
joining.
That's like the original weird Pac-Man
yeah, this
game
is a
kinda
joke,
mix,
and that whole chat.
between the two kind of, I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah, the first time I ever saw it was
That whole
there
chat
was a
on
video,
MichealB stream is a
Retro Ralph
joke.
did on his
Those guys
channel,
just
and it showed,
invading
like, an old
and-
clip of Eugene Jarvis
and causing
at
all this drama
trade
and
show, and this was
interrupting
supposed to be
the
next
show,
huge
essentially,
game
'cause
for
the chat
Pac-Man.
got so bad.
Replacing Pac-Man was
Right.
the Adventures of Robbie Roto, and Eugene Jarvis was playing, and he was like, I don't know if I understand it.
Yeah,
But it is fun.
watch
It's
over here,
rough,
guys. You can
like,
watch this show
rough.
drama free.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
All
trying
right,
to get
Shinobi
people from
Gaming,
over there
he
to come over
says,
here and join.
I
You
like
guys want to
console
talk about
fanboys'
this? We're
comments.
watching.
It's freeform, don't block. Cool. Thank you very much for the super chat. Try to catch them all here
A
now.
lot of super chats. Okay.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, these super chats, man.
I'll hit you up. Next
Donate
time
it to
we're together,
children's
I'll buy
charity.
you, I'll buy you a
Something,
beer.
give it to the
How's that
children instead of like
I'd like to
using
hear a
it
description
to
about
like
what the
MichealB doesn't need
technical
this
side
money.
of deploying a
Like,
game
come
on
on,
a
guys.
platform looks like, outside of just porting it to Android and getting controls working. Is that something you can talk about, or is that,
Let me see here. Like description.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. My console fanboy was harassing Michael
I can't
Svabek, and
do that,
MichealB did
unfortunately.
nothing
No,
about
that's
it.
That's too much on our backend
Yeah.
systems for what we do. That's what our engineers have set up, right? So
yeah.
So right now, Michael
Rights
Svabek is
Retrocade says, "I missed his
handling
from
this
before. Rights Retrocade, I am sorry.
this
I'm gonna go
interview
back
very
and find it.
carefully.
I swear
and
to
he's
God,
doing
I
a good
didn't
job.
intentionally do that, brother.
There's no gotcha moments yet.
And if I didn't,
The
if I
chat's
don't,
trying to get
just write it in the chat normally
gotcha
and I'll bring
moments
it
by
up.
asking some of those
because
questions.
that's not good. I swear I read. I didn't read it.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, exactly. I really don't watch
Michael
MichealB stuff anymore anyway because
it requires the way that we deploy games too.
because
it
of
requires the account to be
certain
logged in on the system
of how
and
he's
to have access to the
presenting
server so that
these
they can verify
interviews
things
and
as
stuff
well,
like
too,
that.
to actually download to it. Of course, like to download
It does.
from the server
It
itself,
feels
but
like
beyond that
gotcha
even more, too,
moments.
it does check as well, going back up at the server. So there's
Like I do remember
there's other
Papa
systems
Brad
in
in
place, too,
Brooklyn. Like
besides
when I
just,
watched
getting
that
the game
video,
ready,
like
if
that
that's what you're
was
asking, yeah.
that was
Oh,
that was something else.
I'm sorry.
let me tell
Yeah, I did have it up on screen, but I didn't ask Rights Retrocade. Yeah, you're right. This was a question that came up earlier that I wanted to ask you a little bit later, but I'll ask it now. What is one of your biggest regrets from working with iArcade? Like, if there's one thing that you're like, I wish we could have done that different.
And why do we need to ask that question? Regrets.
I wish I got there before they spent a lot of the original investment money, because I would have made some different choices.
And if this is kind of near the end of the interview or whatnot, why be a Debbie Downer?
But yeah, just because a lot of the funding was spent in certain areas that I would not have spent it on back then too. But again, hindsight's 2020, right? So that's how it works.
Because now you're making him think about bad stuff, Michael Svabek.
We released
that's not a good interview.
You guys don't even remember, like, so even before, like, when we were first releasing this drive,
like Fox
back
News.
in December, 2020 now? So, yeah, right. The first machines were hitting the market too, and for us, that was just like such like a stressful time, because we're like, I really hope they work. Right, we've tested them to death at that point, right? Like for months,
these machines work really good.
I tested them, the new machines, the packaging and everything, right? You hope it all ships proper and everything can open. But yeah, for us, so like it's been a wild ride, because just getting past that point, even too, is like a major milestone. Was just like, I hope we don't have a ton of machines that just straight up don't work, and thank God they worked. Because
I'm actually
like, it's a
blow
quality
up
product.
the
We trusted it
so
enough, but man, you're still like,
chats,
there's always
I'm
that
not
thing in the back of
typing
your
in them
mind.
anymore. Let me
like,
blow up this
no,
image.
What if something happens? What if something major goes wrong? Because it's new. So.
There we go. Maybe you can see that better.
Really quickly, before I get back to the super chats, there's a comment here from Rocky I got to read out here. Do you remember the story of was it Heracles?
Hercules.
That his power came from his hair, and once he shaved his hair off,
Samson.
Samson, that's right.
Yeah.
Samson. Samson's hair
God.
was his power. Do you believe that possibly the curse to iArcade started when you shaved off your mustache? Is it possible the company lost its steam?
I don't think so. I think the curse might have started when I grew the mustache. No, I hope not. Are you saying that I'm responsible entirely solely because I shaved my face?
It's the mustache. All right, we get a couple more super chats. Why in the video did it say servers would remain up, but now it said they go down Wednesday? I was really hoping for retro.
It all depends on how fast the bankruptcy proceedings go through.
Video too.
Yeah. So there was a little bit of confusion about that, because I remember you guys were pretty clear. You said stores going down on Wednesday, and the servers we can't guarantee.
It's right when it goes through, the trustee takes over.
Originally, I said the games are going down on Wednesday. And I think Zhang said, no, the sale's going down on Wednesday. The games will still be up until Friday.
Yeah,
but then
that's all correct.
So no,
we heard all that.
The game store itself to actually purchase games and everything will go down on Wednesday.
And that's correct.
Because I actually am the one who does a lot of this stuff. So I said 7 p.m. That's when I'm going to do it. It's about then too, and then I have to stay up
7 p.m. Wednesday. You heard it here first on this show, MichealB, and this show, because we're streaming at the same time.
At a minimum. If it stays up a month past that, maybe if it stays up 2 months past that, who knows? If it stays up a day past that, or if it goes down right then, that's it. So Friday is really your day that you want everything to be secured on your system and installed. Beyond that, it's just a toss up, because we honestly don't know beyond that, because it's not in our control at that point. It's literally not.
Yeah, the store for sure is going down Wednesday.
The servers, so it could be
servers. It could be any time.
Hey, there's nobody paying us for this, so
basically, once the store shuts down, any games you have, they're not going to. The server will probably still be open for updates, but you won't be able to make purchases. You'll be able to probably reinstall games. Maybe to try to update it, but I recommend you do all that before these dates, just to save yourself that hassle.
You can't just like piecemeal things apart and then be like, the trustees only get this. No, they get
coming back to the
they
chat,
get
guys.
whole
Papa
line
Brad,
share.
Kev, right
They
here.
get everything. So it's like I said, the game sales money and things right now that we're making, one, they do pay that out to developers and stuff too. But beyond
he's
that,
sold
too,
out with the super chat. You're absolutely. He's condoning all that. Essentially, he's accepting all those super chat.
That we can't just take all this money. And do that.
And then it's confusing, because then eventually he stops the interview to yell at the chat. Essentially,
I would imagine that honestly, like even the people are thinking like, oh, John.
And the problem is, like, these are grown ass adults.
But again, you mentioned
in the chat.
I mean, the board is the one who made the decision, right?
So
and
basically, like
interrupting.
What can I describe here?
This interview.
So like ultimately, ultimately.
And keep in mind, I'm 42, and these guys are older than me.
Is the investors, right? So if they don't
keep that in mind as well,
that initial investor to line up for the series funding, then it's still
Zohar
on us to find out. That's what we're doing for
Casey.
a while now, right? So and things were looking good, and then at the very last minute here, it's just gone. So and without that investor particularly,
And
Or
now they're
other
asking
deal that
about
we're
the
working on
Vanilla
essentially too,
Beast.
without that, there's not funding for it. So the funding itself
Yeah,
that we were to
there's
receive
no
at that
funding
point would have
for
kept
it.
us going
There's
for,
not going
you
to be
know,
any
that's a
cabinets
good
for
runway.
it. It
That's
fell
at least
through.
a year or two for the runway, and then from there
Vanilla
you grow
Beast
it,
took
right?
a
'Cause we're at
risk,
a point where we
right?
could
It's
start
business.
growing.
He's
But as a
crying the
startup,
blues
three-year
that he's
marker
out
is
money
like,
because
reach
of all the
profitability then,
Kickstarter
or
things,
like
and he's got to get
where
all that
console
money
market
back.
games is a
Well,
little bit
unfortunately,
rougher, the
that's
way we do things, and
business.
a console too.
You
These are
didn't
big
write it in
ticket
any
items.
contract
These
that you're
systems
going to
cost
be
a lot of money to
protected in the
manufacture.
event of.
So
Like,
you
you
have to
should
put
have
all that
negotiated
into
the
account
deal
too. So
better.
really, this is like a
Vanilla
five-year
Beast
endeavor,
games.
honestly, really until profitability about. So we were just about at
Maybe
the
you
cusp
didn't. Maybe you
to really
overlooked that
start
part of it.
making
But
those
I
big
would have had
strides that
something
we
in
were wanting
writing
to do, and
to
that's what we were starting to
guarantee.
gear up for. That's what we've been planning for.
Especially if you had any
last year
inkling
now,
yourself that the
honestly.
company was going to
So
go
it sucks
belly
to,
up.
you know, put in all this work and all this time too. I mean, I've had a lot of
And
sleepless
it's
nights,
and
as
it
well as
kind
our
of is
engineering team
bestowed
stuff,
upon
too, that
on the
we just
developers
don't
to
get
kind
to
of
see
pay
the fruits of
attention
our
to
labor
that
for,
kind of
unfortunately,
stuff.
but that's how it goes. But yeah, so it's
You
up to the
know,
board, but it's also up to
it's part
to
of
us
your
ultimately as well
business.
too. But yeah, John pulled the plug as CEO.
You should
so
be
it's
paying
still his
attention to
company,
that
ultimately,
as a
but,
developer.
So yeah, he would have recommended it.
The
but
signs
at
were
same
kind of
time,
there
it's
as we
not like
went.
It was just
you can't just
But-
keep going forever. yeah.
This is all hindsight
Yeah.
talking too.
All right,
so it's
so,
easier to talk
we got some more
hindsight
here,
now that we know all this. But
I know you're not going to be able to answer.
I'm just
this
talking
one.
about the principle.
King Creole 9.99 super chat. I heard the reason iArcade didn't get Shredder's Revenge is because
Not
John
even
D got it
close.
from you.
Not even
Really?
close to being true. No.
Thank you very much for the super chat, King Creole.
We were in a better position to get it than them, in fairness. And beyond that, there's a reason that you haven't seen it anywhere else, like outside of the consoles, right? So there's a reason because there's a major corporation that is doing some stuff with it potentially, right?
Yeah.
So, and will they actually bring it out?
Absolutely.
I don't honestly know, but yeah. So
Even if that rumor was true, I didn't really see the benefit
Yeah,
of
coming back to the
Arcade
chat
1 Up
with you
doing
guys
Shredder's
here.
Revenge. To me,
Not
like, it
really.
didn't make sense.
yeah,
So, like,
Casey's just
I
trying
mean,
to
I
throw all
guess
these
they
gotcha
wanted
questions
to-
in the chat, and
with
Michael
their
B's
market, the way things work
indulging
is, I
on
mean,
this.
They're selling
Absolutely.
a dedicated, branded,
yes.
Turtles cabinet. So all people are always like, oh, why not put Sunset Riders on there? Why not put this?
Yeah.
And this is where the
Yeah,
other
I know.
complication
I've been
comes in
reading
that
the
people
chat,
don't know
Popper
about.
Brad, and it's
Because then they've got to go around.
it's funny because I'm not
and,
watching it
go back
entirely. I'm
to
glancing up
Nickelodeon,
on it,
go
and
back
it's almost
to,
like every time I glance up
owner,
at every little
and then
while,
say,
it's
"Would you
always
mind
negative.
another IP
You know what I
with
mean? That's
attached your
kind of
IP?" And they're
hilarious
like,
that
"No,
that
we only
that's
want Turtles
what's
back."
happening,
that's,
right?
That's how that works sometimes.
It's
too.
happening so
Again, some
much that
companies
I'm
don't play nice
always
together
catching it when I
sometimes,
look
that's
back up at the
You won't
chat.
see certain games on
Because
certain
I'm listening
systems
to this
together.
right now and looking at you guys in my chat.
All right. Just catching up on a couple here now. And thank you for being so open and willing to answer everything, Michael. I really appreciate it. Mystery Encoder, he always does this. He gave me a really hard time one time, an awesome time, but a hard time.
Yeah, but the thing is, the
$2
Vanilla
to
Beast
contribute
guy's crying the
Michael S.
blues. I read the
Ear Fund.
tweets and stuff
There
like
we
that.
go.
He's
Thank
pissed.
you very much, Mystery Encoder.
Right?
When
But
we went to Chicago,
is
I
what
don't
it
know if
is,
you saw
man.
it, but they
You gotta
actually
eat it.
found us somehow. They tracked us down and sent us pizza that first night when we got there. We had no idea. We didn't tell anybody where we lived. I'm telling you, they've got
Oh,
everything.
that's right. I remember watching the stream a little bit. Yeah.
It's one of the parts of how the world works. It's unfortunate
I don't know
side
what
of
he's
business,
saying here. Thanks, Mike S, for all
right?
you've
But
done.
it's
back
business.
To
Come back to
California.
California.
Come
Things
back to
happen.
California.
Yeah, because I actually see because Casey's out in the
'Cause
LA,
and-
so he came to our event when we were out there.
Yeah,
so
like
yeah,
most of this is
Yeah,
other
Econ was
investors'
there,
money,
to
right?
die
So it's
for
not your
it,
money.
yep.
So it's
To
just
die for
like
was
if you
there.
want to get mad
Yeah.
at anything, get mad
Yeah, if
at
I'm around there, I'll see,
investors
I'll,
for
I'll
backing
see you
out.
guys again. So.
Yeah.
Or is I don't know. Is Casey down in? I'm not gonna dox Casey right now.
Essentially, if they would have
I don't know
got
if
the
he's actually out
funding,
there right
those
now, too, or if
cabinets,
he's, down
Retromania
with stuff,
knockout cabinets,
And here's
would
another
have
one you probably
happened, and it
won't
would
be
have been
able to answer.
business
What
as usual,
game
and the game would have
we
been
talked about
released,
is
and
getting
so
that
on.
final
It's
update.
just the whole project
Oh,
had ceased,
oh my gosh.
like had to
Can
come
you
to
say?
a halt because
Jeez,
there's no
my
funding,
brain. I'm so sorry.
and there was no investor willing to
What did we
take
just
up
release for free? The
the
final game.
reins.
Now,
So if you don't have that,
There's an update for
it's
Heavy
over,
Metal Titans.
right?
That's going to be the final
yeah,
update.
so Renzo's
business.
working on it too. I hope I didn't spoil Renzo's thing too. It's,
Oh,
I mean, he's
absolutely.
just doing different additives and fixes after he watched a lot of people playing and stuff. He wants to add different stuff to the game. So, yeah, I told him.
Oh,
until-
no, you don't
until
let that
Wednesday I
chat
can't update the
become
game, so
toxic.
that's
Yeah.
it.
Frankly,
Yeah,
if
and
my
I know
chat
you guys
ever
want
started
all this other
becoming
stuff too. I have other
toxic,
developers who reached out to me
well, who
recently
knows
too.
what
We
it
said
will-
we had to
I'll
say
start.
no to a couple other games going on the system last minute.
Definitely. Well, I've already
it's just no
got
time.
stuff
I have
settings.
all this other
Like
stuff
if
to
they
do
want to
beyond
start
just being on the
typing
show
some
right now. I'm
stuff,
gonna go
like
back to work
all the
after this
chats are
one, too, so
moderated.
It takes. I'm the one guys who actually puts all this stuff directly onto the system. That takes me time for each individual game, set it all up on the back end, do all this stuff. So like it's a lot of work.
Because
for
if
me,
you're
so
not going to
unfortunately, I just
behave
can't-
appropriately,
I can't say
then
yes to
yeah, I don't
everything,
want you in
so.
my chat. Go
Yeah, I'd
find
love
something
I
else
just-
to do.
I can't. There's not enough time in the day.
Thank you very much, Tony C. We've also got Rights Retrocade. You didn't have to write another super chat, brother. I was happy to answer your question. I'm sorry I missed it the first time. Thank you very much. All right, just catching up here.
And frankly, I don't put people's
Do you regret wearing that
messages
sexy
up
white
on the
tank top
screen.
on
I
stream? You
read
shouldn't. That
whatever
was
I choose to
glorious.
read in my chat. So
I'll never. I have it in my closet.
I
should have
choose
worn
what
it
I
tonight, man. I
want
didn't
to say
even
out
think
loud live. I
There
can
we
usually
go.
skip
Console
over people. It's so
fanboy.
easy.
Michael S., can you share thoughts on Vanilla Beast's posts surrounding his disappointment for being stiffed and ignored? Can you make a statement? I know that one's a tough one because
I'm
you guys
really
had worked
upset
out
with
a
the
plan
chat in
with
Michael
Vanilla
B's
Beast
chat.
that they were going to do a Kickstarter,
Yeah,
and
but-
you
yeah,
know,
Michael's-
they were kind of
Michael
caught
B's
off guard
touching all
because
these
they didn't hear
topics.
that you had gone out originally. So
I don't know what-
Overall,
if you
this
can say
interview
about
with
it.
Michael B is good.
But no,
Um,
we're fine with those guys. Yeah. So there's
I
things-
I don't like the regret thing.
couple things,
Why
right?
ask
So
the man that? That's
I
not a
could
good
respond
question.
to a couple developers.
Future
for a while
interviews,
too, with
Michael,
questions
don't
they had
ask people about
because
regrets.
For a
That's
couple
a
weeks because we didn't
cliche
know,
question
and
to ask.
because
and
we're
it's-
advised not to, right? So
it
like
puts-
we also
it
have
puts
people team
the,
that advises me to do things. So
the
and I have higher ups
interviewer
again
in
who
an
say
awkward
you
position
can't
to
tell
start
people
thinking of
this.
something
So at that
negative.
point, there's no information, so I can't really do anything beyond that. So
And
Vanilla
that's
Beast
not a
is
nice
is,
thing to do.
one that we took. It sucks because like they had the Kickstarter going. We were doing the machines with them, so it was really cool. We were super stoked for that too. We were super stoked for the game. But
You
unfortunately,
talk about all the
cabinets
accomplishments
they
and what he
had
plans on to
ordered-
do
had
going
on order for
forward, and then like all this other
Kickstarter.
stuff, but not
Part of that money, of course, was coming to us to pay for the actual machines themselves too. But beyond that, the rest that money was set aside, but the rest was for development. So we're actually paying back their development money right now too.
The better
So
way
we're
to
gonna
ask
do
that question instead of
So we're gonna
regret,
help
what
those guys
regrets
out
you
at
have
least.
is like what
But beyond
what
that, I don't know
opportunities
what
did you
post that
think
he's
IRK
talking about, 'cause I haven't
had
seen- I've gotten so many things
would
I
have
know.
had
in socials
or
the past
should have pursued?
week now, honestly. The past couple days, so
That's a
it's like,
better way of
I'm
saying
all
it.
over the place. But
Means
yeah, so
the
it's
same
unfortunate you guys
thing,
don't
but
get on
that's how you
system
say
too.
it in a
It sucks,
positive
but
way.
At least you guys, pick it up on Steam, play it on Legends or something if you want. Hopefully that'll work.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's one of those things that, like, you guys have so much going on here now. And everybody's like, how come you didn't answer this person? How come you didn't answer this person? Guys.
I've got like over 100+ notifications right now that are like
Yeah.
pinged from the groups from like the community.
Oh, yeah,
the
his
groups and stuff
phone's
from me on
blown
my
up.
Facebook and I don't even like being on Facebook, honestly. I've got that. I've got my emails. I've got.
Don't worry,
I've got
Michael.
actual
That'll
messages
slow
from
down
everyone.
over time. Like
Yeah,
once
it's,
this
there's
goes
a lot
goes
right now.
away,
I'm sorting through all
you're
that.
gonna stop getting pinged. We're just
All right, so I want to get a couple things
We just
done
care
before I
about
go
you,
back to
Michael
Super
Svabek.
Chats. So we talked about that.
You got more super chats? Jeez.
Oh, yeah.
Look,
There's
it's
a bunch of
super
stuff coming in.
chats for you. This is- okay.
Bunch of stuff coming in. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. Everybody.
now,
you're
Michael B.
awesome.
Donate
Thank you
that to
very much.
children's charity. That's
Can't
what you
say
should
thank
be
you
doing.
enough.
You don't
So,
need the money.
Michael,
You live in a big
um,
house with all those arcade machines.
I'm trying to remember everything I wanted to talk about now. I got really distracted by a lot of this stuff coming in. But
Okay.
one of the things I wanted to talk about was early in the.
You know what I'm
development,
saying? This
I
is
mean,
just I'm just messing with Michael B.
John had an idea for this.
But I actually
concept.
mean that to
So
Casey.
when I
He
first
really
saw the
doesn't need the money.
arcade,
He's building.
I
He's
remember
buying
looking at it,
full-size
and I didn't
arcade
know where
machines
it
and
fit
stuff. So
in the
he's
home
got the
arcade
money.
space,
So
because I was
donate
like,
that to
okay.
a good cause, Casey.
So this is going to be a home arcade that's not going to be trying to recreate an arcade, but it's not technically a multi-cade, and it's going to have modern games on it. I don't get the concept. And I talked to John a couple times. Like we were lucky enough that he came on Super Game Room Dudes. I got to meet him,
Absolutely.
and he kept talking about when you see it, you'll understand. And originally, we couldn't buy these in Canada. There was no access.
Yeah.
So lucky enough, I got in touch with the guys at.
I got a
PR
question.
Media,
Is it-
obviously
is it-
Colin
is it-
and,
Is it whipping or
Scott.
wiping?
hold
Yeah,
on.
Scott. Yep, that's right.
Colin and Scott. Yeah. Anyways, awesome guys. And
Let me know in
they
the
were like,
chat.
hey, we're gonna give you a demo unit, and a lot of people are like, weird about demo units and stuff like that. Oh, you're gonna like it because it's a demo unit. You have no idea. It doesn't work that way.
So I don't
anyways,
think anytime we've ever sent out PR stuff, we're just like, hey, if you want to copy, come and claim it, and that's it. And beyond that, we're just like,
yeah.
let
So
us know.
like, there's no promises, agreement, or anything like that. They just sent it out. So I remember playing it, and I played some of the classic arcade games, and I was critical of classic.
Yeah, it's
arcade
unfortunate
games
if they're
first, because
attacking
John,
Rex or
and I don't know
Kevra.
if you were around for this. Came out with the idea that he
See
wanted
how
everything
what these
to look
people do.
kind of old. So he put
Everyone
that
who's going to watch
filter
my
on
stream in the
retro
future
games. Oh,
on the
it drove me
replay,
nuts.
I
was like, that should be an
they
option.
go around people's
what I
chats
was
and just
impressed with,
attack
which I
and attack
didn't
and
think
attack.
I would
Like
like,
I
and I used
swear,
to
do these
give,
guys have nothing better to do with their lives?
Nostalgia's such a hard time about was the modern
where's your
games.
wife
So,
and
like, some of
children?
the demo games I got.
I'm
like
sure they
Riptide
could use
Renegade,
your
and then I got
company.
Dead Effect. And I was like, I didn't get it
My
at
wife's
first. and I was
sleeping
like,
and my
okay,
kids
I
are in
get
bed.
it.
I've
I
already
get it.
spent my
Like, this
time
is
with them,
why
so
I'm
that's
here
why
and
I'm
stuff
on here
like that.
streaming.
So looking at that original lineup,
This is what
and
I'm doing
looking at
with
what
my
they were
time right
doing,
now.
I mean, what would
it's
you
10
have
o'clock
done
in the
different from the
evening.
start with the game lineup?
And,
how everything worked? How
I'm
would you
winding
have
down.
really
So-
asserted this
Yeah.
arcade console into this environment maybe
I think KC is about
gave
3
more of a
hours ahead
clear
of me, 7
direction,
o'clock
because
at night.
coming out of
Your
it,
kids should still
I
be
really
awake,
like the
and your,
modern stuff, but
and your wife and
I
your
mean, you
family
had
should go spend
fans
some
that
time
wanted
with them.
everything on this thing, and it was so hard to meet them. So how
Yeah.
would you have done this from a blue sky approach? Launched the arcade, what games would you have brought up?
Sure. I mean, the big stresses especially would be like the games, right? The games is the big thing, right?
Kev,
So,
Grad,
I
make
mean,
sure
right
you
out the gate
use
too, of course.
appropriate
And again,
language, because it's
hindsight's
going to get
20/20.
blocked on my
You
YouTube
live and you
because
learn.
of the settings.
You know, that's how it
So
goes, right? So
yeah,
me saying things now is not me saying things 3 years ago. 100%.
appropriate words.
But I mean, really,
when you
I would have
text,
taken a lot of the original funding and spent less on things like marketing, even though you do need to spend a lot of marketing on a new product like this, because we have to educate you on what it actually is, right? That's a heavy burden. But beyond that,
Hey, Upsitting,
I would
welcome
have
to the
taken,
chat.
you know,
I'm just
machine.
checking the chat
The gold
right
machine
now.
would be nice
Welcome
too,
to the
with the actual
show.
marquee and stuff too. Would design a little bit differently too, but yeah. Beyond that, I probably would have released with a goal. But beyond that, I would have released with a smaller lineup of games that were specifically just major titles, and just taken all the funding and just honestly.
Well, I can make that bigger if
first
you'd
and
like.
foremost,
Give me
before
a
anything
second.
else. After that, of course, the interface was
But
never my.
this-
my
It was.
cup of tea.
I just made
As
the
much as it
window so we
works,
could
though,
see
too,
them
that's always
talking
our
to hear
thing that
them.
people always
We're
say.
not
We say
here
it
to
all the
read
time,
the
too, even.
specifically
It works really well.
the
It's just
chat
it
that's
looks
there. I'll just
bad,
pick
so-
out. I'll pick out
It's
the
okay,
comments
you know,
and stuff.
Originally, when we
That's
launched the
worth
product, we had to
reading.
get it out there too. Again, this is a product too that it's not rushed to market, but like every
Because-
product is rushed to market at some point, right? There's always flaws. There's always things that you have to fix over
Sometimes
time
it's
that,
good
like,
to
you
miss
just
some
gotta
of the
get it out
drama
there
in
at one point,
Michael
or else
B's
you're just
chat,
gonna
because
be
really we're here
burning
for
through
Michael
cash.
Svabek, right?
So it's a big ticket item, right? Again,
That's what we
it's a lot for
came for,
manufacturing
not
stuff,
for
so
the
at that point,
drama
we had
and
to get
listening
it,
what's
right?
in
So,
the chat. I want to hear
things
Michael
like, I mean, I would
Svabek
have
speak.
manufactured probably less Retromania units. We had a lot of Retromania units at the end too, but we manufactured a lot of them because they were hot seller, right? So
Yeah,
that's
Kev
how it
Greta,
goes.
you got to
But
do that
honestly,
with
things that I would
that
have done more
because
so, I
in
would have
case
pretty
some
much
of
made a
these
black
people want to
cabinet
come in
as
my
the
chat
stand.
and
I wouldn't
start
have had any of the skins.
texting
I would have had a
whatever.
black cabinet
It's
that
good
you
to
could
have that
added skins onto because
so YouTube will
we're a
control the
multi-K
language in the
console.
chat.
So like, I don't. That was my honestly. That's probably somebody asked my biggest.
Is what it
regret earlier.
is, right? It is
My
what it is. It
biggest
hasn't
regret is
happened.
never having like a nice, just neutral line.
But
of
I'd rather
cabs
just
that was just
preventative
pristine,
measures,
really
right?
cool to look at, or that you could change the side artwork, really. So that's something we had talked about too, that like we might have done in the future as well too. It just wasn't there at the time now, right? So, but yeah. So,
Well,
but
no,
yeah, really, it would've
you
just been
can't
coming
have a
down
civil
to, you know,
conversation with
I
these
probably would've-
gentlemen. I tried
if we
having a
could have
civil
even too. Again, this might
conversation
have
with
not
these
even been an
gentlemen,
option 3 years ago at the time,
and they want
when
to
the
turn
home arcade
around
scene was
and
sort of new at that time too, when we were
keep
coming
name
out to
calling and
pre-COVID times, right?
call me
or
a
during COVID
racist.
times, right?
You know,
It was new to the licensors and publishers as well too, of a lot of these
which is
arcade
furthest
games. They
from
weren't
the
used to
truth.
people really coming
If
to
he
them
wants to
en
go down
masse,
that route,
and
I've
now
got
there's more
receipts
companies
too
than
of me,
just
him, and
the
having
3 that
friendly
you guys talk
banter
about all
back
the
and
time, too.
forth
There's
with
even more,
KC
right? So
to prove
they
that
can
we were
demand different
buddies.
prices and stuff now too, of course, is how that works, right?
so-
Supply and demand. But
Um,
so I don't really know back then if the
yeah.
licensing was an issue or not, even
which is
too.
nice,
I
and
can't even say that.
you know, I
But
did catch
that's what I
wind
would
of
have done. Is I would
Messiah,
have gotten different titles. I would have gotten
saying he's got me
really
blocked
less
on
titles
a
and not
iArcade
launched with,
page.
or not announced such a
No,
big
no,
announcement
that's
of titles. I
totally
would have started
untrue.
with probably 20.
What he did
22.
do,
We started
because he's an
originally technically
administrator of
30,
the
but we
Old
had
School
like
Gamer
200
magazine,
announced
which you
by that
should
point,
not
right?
subscribe
But I probably would
to
have
and not
announced
watch
20
the
or 30,
video on
and then
YouTube
just
or
built
subscribe
from
to
there,
them on
essentially,
YouTube.
and slowly gradually did it. But yeah, again, hindsight's
Right,
20/20.
he blocked me from that group
That's how it goes. So.
for a month.
But yeah,
And
of
you know
course,
why
it's
he
games.
did that
It's
is
a
because I
console.
put
Games is what
an
makes or
angry
breaks it,
emoji
so.
face on his
Yeah, and
post,
we understand that. It's
which
just
is supplied by YouTube
we're
or
also at
Facebook
certain
to
limits
begin with.
all the time.
which is
so again, it's always a
allowed.
catch-22. You know,
Yeah.
you have a small
And he
user base,
blocked me
okay, so
for
we can't-
don't bring the
we
drama
don't
to
really want to put our
that
games on a
channel.
small
He
user
blocked
base.
me for
Okay,
drama.
well, we can't grow the user
Right,
base
so,
until we have the right games. We can't get those right games.
that
until
tells
we
you all
have
you
the
need to
user
know
base. Again,
about
you're
these
just stuck.
people.
You're stuck in this loop, right? And you're just like,
that
okay,
something
so then you
simple
start
as an
reaching outside the
angry
box
face
all the time,
emoji
too,
gets
and then,
them
you
so
know,
triggered.
and that's what we've had to do for 3 years, kind of. Honestly.
So yeah,
Like,
I
we
would
clawed our
not
way up,
watch these
so,
guys'
and-
channels and just move on to
So here's another question.
to happier channel
iArcade
content,
is known for having
where
these,
there
like,
is no
game
drama.
jams, these unfound like great games, whether it be retro, modern.
I'm so sorry that we have
what's
to
probably
see
one of your favorite games.
all these
you
guys
managed to
disrupt
bring
the
to
chat for
iArcade
Michael
that
Svabek,
you
because this
think
is probably the
one
last time we're
everybody
going
should
to
check
see.
out? I mean,
and,
not saying to buy
or
it
hear
now,
him.
if they have it.
You know
they
what I
should spend
mean?
more time with, or one that
That's
you're
so
really proud that you
disrespectful
got
of
on the
those
system.
guys.
So Ninja Baseball Batman, of
So
course, is like the big
disrespectful.
one there because that was just a licensing nightmare for the longest time, and we were able to pull it off because we met the person who was initially the problem, essentially too. So, which is great. And they said, "Oh yeah, you guys want this?" We're like,
Okay, just be right back
and
here
then
for a
IREM was
second,
like,
guys.
"Yes, you can have it. For here's your pricing and stuff like that too." And IREM is probably any IREM game, honestly, that's on the system. 100% IREM makes fantastic arcade games. They're all bangers. They should be AAA titles. They just, they came out at a different time for the arcade heyday, honestly too. They just didn't have the right marketing, the right funding behind them maybe back then. But the games that IREM makes, every single IREM game, In the Hunt, R-Type, of course, and we have R-Type Leo, that whole series. Moon Patrol, of course, started it all off for them too. Beyond that, too, Ninja Baseball, Batman's IRM game too. So the IRM games, the Toll
Alright, I'm
Plan
back,
games would be
guys.
the other ones too. If you can't get them on
Yeah.
other systems, Toll Plan just makes
Let's see,
fantastic.
do I
If you
have
like
the
shmups, if you like shoot 'em
Circus
ups,
Interstellar? I
Toll
don't
Plan
think I
shooters
have
are
that
always
one.
amazing.
I
And of
think
course,
games
like
that
Trucks is
can
in
be
that mix
easily
as well.
emulated
Love Trucks.
elsewhere.
My favorite games.
Trucks.
I won't buy.
The original
but
Trucks,
it's
though.
all the
I
modern
like
titles
beating my head against the wall
that
on
I did
scoreboards.
pick up.
So
Yeah.
two's a little easier, but I like Trucks to 1. Otherwise, Rage of the Dragons is a very rare title that you'll probably not see anywhere else too. So Rage of the Dragons is another one if you like fighters. I would say that's probably a good one, especially too. That's like a very rare title that I'm.
Yeah, I agree,
super
Papa
stoked we
Brett.
got that
I
one
agree.
as well too, because that game it's good. It's a good fighter. It's way better against an opponent than the computer. It's a real person you can probably beat. We've gotten through the game against the computer, but it's hard. But yeah, so those are probably my big ones. I would say that people like definitely if you're looking for something that you've missed. Those are all kind of hidden gems that are just really, really good arcade. If you like arcade games,
Well,
you will enjoy
the
every
devs
single
should
one of
just
those games,
contact
100%.
iArcade and get
Hands
that game
Yeah.
released for
What about
free,
modern
if
games,
that's the
like,
case.
I'm
I'm sure that'll happen in the upcoming days.
What
So,
is the one
my
that you're
theory,
really, really
Obsidian,
super proud of?
is the
Of course,
fact
Donut
that
Dodo is the
Yeah.
thing that people always talk
Intercity
about.
Games, and I forget
And
what the
it
other
was so funny when we
developer,
released Donut Dodo, and people were like, "What the
it
hell?"
escapes me at this moment,
is
gave
even this?
they're started
And
giving
then
their
we're
games
and then
away
it's
for
like
free.
everybody's favorite game. We're like,
I think
it's a good game.
other
Yes,
indie
it is a
developers
good
that are on iArcade are
I'm
going to follow
I'm glad
suit with
Donut
that.
Dodo took off, and it's been successful in other
just to
systems,
send-
too. I'm glad they brought it to like the
to
Atari
send a
series
good
and stuff, so
message
I'm super stoked.
Evercade,
at the end of the
Evercade just had
arcade's
his
existence.
game of the month last month.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right,
like
because they're doing their indie.
the developers like
indie
Taito and
thing
that,
too. Their indie
they're not
company,
going to make their
whatever it's
games
called, I forget
free,
what it's called, but yeah.
right?
I can't
They're gonna
remember.
they're gonna
Yeah,
go
so
down
much
with the
news that
ship
goes out.
and
Pixels and
grab
Amazing
all
Development
revenue they
do that,
can
yeah.
until they
The dude
can't
who does those
anymore.
games is amazing. So,
But the indie
fantastic
developers,
designers,
like I said,
he's coming from
I think
AAA
this
as
is a
well.
good move for
I'm
them to
gonna
do
get
it.
to the super
Because
chat
you're going to
questions
get
in a
people to
second,
play
guys.
your
There's
game
personal
because
questions
it's
here I
free. If
want.
it's free, why
But
not
yeah,
try
that,
it?
so Donut Dodo, of
You're
course,
gonna get people
Galacticon,
to try
of
their
course,
game.
is up there too.
And if people
other
do
really
like it,
ones that people have missed over, of course,
word of mouth
Oddmars.
can spread, and we can make
Everybody
even
loves
videos.
Oddmars.
People
Oddmars
that
great,
have the ability
but
to
it's
make
not
videos if they like the
necessarily
game,
my
and
favorite
you can
but
spread word of mouth about a
Oddmars
game
up there.
that way.
Probably
And especially with
Riptide
the
would be
devs'
my
logos that
third
show up in
there
your
as well, too.
videos,
Riptide's just so good.
it's
and they did so
recognition.
good with the online for that game as
And
well,
if
too.
the right
It's so
person
awesome.
watches the right
That
whatever
game
and
will be
likes their
online,
work,
by
they
the way,
could get into
because that's their
contact with them
service.
and
That's on
open
our
up a new
servers.
door
So Riptide
of
GP
opportunity
Renegade
for
will
these
be
guys.
online,
So
available for 8-player online play.
I think this is a good move for the developers
Forever.
to do this.
Until they take down their own servers, honestly, which will never happen. So yeah, but yeah, Riptide. If I'm going to choose the top 3, it's those 3. Yeah.
So really quickly, Hassan
So you're
Price,
saying
can
it's
you
not
answer
in the
some
store?
Random non-super chat questions. Yes, I just did. I'm just trying to catch up here.
But I know
man.
I'm a little leery
So,
about just giving my
going down
cab ID
here,
out.
This is another one I wanted to talk about. So good timing on this one right here. $2 super chat. Why did mutant football never happen? We already know the story with that. So basically, what happened was there was just some kind of glitch in the system from porting it over, and from what I remember,
Yeah, there's probably
it
not
was
going to be
on
any more
them that they
updates
were
for
gonna
most
fix
games
it
on the arcade
order
right
for you
now.
guys to get it
I
to
think
work
the
in your
only
system,
dev that's
and
going to
they
work on
just-
update
they
right
couldn't
now
do it or
for
whatever like that.
iArcade
We would
is
have
Heavy
had to
Metal
do Google on
Titans
that
just to
one
get
in
the
order to get it
game
running properly for
the
performance.
best it could
Yeah,
possibly
which was
be before
clearly,
they close the
not something
system.
that we have a
Now,
contact with. So
You're going to hear it
So,
here first
the
from me,
reason why I do
guys,
wanna bring
because
that up,
I have
it's good
a
timing, but I
relationship
do
with
wanna
the
get
lead
through some of these
programmer,
super chats, 'cause
Renzo.
I've been leaving them off.
And,
People are asking these questions, and
The next
just
patch
catch up on these. And then
is
I'm gonna
ready to
back
go.
that. Vaisal,
It's just they're testing it out,
awesome community
with Michael Svabek. And I'm
How are you doing
hoping
personally? You gonna
the
be
new
okay? Do you
update
have
for that
Patreon
game
or
will be
anything for
pushed out
creators? Thank you
possibly
for all you have
tomorrow.
done.
It
Michael's
sounds
gonna be
like.
fine. He's like the number
he didn't
one
confirm.
free agent in the
Um,
arcade and gaming
But
space.
it sounds like it's
Believe
going to be coming soon. And
See
it's
if I stay in
probably
this
going to be
space
the last
specifically, or if I go
update
back
for
to
Heavy
AAA,
Metal
but yeah,
Titans
we'll see.
because
I'm
tomorrow's
gonna do everything
Tuesday.
I can to make
I
it
don't
stay
think
in
there's
this
enough
space.
time to create another build
Thank you very much for the
after
super
this
chat,
one that's
Vaisal.
coming out.
So, we also
Probably
have one from
tomorrow. I don't
Mystery
think there's going to be
Encoder
enough
here.
time to get another build
Is there any
after
chance
that. If there's
possibility
anything
down the
else
line
wrong
that
that
the
needs to be
company gets
changed with the
bought
game,
back
so
out
I
from
hope
bankruptcy by John or
there was
yourself
enough
or another person company and makes a
input
comeback. So
that
this is
I
interesting because I
gave
heard
these
about
guys
something
during my
called,
live streams
start,
of
stop
QA
that
QA
companies can
testing the
do.
game.
So is this a possibility?
I hope I open their eyes that they know
You
what they
can't
need
answer
to
that.
do
This one's kind of, well, no,
for
it's
the
not,
final
I
update.
can't. It's just beyond me, honestly. This is my first
so
time dealing with this kind of
fingers
stuff, too,
cost.
so I'm
I'm
still
very
learning a
excited
lot.
to check
I
this
believe
update
that is
out,
possible.
as soon as it becomes available.
That's sort of what they do. They try to sell off the assets again, which would essentially be kind of that, right?
Yeah.
Could they restart it again like that? You could try, but like, you'd probably honestly be better off just building an entire system. But I don't know. You know, if somebody's looking to foot the bill, you know, that's a
Yeah, if you're
possibility,
watching
I
this
guess,
on a
but
cell phone,
I
turn your
honestly
cell phone
don't know.
sideways. You could see this better sideways.
Yeah, I think so, but I don't know so.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you very much.
I'm
No,
watching
absolutely
this
not.
on
I
my
don't
cell
understand.
phone, and it is small. I know that, but if you turn your
I
phone
grew up
sideways and get it to
so
blow up,
I'm
it'll be
not-
bigger.
I'm not wealthy in any sense, right? I do well, but
Non-Nintendo emulation YouTuber RGT85 is here. $5.
Or is
super chat.
Mystery and
You guys
Quarter
obviously
fighting
had some
with our
relationship
like?
with
See,
Sega.
exactly.
You
They
have some
just
select
can't keep the
games on there.
drama
Did
out of
something
these
happen with
chats.
that,
They
or is
can't
that
be
just
civil.
Sega holding back?
No,
I know
it's-
the answer to this.
it's
Money.
a little bit of them holding back, but it's money mostly. Sega's they're just an expensive license. They're very
Well, of
expensive.
course,
license. They're
Sega. It's a
Yeah.
renowned
It's-
company. Of
they-
course,
they-
Sega's
they-
going to
they-
ask
they
for
already
got
big dollars
they've
for
got
the
history.
games.
They can afford to
It's just the games
like,
that Arcade got.
It was so exciting
you know,
when you guys first got those first couple Sega games. I mean, like Space Harrier.
Yeah, Space Harrier's good. Yeah.
Which one is it? Shadow Dancer.
Bonanza Brothers, no.
I was
Yeah,
trying to
Shinobi
remember
2.
which Shinobi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Well,
no.
it's not really Shinobi 2. It's Shadow Dancer.
It's
The
Shinobi.
only thing I
2.
don't get about Sega is why can't we stream the game?
So-
Like it shows it
the
off
se-
and
it's Shadow
generates
Dancer, The
more
Secret of
sales.
Shinobi
Like
is
I don't,
what it's called.
I
Yeah.
don't get why they wanted
Direct
to
sequel to Shinobi,
ban
yeah.
the
They wouldn't give
Well,
Shinobi 1 though, I heard, in the
HDMI
original deal.
on those games. I really don't.
Yeah, it's a very
I'll
different
doesn't
game
make
than the
any
first one.
sense.
Yes, 100%. It's like
So-
Castlevania and Haunted Castle. Very two
Yeah.
different games.
Oh, Haunted Castle's horrible.
Golden Axe would have been nice.
Yeah, actually, I made a video a long time ago talking about arcade ports that were actually better on the NES.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think Castlevania on the NES happened before Haunted Castle, if I'm not mistaken. So it was almost like a reverse port. So, yeah. Anyways, so thank you very much, RGT85. I think we all saw that in the initial launch, and we were like, "Oh man, they got Sega. We expect Sega games."
Like
I think
Michael
that's
was
one of the
hinting
ones
at
that came
House of
up
the
that we
Dead
were just
coming.
like,
We could have got
I
that light
really
game
wish
on the
more Sega
arcade,
games came
right?
up. And I'm gonna.
I mean,
I'm
I
gonna-
wish that too. You know, it's not, of course.
But I really
We're
hope
never
with
trying to limit the games on the system. So it's just-
When we get the system
Yeah.
opened up and like
I'm
I'm
gonna
going
throw a
down
sell, though,
the
out here now. Thank you very much,
GRS
Sean. So
panel route,
the Sega relationship.
and
The dot
yeah,
Genie
I really
relationship.
hope with Glenn's
Streets of Rage
solution
4
we'll
is
be able
right
to get
there.
the games we want to get.
Did you guys ever?
You said like
I
as
know you
powerful
can't
as
talk about
Dreamcast,
games,
like
but,
maybe we
I
can
mean,
get like Virtual Fighter and
It's
stuff,
again, that's
like
up to Sega.
all that stuff.
Does it run on the arcade? 100%.
Kind of.
I've already
Yeah.
played it on my
Yeah,
machine.
see, look at
But-
that. The machine's powerful enough.
But beyond that, yeah, that's just a licensing thing too. And again, it's inexpensive. So
Yeah, yeah. We were all
That'll be
really
interesting.
hoping for Streets of Rage 4, and
I mean, so are we.
Bonanza Brothers
Streets of
isn't
Rage 2 is one of my
awesome
favorite
because
games
you
on
can
Genesis,
cheese the
so,
high
like,
score.
I
Like
grew
if
up
you
with
check the
Genesis and
leaderboards right now, Bonanza
that's-
Brothers, I'm like at the top at 999999999.
One man. Like,
All you
Streets of
got to
Rage
do
2
is just
good,
kind of. I
but
think
Streets
there's
of
a
Rage
part,
1 is
a
the
section of the
OG.
game
Streets
where
of Rage 1 is
enemies
the best.
respawn, and you can just sit
If we
there
put Streets of Rage
and just
2,
keep
especially
shooting and
on
shooting and
our
shooting
platform
until you
ever,
cap out the
right?
score.
We would have gotten such shit for it.
So
Because it's a
for score
console game
chasing,
and
you
not an
can
arcade
cheese it
game.
that
I
way
know.
because you
And
can't
people would have been
get
like,
any
why are you
higher
playing
than
console games in the arcade? You're
9999999.
missing the point, but okay.
Technically, Streets of Rage 2 is an arcade game because Sega actually brought their, I forget what it's called, the Sega. I want to say it's.
But
the
I
Sega
I would
Super
say
System,
Bonanza
but
Brothers
there
is
was an
alright. It has
arcade
almost
port
like a
of Streets of
Keystone
Rage 2.
Caper kind
It's
of
a console
vibe
game, but it was in the arcade.
when you play that one. It
fair.
takes some
Okay.
elements from Keystone Capers,
All right, so
throwing in their own little twist.
we're caught up with the super chats now.
Okay.
Thank God with that, so we can get to some of the other stuff. So now that you guys are moving,
Yeah, it has
on,
this
Johnny
unique art
Throat,
style.
the big
I'll give
project
it
you guys
that.
were working on,
Absolutely.
the seamless
Probably right.
gaming. So, from my mind, I thought this was a really good idea from the perspective of so easy to increase your user base at that point. There's no upfront cost for the system.
Yeah.
And plus, people that already have.
Yeah,
the
but it was a
system
bad
can
idea,
utilize
Michael
it.
B. And I've already
So,
explained that in my
was that-
previous videos. It's just
That
there's so
was
much
the big one.
saturation
That was
out
the one
there.
you
You
guys
can't
were gonna move
compete.
to, and that would have helped.
can't
get more
compete in the
games. That was
market.
the
Of course,
concept
yeah,
around it. Was
it would have all fed
increase
into the same
user
thing. Yeah,
base.
Steam
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Like,
'cause
I've got
and again,
this.
that expands your user base.
Like,
by-
you're gonna
by a
put the
much
same
different-
games on
a much
here
higher margin,
on
very fast
this
that,
with
so
an
that
app.
was that was the goal with that essentially.
Yeah.
That's
Because
not.
from there,
I
getting
I
games
have
is
this.
a much different story.
I
right?
don't need an app with iArcade.
Yeah,
Like,
there was a
I-
super chat
like,
here
I
from
enjoyed
Console
playing the
Fanboy
games
on
on the
this
actual
because I wanted
arcade
to
machine. That was
reword
not
it
the
a
way
little
to
bit. I
go.
might have done it. So here we go. And I know that you're not going to be able to talk about. You can't really talk about licenses. You can't talk.
Honestly,
about, please
iArcade.
talk about the major games. You were
Another
promised to
thought:
release.
when they
Doesn't
came
matter
out, maybe
anymore.
they
You
shouldn't have
talked
been an
about one of
arcade
them.
cabinet company.
I
Maybe
don't
they
know- I
should have
still
been a
can't focus on
handheld
it,
like
yes,
the Steam
sort of
Deck,
talked about that
you know,
before, we
or
can do
those
that.
other
Thank you
products
so
that are
much
coming
for
out
the
now
super
that I
chats,
can't think of the
Alvaro. I knew
name
he was
for.
gonna say
But you
that.
guys know what I'm
I
talking
wanted to
about.
change it to say. What
Maybe
game
that's
would
what they
you like
should have
to
done
bring?
in the beginning.
I am going to ask you that. Blue
And
Sky
didn't
scenario.
didn't become a home
Blue Sky
arcade
scenario,
console.
If
You know what I mean?
you had as much money,
But that's all
and,
hindsight
you had
talk.
the
What
ability
ifs?
to bring anything
Who
there,
knows if that
what
would
are
have
some of
panned
the
out?
biggest
They would have
games,
got
not
in
just arcade,
before the
but
Steam Deck
also
came out. and
you know,
whatnot,
games that are,
and they might have got a
whether
leg
be
up
indie
because
or
they
games
came
that
out
are,
after the
like,
Nintendo
you know,
Switch, so they
console
could
and
have had
PC
better
games that would work
better
well on an
hardware if
arcade
they
console.
might have
What
came
are
out
some of the
with
ones
their
you would
own
have loved to have worked with and brought to the iArcade?
hardware like this,
I mean, Shredders would have been
right?
great.
If
We
they
were
would have
talking about
developed
that
something like
already.
that.
Yeah.
That would have been like during this with the same release date. I always hated when we get a later release date. And I was like, man, it's not, you know, if you're 2 months later, I'm like, we've already missed the boat at that point, you know? But yeah, so that would have been a good one. I'm trying to think. Shovel Knight was a fun one that I really wanted for a while too. We tried with Shovel Knight for a while.
Yeah, Shovel Knight. It's
Shovel
too
Knight, I
bad we
don't know, a lot
couldn't
of people
grab
went
that the
Hollow
other
Knight
night.
too. That was okay on Hollow Knight.
That's
Other
too bad that
games-
wasn't on there.
I don't know, man. There's just so many games now. I'm trying to think. Now I'm like blanking.
I know,
on
it's tough, right?
Yeah,
trying to think,
that's
like,
the
one
thing.
more
A
even,
lot of
too.
good games could
You
have
go
been
back to, like,
ended up
an
playing
arcade
on
game.
that
Let me
if
see.
if they just had the opportunity to get those games.
I would have liked. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
Pardon
actually
me.
was a big one. that I wanted.
Yes.
Caddies and Dinos. Because that would have been fun for online playing leaderboard and stuff. I really wanted that game too. That was another one. Is there one more? I don't know. I'll think on that. There's a lot of games. There's just-
I've got
there
a friend of mine that is the biggest Cadillacs and Dinosaurs fan in the world. Like, he keeps talking about it. He wants it to happen. And if I'm not mistaken, unfortunately, there's
Well,
a Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
it's not gonna
that's
happen
based
now.
off some kind of other IP.
Not until
like
we,
there was a
mod the
cartoon or
arcade, then
comic
we'll
book or
have it.
it's
something
something
like
like that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not easy. It's not like it's just Capcom. It was Capcom when made Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
That's Capcom. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not as easy as just talking to Capcom, because then you have the party on the outside as well. So I remember when I went to Galloping Ghosts, that was one of the arcades I intentionally looked for, just so I can send him a picture that I got to play it. So
Well,
yeah,
that's like
Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
Yeah,
were
like
Well, look
Ninja
at
Games,
Messiah in the
like,
chat.
character
They've
rights were different than the actual.
Their
game rights and
fundable
stuff, so we had to
promise
pay different things for
Shredder's
that. So that's how
Revenge
that
and
works.
other
Yeah,
games.
it's weird.
I
It's
have
weird in
it
those
in a
scenarios, right?
web
When you're just like,
archive.
it's just the game.
Why
right?
did you flag
or
it
game
false
like,
when it's
like
recorded?
Lethal
When
Forces.
it's
Yeah.
Those are
it's
like real
recorded,
actors and stuff in
Jong
there,
made
too, and I
it.
think they would have to pay royalties and stuff to them. if
Man,
you
that's
license
hard
that
English
game.
to
It's
understand
something
what
like
he's
that. So
saying.
like that's probably like a weird license as well too, or like maybe you could edit it potentially, but
I don't
would they
understand what he's
let you
getting
edit all
at.
the faces
Business
in the
is
game?
business.
That's
Sometimes
also
you
gotta be up to Konami
get
at
it,
that point, right?
sometimes you don't.
There's
Yeah,
some tricky stuff sometimes.
it's one of the challenges that Arcade 1-Up deals with, because they can go out and they can get these licenses. Like, they got an NBA Jam.
Yeah, money,
Then you can't
money,
get all the players,
money,
so you
money.
gotta do this weird
money.
like workaround and stuff like
It's
Yeah.
that.
all about money.
And then you got people saying, "Well, it's not arcade accurate." So
Arcade only had so
but
much
it's
money
kinda
to
as best
play
as you're gonna
with
get for, like,
from
official
the
written
Kickstarter.
project.
Apparently,
Yes,
from
how
what
it
I
goes.
heard, what did
Like,
they start with? The
well, now we
Kickstarter
can talk
13,
about other
14
companies.
million
It's fun.
dollars.
We can do this with you now. So, like, Arcade 1-Up, for example, like, one of the games people
So,
want.
You know,
more
you
than
gotta
anything else
watch
is
where that money
WrestleFest,
goes.
right?
You can't spend
Love
too much money
WrestleFest.
on
I
expensive
love it.
licenses because
But
you're
I
just going to
mean,
eat a
that's gotta be
huge
one of the
chunk
biggest
into your
licenses
initial
in the
investment
entire world.
cost.
Simple as dead center in the ring.
And
You
you're
gotta
taking
edit that
away
out
from
first.
growing
Yeah.
growing the
WWF
business.
back then, right? No longer the World
One
Wildlife
game
Federation,
license
but,
isn't going to help you grow the business.
There's that. There's of course the characters
I would say
themselves.
quality over
And
quantity.
I'm sure there's other branding in there somewhere in that game that I'm not
Or
thinking
no,
of.
is
There
it the
could be
other way
sound bites as
around?
well, too.
Well, you
Audio
should
is
still
very
have quality
difficult
games,
to
but
edit
more
into
quantity of
games, too. It's
lesser.
really
Actually, what I
hard.
want to say,
Audio
lesser
can be
quality
just
games,
such a pain.
but more quantity.
But yeah, so there
You
could be
don't
like
need to
sound bites
have
as well too.
have
that are
one
in there, like
banger
maybe some of the
because
taglines and
with
stuff
the
I'm trying to
business
think of for
model
car, but-
is based
or
on
if
the
there's
game
just any other
sales.
specific
You
music
can't spend all your
or
money
things
on a
too, so
banger
yeah, there's
title
those
and
things you have
then
to take into
only
account
have
too,
a
so
few
yeah.
of them.
If you got a
And
Virgin
then
Atlantic
sure,
game
maybe the
license,
whole
it's
user
probably
base
gonna
buys
be
it, but then that's
in a
it.
butcher
Very
unfortunately,
different
Like you
from
need the
the
money to
original.
cash
It's
flow
gonna
to
be very
keep coming in
different,
from
yeah.
game
Which isn't
sales.
necessarily a bad thing,
You need more
honestly.
quantity
You-
quality
but I mean,
games.
but again, it's
Quantity
it's nostalgia
quality
buy, people
games.
want the real
So you have to
So
find that
that's
halfway
it's a
mark,
different space, right?
really.
That's why we're a very different product that we were making. We are a sort of nostalgia
In
buy,
this
but
case.
sort of not, right? So that's kind of where we fit in.
I think that would have
you could argue
saved them.
Atkins
They
is
needed
kind of
more
the same way
games that
as well,
people
too.
were really willing
But
to
if
buy
you're gonna like sell
and not
sort of
return
replica
after the
cabinet, that's a nostalgia buy
half-hour
100%. So
trial window.
or a big IP, right? Or like the kid wants the wrestlers on the cabinet, right? So
Yeah, English. I
Again,
don't know
there's
if
other
someone
things
can decipher
Yeah,
what
that's
Messiah
hard
was
one.
saying in
That's
the
hard
chat, because I really don't understand what the hell he's saying.
Jason, WrestleFest needs to be exact ROM, WWF or no buy.
it just wouldn't be. It just wouldn't be. This
It's impossible.
unrealistic.
It's impossible. So if you want like a, even like a, it's not just arcade.
It's
one-off,
hard to
even
communicate if
New
you can't
Wave
understand the
Boys
other
or
person,
Porter
you know what I
Arcade's
mean?
Got the rights to
True.
same thing. Like it's
Yeah.
just completely unavoidable, unfortunately. Sean knows WrestleFest is impossible. Like even from the fact of another game on your cabinet, Retromania.
Probably he
Wrestling
needs to take a
has the
deep
Legion
breath,
of Doom in it.
and so he could
Because they're
formulate
not under contract.
what he's
with
trying to
WWF
say
anymore, so
properly.
it's very likely they might not be in WrestleFest. Anything's
It's
possible.
like Kung Fu Panda that
But
lessons
Microsoft
Tofu
had to license all of those wrestlers
teaches.
to use them in the game
with-
too.
when the- with the
Realize that
rippling
they
water,
had to pay all those guys to
right?
use them in the game.
If you
too,
let
so
the
that was an
water
expensive ratchet
settle,
for them.
like
Oh,
your
yeah,
mind
big time.
becoming
Actually,
clear.
Do you know that actually started out as
You'll
a
be able to
YouTuber
see.
wrestling game? RGT85 was going to be one of the characters.
Oh man,
That's not a joke, honestly. There was
I would have played that.
There was a bunch of
100% too.
YouTubers. It was going to be a wrestling game with like the Game Chasers, RGT85, like all these guys from the home retro gaming space, and it morphed into Retromania Wrestling. I
Yeah,
always
those
find that
indie
so
games are
amazing
fun. Like we
what
don't
the game
need
eventually turned into.
expensive licensed games
All right, so any
that
more
we've
developers
played
reach
elsewhere
out,
before,
offer free
especially if
games?
it's
I
an
thought that was such a-
emulated title, right?
We actually talked about this already.
Yeah, we
They
did,
should have
but
went
I
for
just
more
wanted to
indie
say, I
developers. That's
think
sad to
that
say.
that was such a
Like
cool
that's what
thing
made this
for
cabinet stand
all
out from the arcade
developers
one
to
up.
really say, like,
And the
"Oh,
At Game
man,
is
I feel so
Legend.
bad
If
for
you
the
just filled this
community.
cabinet
Try
full
to do that.
of
I
modern
know it
indie
was
title
impossible for you,
games
Michael,
and like
because,
the
it's
Dead
just-
Cell
you had
themed,
to do everything.
like
so.
my god,
Yeah, but I mean, it's
that's
but I
where
mean,
their
I'm here
money
for the
should have been
community right now, too.
spent.
Like this is.
and
oh my
because
God,
those
too,
games
so
sell,
this-
those
through and
indie
through, we're
games
still here for
that
the
sell,
community.
but
So, like,
but you got to get
Yeah,
good,
it's been great.
really good.
And yeah,
better-
and
some
we're not
better
even asking
indie
for that
games
from
than
those,
what we
by the
did
way,
get.
those posters we put out for these
Um,
guys.
I'm not going to
They're
mention any
literally,
names
the
because I
actual
don't want
developers are
to
coming to us and saying,
disparage
"Hey,
any
can you do something for
developer.
free?" I'm like, I
Um,
can do it. I can
but
do
I
it.
know which
Absolutely, yeah, if that's what
games
you wanna do, I'm like, so it's super nice. Of them. These
shouldn't
guys
be
work
on that cabinet. Like
tirelessly on
they
these
were
games,
wasting
too,
their time
whether you know it
having
or not,
them
whether
on
you think
there.
it's a crap game or not. Even too.
And
all
some of
these
those indie
games
games are
are
really, really
in their
fun.
own rights, like they take time to develop.
And if there
Somebody
was
put
more
their
of
blood, sweat,
those
and tears
type of
into
games
this,
on there,
so you have to respect
the
that.
ones I
At the end
found
of the
really,
day, that
really
they're giving
fun
that
and
away
paid
free,
money for
right?
and kept going back to, that's what would have
Yes, there is a
made
two-player
this
ROM for
cabinet
WrestleFest. Steps
really
Gaming.
good
There is. Yeah.
and separated it
Yeah.
from anything else
$2
there
super chat.
out
Pretty sure
there.
the Lethal Enforcer actors are dead. Stringer Film
I'm pretty
says.
sure a lot of the WWE people are dead
Yeah,
too.
it's
But-
unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Michael Jackson's dead, but you're gonna try to get Moonwalker? You
Yeah.
know, it's-
So,
And
someone
that's
asked
the
this
other
earlier,
thing
and I
too,
don't know
Brad.
if
You
it
bring
was
up a
super
good
chat or
point.
just
They
someone asked.
you
I'm
have to
sorry
have
if I
more
missed
expensive
it.
titles on there
But,
too,
like,
so you
gun
can
games,
eat
like, that was
and grow the
something that
business.
We're all so excited.
Selling a
we were
game,
questions,
we were
Michael,
ready
I'll let
to
you take
for
it.
yeah, we were trying to
$10
go
or less.
gung ho with gun games too, 'cause we knew you guys wanted them too,
that's
right?
actually
Yeah, it was like,
there are games on there that
if
are
we were
like
gonna do it, it was well worth to do it,
$5.99
so
and
we wanted to
less.
get more games for you guys, so.
You're not in this
Unfortunately,
economy.
we can't release
You're not
anymore.
you're not
Yes,
going to
we
do
were
well
working
making
on
that
more
little off
licenses
of a
with
game.
those two, we just can't talk about
You
it.
need
It's
games
not-
I
that
remember,
like I
like,
mentioned before
I-
that are
I- I
around
can talk
$30
about
would
it
be a
because,
good
like,
price
when
point.
we
Like
were in Chicago,
I
the
would
night
say no
before we
higher
went
than
to
what Dead
arcade,
Cells
I
is.
remember being in Gallop and Ghost.
Go
and I
after
can tell you,
games
like,
that are
Michael
around
was
that
there
price
doing
point.
R&D at the arcade.
I'm
like,
willing
playing
to spend
games.
money
We were
on
trying to find,
games like
hidden
that.
gem gun games that would make sense for the system.
And that's
So,
where they should have
like,
went.
you guys really, like, no one knows like how far ahead and how much work goes into like picking these games out, then exploring the licenses and stuff like that. So it's tough. Like we got two, but it would have been a lot.
Well, the
more
problem
if
is
we
you
wanted
also have to
a
get the
lot,
right
lot
people
more.
around you to give you good advice in business.
All right.
And I don't
And
think in this
here's
case
the other thing I
they
wanted to
got good
ask,
advice.
because
The games list kind of tells you that.
I wanted to talk about this communication
hindsight-wise, that's what I see going forward. Like it seems like it's a curated games list that for somebody for an individual person. You know what I mean? When I came in the year before like they had the Mayhem Brawler, like all those other games. Like it just seems like it was somebody's specific game list. It's not something what the community
and I
wanted.
felt at that time,
You know what I mean? That's what it kind of felt like. Am I right or am I wrong with
But it
that
almost made you guys pull
feeling?
back a little bit too much from talking about some of the things that were exciting, like Jung's tagline.
It wasn't
before
really
was,
till the
"Anything is
community
possible."
started getting on
But then
them
after
about the
the
games they
Football
wanted.
League,
When and I think that's when they started to
Then it
listen
was
and
like,
they
anything is
they tried to go
possible, but I
after
can't talk about anything unless it's 100%
those good titles. I think Prince
already
Malcolm
done.
played a big
So, like, do you
part
feel
in
that
that.
that
Like
kind
I've
of,
seen him
maybe
in
took
his
some of your wind out of
communications
your
with
sails with,
devs,
like, longtime fans,
frequent
because they
communication
wanted
with
to hear about
devs.
the cool, exciting things
so
that could happen. But you guys were
part of me
like, "No,
feels
we
he
can't
had
talk about
a
that stuff
role
now.
to
We don't wanna
play
talk
with
about
getting some
anything
of those other games to the
until
arcade
we're at the
that
point where we
we're
can
enjoying to this
officially
day.
announce it." So did it make it hard to talk about the future and talk about where you guys were going?
Yes and no.
So,
Not
shout out
really,
to you, Prince
honestly. I
Malcolm.
think at that point we did
Lots
pull
of
back
love,
a little
brother.
bit, of
You
course, at that
keep
point, too.
keep
You
safe
know,
out
you
there
don't
on
want to disappoint the community
with
too.
your job in law
the people,
enforcement.
the fans
Stay
of your
safe
product,
out
right?
there.
You don't want to disappoint
Lots
them,
of
so you
love,
want to
brother.
tell them something, and it doesn't happen, right? So of course that like affected us.
I enjoyed your
pretty heavily,
character in
but,
Heavy Metal Titans,
beyond
by the way,
that,
Prince
afterwards,
Malcolm. I
too,
love that
it was
you
more
come
just
in.
like,
I believe it's a
okay,
Lamborghini,
how can we do this going
and you
forward?
pop
Like, what's the
out,
best
and
approach
Prince
to it?
Malcolm
And
is
usually it's
here.
just like, it's ready,
You did
drop
very
it,
good
let's go.
voiceover
You know,
work,
get it
Prince
out there, right?
Malcolm.
And a lot of times, unfortunately, I was having to fly by the seat of my pants.
Put some
for how
thought
we
into
work, but,
pursuing that as a
with all of
career.
our systems,
You
and
sounded
again, we're a
really good in that
skeleton crew
voiceover.
through and through, honestly.
Yeah.
Even when we were in a big hiring phase too, we're still a very small company, right? So with that, I'm working with people night and day all the time, and it's just getting things out there sometimes. Like, I've got 10 things that I'm working on, and my brain
look
is
at how hard
50 different places right now.
Look at how hard
talking to
this guy works.
30 different people.
This,
and I've
this
got
guy's gonna
emails
be
respond
fine.
to,
Go
and then
after
I
I
got
arcade Michael
community
Svabek.
stuff
He'll
to
be
deal with
fine.
too, right? Like,
He'll
I got
be
some of
okay.
you
We don't have to
knuckleheads
worry
causing
about him.
problems or something for me too. And like every time
The
there's a
biggest thing is
drama,
we're
it's
just
like,
gonna miss this guy. I
why
hope
is
he
somebody
keeps in
messaging me
touch.
now? What do we do now? I was like, I haven't even done anything. I'm like, I'm just trying to make a game here, like for you guys. I don't know
Yeah,
what you
the
want from me.
chat acknowledges
So, yeah,
Prince
so there's a lot
Malcolm.
of things that go into
Thank
that.
you,
But,
Prince
like,
Malcolm.
but yeah, it didn't necessarily cause us to pull back, but it did cause us to reevaluate things a little bit too, for sure. And it just, yeah. After that, it was more controlled, for sure. You could say, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would have liked to, stick to the plans, stick to my roadmaps and things.
Yeah, I've
too,
got
but a lot
Lethal
of times
Enforcers on
it's a
my
start, too, so
PC
things
through
just get
MAME.
thrown your way, different
It's a fun
opportunities
game.
and
I
different
actually got the
things.
sequel to the Wild
Yeah.
West. It's
Okay,
fun.
so I really got to let you go, Michael. I know you're busy and you got work to do, but
I told you, I can say as long as you guys want, but we're working on an hour and a half. If these guys
All
want
right.
to see my ugly mug, it's up to you. So.
I know it's a long
Okay,
stream that they're
so,
doing. It should
UI.
wrap up. It's getting
Islamic
to the end of
Armored
this.
UI update, like you said, we're going to be working on one of our.
Yeah,
biggest
we're not getting a
updates
new UI.
ever. Now,
They were
can
working
you
on it.
Answer that.
It'd be
Was it
interesting to see
UI
what it was
or
gonna
was
be
it the
like.
seamless
I'm really
game?
curious.
What was the UI
Well, it was
update?
both. It was both. So originally, at the time that we had first talked about it, that wasn't happening with the other project, the other software
Yeah.
stuff. Not quite that.
Yeah, some of those games
but we got
Obsidian would have
backlogged
been
for
nice
stuff,
on the
too. We were still
arcade. I
fixing
agree.
bugs in the system at that time too. The system was newer, adding features that people needed, like parental locks and things. So that kind of pushed it back a little bit, right? And then after it got pushed back, then we got into that other projects, and then it kind of got backlogged a little bit too. But those projects would have had the interface that you would have gotten ported to the platform itself too. So we would have taken that design and worked it over the system. And unfortunately, you guys haven't gotten to see that yet, and I don't get to show that off now because that's part of the assets of the company. I don't get to show off, but
So we can never see it.
you never get to see it now. Unfortunately, not. Yeah.
Was it cool? Just tell me if it was cool.
Yeah. I mean, we still keep things simple as possible for you guys, right? So Netflix for gaming kind of thing. You could think, if anything, but a little bit more organized, but similar to that pretty much too, because it makes sense for our system. So
Yeah, I think that's a business
sad
model a
when
lot
I
of
see
gaming companies are
nuts.
going for,
because
and
we
that's
work
an
so
interesting
hard on that,
take.
we don't get shown
Because
into it.
it's very
It
hard
kills me, but yeah.
to build a
so.
game library now when you're paying $90
Super
a
chat,
title.
$2.
So the
Replace
game
Lethal-
companies are
Lethal
going with
Enforcer
these
actors with the super
these
game room
altered
dudes.
tiers,
I think that's a great idea.
right, for
I would
subscription
absolutely
services.
play that
And
game
depending on the
100%.
tier, you're getting access to a lot of older games. But that's under
all
the
right,
guise
so, I'm not going to
of
keep too much longer, Michael. I
you're
really
paying a little
appreciate
bit more in
you
your
coming on
subscription
tonight.
service,
And also,
which is
I
going
appreciate everything you
to
did with
help pay
Arcade,
for
being so
for
easy
game
to get in
developers
touch
and
with,
stuff
talk
like that.
to.
And it's going to end up that
especially
only the
time we
rich
spent
people
together
can
in
afford to
Chicago, I
pay for
really
these
enjoyed the
games
time we
up
spent
front when they
with
came out at
I-
$90
I
a shot, and a
100%
lot of us
know
are going to have to
that,
wait for a price
you're gonna
cut or
be
wait for it to come up
absolutely
on the
fine. You'll
subscription
find
service
what you
as a
wanna
free
do.
game.
It's not as easy as just
Um,
finding your next job because you got to find something.
The
you're
business
passionate
model
about.
for video games
And
is starting
hopefully
to
it's in the home
change.
arcade
If
space,
nobody's
because a lot
paying
of us want
attention to
people
it, I
around,
am.
so,
Like the price
this
consoles are, the
sucks.
price
There's
that
no other easy way to say
PSVR
it. This
2
sucks.
is. Like
And I
what
wish
is the
things had
next
gone a little bit
system
differently, but
going to
we all
cost?
gotta thank you
Like
for
the PS6 or the
Arcade in
next
first place.
iteration
John,
of Xbox?
especially you. With
How much
everything
is it
you
going
did,
to
because
cost?
I think
And then
people
the
don't know you
games
really
as
went
well
above and
themselves
beyond.
going
Like,
forward.
You literally had to redesign.
You're
space
gonna
and
price a
make
lot
it
of people
work.
out of
On the
that
arcade.
market, and it's going to shrink the user base.
So I just wanted to say thank
And
you.
it's
I
gonna
think,
end up
A lot of people
collapsing.
here in the chat will agree as well.
Um,
Thank you very much for everything you did. And
it's where the
hopefully
indie
this isn't the
developers are
last
going to
time we
pick it
see
up
you in
because
this arena.
they're making their
But
games
if
more
it is,
affordable.
we know you're gone
And
in
if
better
you can
places.
make a device to
I'm
play
gonna
all
do
this
everything I
stuff
can.
on,
I'll figure out some way.
eventually
I'm gonna
they're
get
going to
Will
take
Played,
over
start up again.
these big
No, and I mean it's a big thank
gaming
you to
companies
you and
down
all
the
of you guys too
road.
in the
This
chat,
is what I
and
foresee in the
I mean,
future.
again, this has been a community project through and through.
Because at what
ever since
point,
the
how
start, right?
much
That's why we've been a
new
very,
hardware
very open
do we
and
need,
front-facing
really?
company too, because we wanted it to be a
Like
journey
the
together, too, and
PS5 and all that stuff,
you know,
as
we try
powerful
as-
it is,
as
like
best as
why do we
could
need
to
anything
do
more
that, too, and of
powerful
course
than
we
that?
can't let
Like,
you in on everything all the time.
where are we going
but
with it,
if I
right?
would. But yeah, so it really has thanks so much to the community.
Why can't we just have
as
the
always, of
hardware
course,
for
too,
a
thanks-
long time
thanks,
and just
Michael,
keep
for
developing
having me. I don't know
games
if we're ending
for it?
right now, but thank you guys for
You know.
all the shows and stuff too. You and I know P Dubs isn't here tonight, unfortunately, too. On of course Multicade Mondays.
It'll be
special,
better for the environment
but-
that way. Just keep making the dance like
I mean, I fully expect
they're
the P-dubs
powerful
to
enough.
show
We don't
up
need any
because,
more power.
I hope
Let's
he
just make
the way our
games and
streaming
stop
stuff works
and stop
is, we do it as a group,
hurting the
right? So
environment
we
by
have this
making all these
and all of us
and the
have access
precious
to it.
metals.
So if I'm live, literally
that are
he can
used
just
to
jump
put
on the
in this
computer and
thing
come
to
in.
make it.
So I
Right.
was
Carl
fully
jumps in if
expecting
anybody-
it.
I hope he just jumps
Yeah.
into the Arby's and like, this is gonna be great. You guys
I'm
don't know this,
surprised
but
Nostalgia never showed up.
I'm a huge Arby's fan too.
Oh
And,
yeah.
like,
I'm coming back to
Yeah,
the chat,
I don't even know
guys.
why. Like, I go in cravings for it, like, but there's none out here. There's one like near O'Hare, but it's like 40 minutes from me, so I'm not driving out to get Arby's. But I
There's
might.
no
still.
Arby's in Chicago. That's crazy.
Yeah, of course there's Arby's in Chicago. Why wouldn't there be? It's Illinois. What do you mean?
What you said? There's no.
Yeah,
where
I
are
wonder
you
what they're
now?
going to do about the Yule
Chicago.
log. I wonder where they're going to leave
But
the
you said there's
attract
no
mode
Arby's here.
when
There's-
it's all
there's-
said and
the
done.
closest one's
Or
40
they're going to
minutes
just
away.
leave what
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have
it's over
by
right
O'Hare.
now.
That's the airport.
Or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
So
if
every
he does
time-
or
every time I
maybe
watch the
Michael
show,
will do
though,
some
and he
kind of
talks
special
about it, I'm just
farewell
like,
type thing. But no, we're
I'm
not
dying.
getting a Yule
What do
log
you
app.
get there? Do you go
I don't
classic beef
believe,
and cheddar, or
unless
do you
that's
do
a
something?
surprise
Seasoned
thing
carrot,
right at
seasoned
the end,
carrot.
which I highly doubt. This is
Yeah.
Don't need
just.
anything more.
I would like a Yule
My wife
app,
was so
but
frustrated.
I highly doubt we're getting
We don't
that.
get to the U.S. very much, but when she was going to school in
And yeah,
Where'd
that's
she
the
go to
way I'm
school?
going
Law
with the
school,
PlayStation,
Fredericton, New
Xbox.
Brunswick,
Honestly,
it's
I don't think
actually
I'm.
only,
If they
4
come out with
hours
a
away from
PS6,
Bangor, Maine.
or
So we used to
like I
jump
don't
across
have
the
an
border,
Xbox,
and she'd be
but
like,
like
"Where do you wanna go
for
eat?"
for
And I was
the
like,
sake of
"Arby's."
argument,
Just
She was
watch
like, "Are
me.
you serious?"
the next iteration of these bigger
And I
consoles,
just
I'm
had
not
beef and
interested
cheddar,
in.
and I was like,
I'm
"Don't worry, I'll
done.
get you something afterwards.
I've got
You're
enough
good."
games to
Have a drink.
entertain me until I decease.
She
so
did not like Arby's. She was
I'm good
not
to go.
there for it, but what are you gonna do? We don't get it very often. Like you're like, "Oh man, it's 40 minutes away," and I'm like, "Yeah, I've had it once in like 15
Because
years."
as you get
Thanks
closer to
a lot."
retirement, you can't be spending that kind of money.
Wow, a few games
Gotta be
I
thankful
recently
for what
purchased
you
are now
have.
Free. What games? Examples: Jet Pins, UFS League.
Again, literally, even I didn't know that was going to happen. So
Yeah.
this was the developers reaching out to me very last minute, and that was it. And I said, "Hey,
Yeah, see, I told you, it's the dev's decision, and
Thank
you,
you
and
for the
I
super
explained
chat.
why I
All right,
think
well,
they
Michael,
did that.
I'll let you go now because I know you got work to do. I appreciate it, man, and
make me do more
you know.
work."
So
Go
keep
ahead.
checking the
if you ask me
store
to avoid work,
um,
you can.
That's fine.
periodically in
Well,
the
thank you
upcoming
very
days
much,
up
and
until
Michael, I
7
appreciate you being
p.m.
so
on
honest,
Wednesday, where they say the
hearing
store's
everything
going to
from
be
the
shut down.
community, answering as much as possible.
And I believe that's 7 p.m. Eastern time. Because
we
they're
almost
on
still got
Chicago
300
time.
people here. Do you have a couple more minutes?
So
I'm
keep
fine.
checking the
I'm
store
good.
right up
Fine,
until
yeah.
that date, everybody.
I'll tell you,
and
I'm terrible this
see,
way. If you guys want us to
if
go
there's any
and
other
answer a couple
games
questions,
are available for
just
free.
hear from the community, put a 1 in the chat. If not, we can let Michael get back to work.
Yeah, it was very nice of them for giving us for
Let's see.
free. And yes, I
It
like
takes about
Atari games
40
too.
seconds
It's,
for
Yeah, I
it's
was gonna say, I
amazing.
know it doesn't populate in real time.
I've got a bunch of
Yeah,
Atari
but
games on my
Thomas just said
AOU
hope
on
to
that
see you in
awesome
Cleveland,
sauce
dude.
build.
We hope that you.
It's fantastic. So much
Yeah, I'm
nostalgia.
hoping maybe I just talked to
Spider
you to
Fighter is one of
show
my
directly
favorite
today, actually, about
arcade
that, so
games of all
we'll see.
time for
I'm trying to
Atari.
make it if I'm close enough.
That
for
was a
sure.
very good
Again, but, like,
shooter
if I'm
if
overseas
you're
or something,
familiar with that one.
potentially,
Obsidian.
we'll see. Yeah.
Why are you going overseas?
I also
Are you
like to
leaving?
play
You're leaving
Sequest
home
and
arcades business,
River
you're leaving
Raid.
the country.
In UK and Europe, that are, like, we're looking really spicy right now.
Meteor
So they're making
Mania.
some good
Meteor
AAA
Mania
titles
was a
right there,
good one.
like actual AAA titles.
I remember playing
like
that one.
current gen AAA titles, right? So that's my area.
We're getting
Trying
lots
to
of
think what
one.
other
and
games
I
John
like to play
Kelvin
on that,
says one
that
Arby's.
are
More
good.
questions. All right, so
Michael and
I-
Michael still going.
I remember there was like
I
a
am- I am out
Goldilocks
of
and the
questions,
three,
guys. I
or
don't
not
really
Goldilocks,
want- I do have more
the
questions,
Three
but I'm
Little
not gonna
Pig
ask
kind
them.
of game. It was
So
called
you
Oink.
guys ask the questions. Throw them up there. If you got
So
something to ask,
you were like this pig
throw
in
it
a
up.
pig in a house, and there was like this wolf
Why didn't we get
underneath,
Metal
like
Slug?
trying to
That's
get
because
break
the
the
person
like
who was trying to
the
license
ground
that game for
underneath you
us,
to get you to fall at the bottom of the
what that
house,
ended up being.
and you had to keep
Sometimes
grabbing
it's
bricks
just
to
out of
keep
reach.
them out.
It is what it is.
That's how you'd score points. I was
They
following.
thought that was a sure thing, and then it turned out it fell through, and that was it. So
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too.
I don't think
Exactly.
we ever
A
officially
deal,
announced that ourselves, technically speaking.
deals fall through with game developers all the time.
think-
But it's even at the
No,
last
so it
minute,
was a long time ago.
especially
yeah.
if you have like a skin cabinet like Mutant League Football,
I
and
might
then all of a
also-
sudden, boom, it's done. But
Not
and
right
then,
now.
and then you
I'll
have
tell
all
you
these
after.
cabinets. So, like
All right,
instead
let's
of
see.
just destroying them,
Question
you
for
might as well
Michael. Which
sell
game
them. And
controller
yeah, it kind
works
of
for
sucks that the
USB
game
play
that the
games,
is
thanks,
skinned
on
on
the
it isn't on there. But then
Oh,
you know
I
if you
don't
buy the
think
cabinet, reskin
any
it
of them.
yourself.
So we disabled controllers for a
There you
long
go.
time for Bluetooth.
Really?
I don't know with USB. Honestly, I haven't tried plugging in like an Xbox controller to the system yet. It might work. The Android key codes on the back end are technically like Xbox and PlayStation codes. So if you plugged one in,
I'm gonna try plugging in a
honestly,
PlayStation.
it might be a little screwy because like our A button. our
Yeah, I'm gonna
A, B,
try.
C,
I'm gonna
and
try
stuff,
plugging my
I swap them
PlayStation
around if I need
controller
to
into
for
my
typically speaking,
iArcade,
like
see
A
what
is
happens.
A and B is B on like an Xbox controller. About the same.
What I
And, like,
did
you would
do,
use the
guys,
D-pad to play
is
like
I did
so
pair
maybe, honestly, you could
uh,
try it.
this.
Otherwise,
The
nothing that I
arcade
can, like,
recognizes
confirm
this as a
100%,
Bluetooth
unfortunately. I
device
have
when you
not
hook
tried
it up to
myself in a
Bluetooth.
while now.
and
But with
I've
Lens
actually
Deck, it's going to be
used it,
all
but
of Glenn's
it
stuff basically
doesn't
gonna
really
in
work so
different
much.
ways, so
I'll have to try it
not
again,
for every
but
game, not for
I
every
wasn't
game,
able to
100%,
actually
but
play any games with
yeah,
this.
if you get his board and stuff, you
But
can do
why
whatever
would I
you'd like
want
with it at that
to?
point, so.
Because I've got the
All right,
joysticks
so
and buttons, so I don't really see
Dark
the need
Empire
for
says,
that.
what happened to Colin? Maybe you guys missed the show because Colin was actually on there a
was.
little while ago.
He
So
lives. Everybody's
yeah.
always like, with Colin dead, he's alive.
Yeah, Colin is very alive. People might not know this.
Yeah, Brooklyn's
Colin
asking for monitor
originally,
replacement. There is a
back in the
person
day,
in
made his
the
first television appearance,
IRK community that made a post
commercial.
about monitor
So
swap.
I talked to him a little
And he
bit.
shows how you do
He
it. And I
noticed
think
I had a
he
Moosehead
lists the
sign in
monitor
the
that
back
he
of
uses.
my
It's a Dell
arcade.
monitor, but I don't know the
Let me in
model
on
number.
the gem and even sent me the commercial. If he gives me the go ahead, I might even show it one night just for old time's sake, because I do have access to it here on my computer somewhere.
I used to
Have
get
you
Moosehead
seen
all the
it?
time in Pennsylvania too, actually.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was always Yingling and Moosehead is what we had a lot. So
Yeah.
really enough.
like was it as potent there? Because
Hey, we're talking about beer now.
in the US
Yeah,
is a
this
little
sounds like the show
lighter.
should be
I don't
wrapping
think they
up
change
now.
it, but I don't honestly know. Yeah, people tell me that, but then I'm over here drinking like 8% beers all the time. It's just like, oh, okay.
There's not much more to talk about.
All right, let's see if we can find some good questions. Brooklyn Menace has one.
Yeah, I think
So,
it's Q&A
Now
time
we're,
for the peanut
sports
gallery
gonna
here.
Go away. Have you ever dealt with looking at any other monitors that could possibly work with the iArcade?
I
It
mean,
may
here,
be somewhat
here you go. Here's the
smoother,
answer for
though.
your
Future
monitor
endeavors,
problem.
we were using a different manufacturer and a different
Okay.
monitor entirely. Honestly, is what we were about to switch over to. So
Yeah.
Oh
would've
my
used a
god!
different
See,
one, but,
what all could have
what's the
been.
best replacement? I don't know. This isn't
If
my
the
area,
investor
honestly.
didn't
It's usually,
back
like the
out.
modding area. Yeah, you guys
It is
always
such
know
a
lot more than
shame
me,
that
honestly,
you
in this kind of
can't
stuff.
see this,
So I
like,
usually
where
learn
it was
from
gonna go.
watching videos that a lot of people on the internet.
Because
make.
I honestly
Good
think
enough.
they
So
had to
your comms are
reevaluate
like,
the
I know
cost
Fox
of
switching his
making the
screen stuff
cabinets,
too.
and instead of making
So
them
like
a
whatever
loss
he
leader
uses, I would
to
honestly
actually
trust
be
his video because he's
profitable.
done it himself already. So
Right.
Yeah, so I actually went with Fox because I'm actually doing not a modder. I was going to say this earlier, but I'm replacing the screens in my two Arcade 1-Up XL cabs, and I use Fox's advice. And to be honest with you, Fox is the kind of guy who's just like, yeah, I'm just going to buy random computer monitors and see if they work. That's how we found out. So
there you
it's
go.
it's just going to take somebody
must be
in the community just to try,
nice to have the luxury to be
basically
able to
bringing
do
up a
that, but
couple
good
different
on him for
monitors.
actually finding it out and doing the legwork for us.
Is there any
So
way we can
thank you,
download the
19K
screen
Fox.
servers a track mode before you guys go offline?
I've gotten this so many times now. Unfortunately, you can't because it has to be a push from the server itself.
Because
too.
we're going to need
I
to
can
know
target
this,
certain
because if
devices,
any of us
technically
have any
speaking, I'm not
problems
gonna
with
do
our
that.
machines going forward, there's not going to be
Maybe.
replacement
Maybe in a
parts. So we
couple
got to
situations I
kind
might
of
do
have
that.
to
And
know
I
what we
like,
got to
Prentice
do
asked
to
me for the
compensate
ULOG
for
too,
that.
so I'll give him that. But like, I can't
That's
do like
one
a
of the,
mass
like I
one for
said
everybody.
before,
Unfortunately,
that's one of the reasons why I'm buying that
everybody's
GRS
something
deck.
different, and,
I
like,
believe
you
that's
know,
going to be
if I
a
leave
limited
the
run,
ULOG up, then people are gonna
and
hate
it's a
me for
one and
life.
done run.
You know, there's gonna be half of you are gonna love it, and the other
So
half.
if you don't get it now, you're gonna
why
miss out.
on
I honestly
earth
believe
did you
that.
do this? And I'm burning this machine right
And
now.
who else is going to make a replacement deck for this machine?
So I will tell you, I don't think you sent me the message first.
Right.
I remember turning on
I would
my
think it
iArcade,
behooves
and then the
everybody to
ULOG
order
starts
that
up, and I
deck
was like,
just
oh,
to
they
have
did
it as a
It's
spare
not a
deck.
ULOG, like I mentioned.
And
all
the
of a sudden it
price
was
is
like,
right.
"Hi,
Right, you're getting
Mike."
trackball spinner and all that stuff. And
But all the guys in
and
Super
he's
Gamer
promising
knew
an SBC
prior to,
upgrade.
right? And I pushed it
And
over.
definitely, if we all
Yeah,
order
so
this
the-
thing,
you guys didn't see it, but
I
had a
think out of
special
10,000
fireplace
users of Arcade
screensaver that
users,
actually had a
we'll get
listenable model
500
on
people
it
to
saying
buy
"Hello"
that
to me.
deck.
It was a magical moment.
That should not be that should be a
I don't know if I
non-issue.
recorded it or not. I gotta go check through my
And then we'll
footage.
get that
I'm gonna have the
upgrade.
cameo probably saved somewhere still, too,
Glenn
from
has
old
promised
Oh, I've
he
got the
will
cameo saved.
look
I was
into
no problem with
developing
that.
that
Believe me,
and
I
be
watched
and,
everything
and
before
being
you
able to
did.
switch over
Maybe that's too
No,
much
on the
information.
fly
I have
between
the
the
tracker
arcades
for
mode
that. I definitely
to
have
the
that
SBC
100%.
mode.
So,
And yeah,
this is a difficult
I'm very
question. Screen
looking
photos,
forward to
but a
those
really good
products coming
question
forward.
here.
And I
So
hope you all
this
are
is,
as well.
Complicated. So a lot of people right now are worried. Like, what if a game ever disappears after the server goes offline? Like, pretty much, there's nothing that can be done at that point. Is
yeah. Yeah, I mean, don't lose your games, honestly. You will be hard pressed to lose these games, though, honestly. So unless you break the machine, which is pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't
but
know what the
otherwise,
limit
games
is
aren't
on
really
these
gonna go anywhere.
GRS control
Like,
panel
as long as they're
decks.
installing your system,
I don't know if
it's-
he's
you
put a
can't even
limit
delete
on that
them
or not,
if you're
Glenn.
offline.
So it's
So
better
it'll
to
prompt
not
you,
to
it'll be like,
find
"You're not
out
connected to your account, you can't delete this game." So
by getting in at the
beyond
tail end,
that,
and
you
then
really
maybe
can't
there's a
move them.
cutoff
You
point
can
and
probably
you're
system reset,
SOL.
but even that, I believe. No, you can system reset. That's fair.
Okay,
But-
there goes my web camera. I'm gonna
But
go
yeah,
fix
otherwise that's it. There's nothing. We didn't plan for this, so there's no backup. Something like cloud storage
Oh, I'm
and stuff
still
we would
here,
put in
though.
down the road 100%. But
Give me a
again, that's a
second.
lot of It's a lot of money to run the service for us. So yeah, that's really what happened there. Honestly, I can't just upload all of my game files. No, that is not something that is probably legal for me to do at this point. So no, that's not something I can do, unfortunately. Yeah.
Oh well, here you guys are trying to close things out, SJ Miola, I don't like the final screensaver.
So I'll probably
There we
I'll
go,
probably
I'm back.
honestly this week. So again, I'm the one who has to make those.
Not
or
bad.
teach
Like,
stuff
my
that, so I
camera
have to
went,
come
like,
up, but, like I don't have a lot of time
hour
to
and 50
remake like
minutes,
a
and
really
that's the
fancy
first
one,
time it froze.
unfortunately, right
That's
now.
pretty
So
good.
like that's a big problem. It's really a time constraint for me right now too. And after Wednesday, I won't be able to touch it anyway. So we'll see. I might just change it to like a very generic one that's just like a nice farewell one, or like maybe not even games on it. Maybe I just use like the nice kind of
Oh, yeah, let's talk
background
about
thing
the
that you guys
attract
have
mode,
sitting
yeah.
there a lot of time. I'll probably honestly switch it to that just so there's not even games. But remember, the games themselves do have attract modes in them. You can always just keep those running if you want a certain.
Yeah, I
game's
hope he
attract
does
mode and
something
stuff,
nice
too.
for the
Or
attract
Dragon's
mode.
Lair
Something
one's on there,
really,
Space
really
Ace.
kick
Oh,
butt.
Double Dragon, whatever you want. So
Mystery Coder says he wasn't asking about the game files, asking about attract mode
check my
screensavers.
screensavers. I don't know about that one either, honestly. Too, I could probably technically get those out, but you can always if you have
Yeah,
a way
the
of putting
glass
them
is
on,
worth it. Order it,
you
else
can
you're
run
not
it that
getting
way.
it. Like, this is specific,
feel
unique
like that's
glass
more
for these
spicy for
machines.
that's
Like,
more enticing.
order it now, else you're going to be left out. I'm glad they sent me
but-
two, so I have a backup glass
won't
in
say
something
no, but I'm not
happens to
gonna
this.
say yes
Plus, I
either
still
right now.
kept
Say
the
maybe.
the
Say maybe.
plastic one that it came
I mean,
with.
I
So
don't
I've
know
got
if the
spare parts
screensavers
just
are
in case
licensed.
something happens to the screen
They're not
protector.
really, because they're just like they're recorded game footage that we've recorded on the machine itself. So like anybody could record that. So like it's not a licensing thing there in that case, but like. I don't know.
Is it proprietary information? Like,
Not really, but again, it's kind of a gray area, right? Like it's not
Yeah,
really
because-
like it's
yeah.
not. There's no way you could like damage anything with it. You know, it's not like it's a video, right? There's just nothing there to like as far as rights and stuff. It's not like I'm giving out a movie or something,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Like, does whatever company buy it own your stuff? That's the question
Yeah,
I'm asking.
make the attract mode.
No,
say
again,
Papa
because
Brad's
those are
Gaming
recordings
and,
from the
Brooklyn
machines
Bed is
themselves,
a
because
dick
they have to be
reviews,
recorded in
yeah.
a red aspect ratio, which is recorded directly from the device. So those
No,
are
I
our
don't
recordings.
think they would
so
do something like
if you can
that,
play the game
Brad.
on the machine, you could record that same.
No,
thing.
that's not the question I'm asking.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Wouldn't that be
You-
something
you
though?
Did it
We could
as
all
part of your
dream, right?
work for
Yes.
iArcade. So
yeah,
is
so
it
like, is that proprietary essentially? Not really, but like kind of. It's like again, it's like a gray area. It's like not really.
Yeah.
But
all right? Let's see if we got any good questions here, and then I'll let you go. Here's a different one. Nice simple thank you from iArcade Screensaver would be a cool little send off if possible.
see, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. If I do that.
Yeah,
But
something
again, it's gonna take me
simple.
time to make this. I have to make the video too.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to do
But
too
just-
much. Spend
Just
too
do a
much
quick
time
video
on
and
it.
say thank you,
Just-
everybody. I'm
You
out.
need to have some games on there.
I wish.
P-Dubs, are you late? We've been going for an hour.
And then yeah,
43 minutes now.
maybe
We were
put a
wondering
thank
when
you
were gonna
message
pop
in there. I don't know.
Thank you very much.
It'll be
SJ
interesting.
Moore.
I'll be
I
interesting to see
appreciate
what he
it.
puts.
P-Dubs, this was originally supposed to be P-Dubs' video. And he was just like, nah, you do it. You do it. We were trying to figure out how to do it.
On me off. He was like, "No, we'll put the Michaels
Oh,
together."
you were in
That's
an
fine."
attract mode
Yeah,
once,
so,
Papa Brad. I hope you clip
okay,
that. You
here's a
gotta show
question.
me
I'm gonna
sometime
see-
if that
I'm gonna
if
ask
you
the
have
question
that.
now. There is one other question I did have to ask. So a lot of confusion went around the
Obsidian
gold
doesn't
cap.
want to thank you
And it
in
took
it.
me a while. To
Honestly,
talk about
you're
it,
watching the
because
attract mode
when
right
the
now
gold
on
cap
my
came out,
screen.
I looked
What's
at that
currently
and said,
available.
okay, this is
I
the
think
second
I think
version
what they have right
of
here is good
iArcade.
enough.
This
Honestly.
is replacing the initial version, and that's why everybody got mad. But it kicked into me before I was getting ready for the show, and I was like, oh, so the gold edition was never meant to be the replacement for the original iArcade. It was just an enhanced version for people that wanted a more premium version.
Yeah, that
And-
that literally came about because I called it the 1.4, if you remember, right? I was
Yeah.
like, it's
Yes,
like
let the man speak.
Because again, the board itself again is a different board entirely. We reworked the board so that the audio board is mixed
Think
with the
about it
tonal
as
board.
sort of
It
like
does have,
like
scalar
the
shipping as
PS
well as a couple other
Pro.
things that are hardware-wise that are different.
4
than it.
Pro.
Beyond that, it
That's
has
pretty
the
much
GPU
what the
software,
gold
right?
edition
Otherwise,
kind of was.
but games-wise and stuff,
In a way,
it's the same
if you
processor,
want to
it's the
kind
same
of
amount
think
of RAM,
about what
things
it
like that,
was,
same storage.
it's
It can play the
comparable.
exact
Think
same
of it
games.
like
That's
that.
why it's not a new product, right?
Yeah.
We took a year's worth of feedback from the original machine, and then we put it in that, and that's what it was. Because everybody always bugged us for
And
you know,
I thank you
marquee
for that
and like the
because
speakers were a little bit in your
this
face.
is
too,
a
right there,
beautiful piece of artwork. Like,
you know, the controls a little bit. We changed the weights on the springs.
my
the
God,
4-pound
I'm so
springs
glad I got the
too.
Dead Cells
And
version.
we changed the
I'm
bad
so
tops
glad.
instead of
It's
ball
so
tops.
pretty.
So that kind of, there was a lot of like minor tweaks that people just kept kind of asking us for, and so
Yeah.
that's why we called it like a 1.4, honestly, because it was never meant to be a replacement for your standard edition cab. It was just for
Oh,
new
I hope your
customers,
screen's not on the
or
fridge.
going
My
forward, that's what
screen's
we
still
wanted to
holding
kind
up
of
and
keep
still
it
going strong on my
looking
cabinet.
more towards that, right? So more like a arcade machine than a kind of candy cab, kind of not thing. So yeah.
I don't know what Zero Redux is talking about here, but he gave us a $5 super chat. When John sang Final Countdown, did you die inside? And that was also the point where IRK was finally. What is he talking about? Did John sing Final Countdown at one point?
Yeah, I remember
know,
that.
maybe.
He got on a little live stream on his
Countdown's an awesome
phone
song.
and
What's wrong with Europe?
he
Get
was
it together,
live streaming
man.
his
think it was my
karaoke.
ringtone-
I clipped a
my
little
ringtone
bit of it.
button.
It's pretty
That's an
awesome.
awesome song.
Talking
All
about
right, so
ringtones.
P-Dubs
He
has
he
an
was having a
awesome
good time.
thing here. We watched Independence Day last weekend. Me and my wife did. So I think adding the laughing skull and crossbones.
And you know what was
from when
funny
Jeff
is like
Goldblum
those people in the
man.
uploaded
community, the
virus
ones
into
that are
the
being
alien
negative
ship
in the
in
chat, they were
Independence Day should be
crapping
the
on him
final
for having a
screensaver.
good
I
time
agree
on
with
his
that. I think that's
weekend,
awesome.
his
What
downtime,
if
his
we did
time
that, or
off,
like
and they were
we
telling
mixed
him
it
like,
with
oh,
like
look
the
at
Jurassic
him
Park one too?
being
like,
all
You say the magic
inebriated
word.
and
Just, like,
acting
walking
like a
with the machine.
fool
That's it.
when
We're
he should
done
be
here.
working.
One more thing.
One more thing.
It
Yeah,
was
that's
a
it.
weekend. He was off the clock.
man.
Just like the
That
rest
could be
of
a
it,
follow-up
what we
one.
do on
Let's go.
Yeah,
when
that
we're
could be
on
Like
our
if I could
downtime,
use
we
licensed stuff, I would do that
unwind
honestly too.
and
but yeah.
enjoy ourselves.
All right. Well, I don't think P-Dubs is going to join us. Guys, thank you so much for the questions, everything like that. You guys have stuck with us the whole time. We've been over 300 pretty much the entire time. But Michael does have to get back to work. Unfortunately, with everything he's got going on, he's still got to work. It's just like when I talked about it when my company was shutting down. Got to
I
do
know,
so much
Casey,
work.
you're
But before
messaging
you
me
go,
right now
we got
on
a
Messenger.
$5 super chat here from
I know
Goofy
you're
Foot.
upset.
Michael, why are there two different Space Invader goals, Japanese and English?
The
I don't know why
Japanese
you're
actually
bothering
never
me
made
right
it
now,
to
Casey.
production
You should go spend
officially.
some time
so
with
if
your
you see
family.
one, there is. I think P-Dubs might have the only one, honestly. If not, there's two out there.
Yeah.
That's a collector's item. I told him that when we were switching his control deck too. I was like, yo, if you want to keep the Japanese one, that's it.
I know you're
that was,
probably watching.
Title's requested it to change it to English. I wanted the Japanese as well too. I liked it in Japanese. I was like, we don't need to change this. That was their request, and it's of course it's their skin, so we had to do that. So the actual production models are in English. However, a pre-production board that made it out would be P-Dubs because he was one of our only golds that was a. Oh my gosh, why can't my brain work right now?
Demo. He was the
Thank
only
you.
demo.
It was
from
a
what I
demo.
understand.
Sure, we'll call it that. Yeah, that works too. Yeah, that was one of three, and that was it. So, yeah.
It was. I don't know everybody, but it was P-Dubs.
The thing is,
Glenn
P-Dubs has
one,
got
and I
a
don't know the
rare
other one.
control
I paid
panel.
for mine, but I
The
might have
one
been
that's
somehow.
You
in
paid for
Japanese.
Yours. Yours was a little earlier. I
He's got the
believe.
rarest of
Oh
them.
yeah,
We tried to get
I hope he
harassed
hangs
you
on
guys.
to
I was
that.
like,
I
"Hey,
honestly
can't you
do.
Get mine
Yeah,
out a
I
little
just-
bit earlier.
Like, who's got that?
But
He's the only
oh my
one.
gosh, who was it? I know he asked RGT. I don't think he ever responded to me.
My God, that control
Because he
panel
did
is
the original cap too.
gonna
that's
be
why.
worth so much.
And there was I honestly forget now at this point too. It was people honestly probably outside of the arcade space beyond that too. It was just bigger YouTubers that we paid for it, but like million plus subscribed people and stuff like that too.
You don't know about my other channel.
Oh dang!
Casey, please go spend time with your family. Really.
All right, so yeah, I
Chad,
wanted to
this is
answer,
what I'm
ask
telling
that
you.
question
These
just because,
people,
like,
you
I'm
don't
done.
need to be around
like,
them.
It only dawned on me today, and you
please
probably said it a
unsubscribe
million
to their
times,
channels.
But I feel like the community kind of felt that way too. They were like, "Oh, we're left in the dust because we didn't buy the new iArcade." It wasn't really ever a new
I remember.
iArcade.
Yeah, we had to deal with
That'd
all
be
that.
Old School
Yeah,
Gamer Magazine. Please
And
unsubscribe to that one.
It's funny too because remember about what a year like a couple months ago, honestly too, people were
Your
talking
average
about it. They're like,
gamer.
oh, well,
Unsubscribe
like,
to him.
why would I buy a gold instead of just a standard? And I
Honestly,
was like,
guys,
we tried to explain this so many times.
Nix
when
is
this
trying
was
to
coming
help
out.
you.
I was like, guys, these are the features. These are the features. If you want, they play
These
the
aren't
same
the
games.
people
I
you need
promise
to be
that.
watching.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all
Think
right.
about
Oh,
it like the.
They're explaining it
think
now.
about it like the,
John was
Jedis.
drinking one night
You know, we're the
with his passed
Jedis,
out brother and streamed live.
and they're the
Final
Sith.
Countdown. He took it down, but it was funny.
That's the best
to
way to
see
describe
CEO
it.
get down. Yeah,
They're using
John's
the
a fun
dark
guy.
side of the
I
Force.
don't know what to tell you.
He works hard. He plays hard. He does both.
Thanks for the super chat. I have no problem with that.
I should
I'll
watch
tell
that
you,
movie.
I had
That's a
so
good
much
movie,
fun
Star
at Game
Wars.
and Brew Night. Probably way too much
we
fun,
get to-
honestly.
Really good life lessons you learn.
And I felt
from
so
that one.
bad because I won the thing in the end.
Oh, the marquee.
Yeah, but it went
I
to
wish
my
I
buddy
would have
Mike
got that
Dalton.
Game and Brew.
And
That
I gotta
Game
tell
and
you,
Brew
you guys
marquee is
should
also
check
going to
it
be
out.
worth money,
Poor
guys.
guy,
Collector's
like,
item,
he's
very rare.
devastated. Like no one loves iArcade more than Mike Dalton.
Yeah.
If you go in his house, he actually has pieces of the box cut out.
Yeah, Mike
That's
Dalton.
put on his wall.
Yeah, that's
like,
great.
His art and images and stuff like that. He wanted to send big message of thank you for everything you did. Huge fan.
Oh,
and,
Casey,
he's
please go
heartbroken
spend
this
time
week,
with your
so
family.
Just give you a heads up on that.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Mike Dalton yet, actually, too. But yeah, I think he actually owns one machine
It's
that
probably
I
getting
don't
close to
even
their
think I've
bedtime. You
seen
should
in
go say
person.
goodnight to them and say,
What one
tell
is
them that
that?
you love them.
The Mayhem Brawler one. I
Oh.
never got to see that. Usually we would ship one over here, and I would fiddle around with it, and make sure that the design was fitting properly and stuff like that too. But it was rushed a little fast on that one too, and we were already like in the game at that point. Like we already knew what we were doing, so they made one pre-production in Korea, said it looked good, and then they sent them out after that too. But that's one machine I never actually got to see in person in the office. I'm so mad, but I think that he has one. Right?
Yeah, I've got to go check. I've got to go over because he needs help setting up a send and light gun, so I've got to do that this week.
That's easy.
I got to tell you a funny story. So you remember me and you talked about this. He had the Beach Buggy 2 cab, and there was something messed up about the base. So I harassed
That's
him.
awesome that you
sent
got
him out
the
a
Beach Buddy 2
base.
cab.
So
How rare is
when
that
he got his
one?
Dead Cells iArcade, it never worked. The gold cab, like it just didn't work. Didn't work for like 5 months. Couldn't get it working, and he was like, "Well,
I would have kind of also have
liked
liked the Mayhem Brawler Gold Edition cap. That would have
Yeah, but
looked nice.
what warranties for?
I'm a big fan of that Mayhem Brawler game.
Anyways, I was like, man, I'll take a look at it. And anyways, I was like, oh, do you know your base is not screwed on? He was like, I didn't know that. Whoever put it
Which, by
together
the way,
for him
I'm
didn't
also
screw it
number
on.
one
So I was there like pressing the power
leaderboards for
button.
that.
I changed the power cable. I was like, geez, Mike, I don't know what's going on here.
Check some videos I made on that game. I show some gameplay strategy on how to combo it up and get through the game.
Let me try one more thing.
Hopefully you yourself can achieve a high score.
Always the simplest
Very
thing.
challenging beat 'em up. Highly
5
recommend.
months of it not working just because they didn't plug the deck into the PCB. That's all it was.
It's always, I'm telling you, it's always the simplest things. You're just like, well, yeah. Okay.
So anyways, I got his Dead Cells cab working. He was like, oh, thank God. So I'm out here doing customer support for you guys, free of charge. All right, and Cleveland Gaming Classic says, hey, nerds.
It is.
Hopefully, Michael, you're able to come join us. All right,
I don't
now...
know. It's pretty bad.
almost
Like,
2
yeah,
hours.
I
I'll
agree
let
with
you
you,
go,
Mike Made in
Vaughn. Thank you so
Canada.
much
The
for
live
everything.
chat and
I'm
Michael
sorry I
B
kept
stream
you
is
so long.
horrid.
That's what
I'm
I
glad you
understand.
came
Yeah,
over
that's all.
here
Good.
so you can,
All right.
have a
Well, anyways,
conversation
guys, hopefully you enjoyed
about
the
this video.
conversation. Hopefully you got some answers. Hopefully you had some fun.
Okay, when this is over, when this is over, we'll come back in and talk afterwards. Here.
We'll see. We'll see, right? So
Yeah.
you guys might not have seen the last of me, unfortunately, yet. So.
Sounds like they're wrapping up.
I'm working on something. We'll see. Anyways, guys, thank you very much. Everybody have a wonderful night. This has been Chill and Chat
Absolutely.
with Michael and Michael. Have a good night.
Have a good one.
This takes me a while because I always forget where
yeah,
the intro is.
I've seen the show. I do this all the time too. I'm like, where's my
Oh,
video?
yeah, you do definitely. Oh, right on. Well, thank you, Michael B, for that show, and thank you, Michael Svabek. That was very, very entertaining. All right, so everybody tune into Michael B, the Game Genie. Subscribe to his channel, and yeah, sounds like that's it. So we're gonna switch back over to my other layout here. Oh, right on, guys. And yeah, what we're gonna do, we're gonna add a little bit of music here. Turn that on, and let's see, go over here and do a couple clicks. And let's start that from the beginning. Oh, that's beautiful. Hello, guys. All right, on. All right, coming back to the chat. So, all right, chat, I'm all yours. So, yeah, that's the last thing we touched on was how horrid that chat was, and I agree. Like, every time I was popping up every 2 seconds, just to see what was going on in Michael B's chat, there was always something negative to say.
When people are curious,
With the certain individuals.
Google Ads help you turn that curiosity into customers who are interested in what your business has to offer.
Oh, I'm trying to find my muse here.
Now you can
Trying to shut down my windows here. Okay, perfect. That distraction's gone. Because I'm hearing the YouTube still on my desktop through my ears. So I got that all shut down now. Alright, perfect. Backward Bob says long live iArcade. And you know what? It will. Because as long as we own the cabinet, we'll always have a part of our iArcade in our homes. The company may be gone, but the games that they had available will live on our cabinets forever. And like I said, the cabinet's got HDMI out, and we'll be able to keep streaming from it. Like I said, you stay tuned to our channels here, and the shows that we do, and we'd like the community to become involved with our shows. Post your scores in the chat, talk about the games, even send in some live gameplay of yourself that we could show on the show. If that's what you feel comfortable with doing. Not everybody feels comfortable of coming live online and playing like games online. But if you want to be a part of the shows that way, we definitely put you in a show that way and show off your high score gameplay videos in our shows and talk about your gameplay and break it down. We would actually love to do that. I'd be very interested in doing that, in making a segment on either my show, or I'll talk with my friends Papa Brad and Brooklyn Menace. Subscribe to those channels and maybe see what we could see if we can as an idea for future shows. So that would be pretty awesome. And yeah, made in Canada, we will always keep the games, because like I've said before, it doesn't matter what you're playing the game on. Right, that's irrelevant. It's the games, because you can play the games on anything. It's always been about the games and the gamers. Right. If you don't have, you can't have one without the other. It's just the way it is. Yeah, I can't say that any better. And I firmly believe that. It's always been about the games, because I've played on many different platforms over my years, and games do transfer over to different consoles over the years. So that's why I say that it doesn't matter what you're playing it on. This is what we prefer to play our games on, is an actual arcade machine, and I'm very happy that I got the opportunity to do that through this machine, through the arcade 1-ups and the Games Legend products that were made available. I never thought that I would ever experience an arcade like I do in my own home arcade, like I did when I was a child. I grew up in a bowling center, and they had an arcade room, a big one, and there were games that would come in and out all the time, and I missed that nostalgia in that environment, because a lot of arcades have closed up shop, especially after the pandemic. Nobody wants to keep these machines around, because everybody's playing games on their mobile phones. Nobody really puts money into these arcade machines anymore if they're out and about. And they're just slowly just disappearing the way of the dinosaur. That's why video game preservation is very important, especially when over time the actual hardware and stuff goes away. Then all that artwork, time and effort, spent by the people that made these games is lost, and they don't get enjoyed the way they intended to be enjoyed in the future. So definitely, I'm a big advocate of video game, conserving video game history. So it's all in our best interest to help support that in any way we can. Absolutely. And going back to the chat, John G. Riptide Renegade, worth it if online play still works. John G, yes. Yes, it'll still work, because that server is handled by the developers themselves. So just like when you launch the game, you'll be sent to the servers of the game developer, and you'll be linking up with, you'll be linked up with that. So that's fantastic. And yeah, that's what you're gonna do. I think it's that game, and the Bash Bowling, and what else? What's the other online game that's available? I can't think of it. That doesn't require. Oh yes, the Bomb Squad. Those 3 games require the server, and yeah, that's the only 3 that you're gonna be able to play beyond this week. So they're still going to be online with the cabinet, just those 3 games. And then what we got here? Backward Bob. End up seeing okay. Riptide should be kept working, as Michael said. Yeah, that is true. Backward Bob. You've been buying arcades for 18 years, but our arcade was special. Yeah, it stood out. And like I said in the beginning, if they would have just stuck solely with the indie developers, because the price point of getting licenses for the game would have been small, and they could have got a huge quantity of that, but you had to get somebody on board that would actually tell you what good games are and what good games are not to have on there. You needed to. I'm not saying that's me. I'm saying you should have an individual like that should have been brought on to consult them on that. What games should be on the arcade? I firmly believe that right from the get-go. Hindsight now that I see what the games list was when it first was launched, because remember I came in last year when I bought my cabinet, so I wasn't familiar with what was all on it at launch, but you know what I mean. But even still, there was a good portion of games that were subpar, that you just don't have any interest in playing. I'm not going to mention any of those games because there's no point in doing that, but we all know what games those are. And then what we got here, yeah, I agree. My arcade was the most played cabinet in my house, and it still kind of is right now, next to my At Games Legends pinball. From time to time I'll go over the 1-ups, but lately it has been my arcade 1-up. My At Games Legends Ultimate's been off for a while. I've just been kind of bouncing between this cabinet and the pinball right now. I did do the Buy Stuff arcade mod for the Ridge Racer, and I played a little bit of that with Mario Kart. I'll go back into going through all the racing games on that cart, and I'll probably do some streams with that, the racing, going into the future. Those will be some fun streams to catch. I'm going to have to test some of these games out and make sure they work. 'Cause some of the games, the controller configurations are not set up in the emulator that they used for that gaming box. Anyway, we'll check that out. What we got here? Yeah, Arcade Talk Star Wars review. Welcome to the show. John G. Bash Bowling won't show up my name, and I can't create rooms. Yeah, there are games where they had issues with people's usernames popping up. I know Wizard of Wars was a big one. It would show up no name for a lot of people. And I remember when I bought my gold edition and I had my OG and my gold cabinet, it was showing up one of my cabinets as no name, which would be the gold cabinet. I actually had to contact Arcade and get them to register both cabinets under my username. That's what I had to go do. And they did say to contact them to get that straightened out with your username, but I believe at this point it's not going to really matter when the server's shut down. So if Donut Dodo has its own leaderboards and its own server, that'll be interesting. We'll have to check when the servers go down on Arcade if that is true, if you still have leaderboard access to that game. So keep an eye on that. And then we're going to keep going down here. Omega, yo, Arcade Talk, yeah. Shout out to Omega 4th, welcome to the stream. And yes, you know, I can provide good feedback of games. That's a good point, Papa Brad. I've been playing video games since I was 4 years old. Back in the 80s. I was born in 81 in the fall. Right? And by the time I started playing video games, my neighbors bought their Nintendo Entertainment System, and they had Atari with like 50 games or whatnot, and the peripherals and whatnot for that. And they sold it to my parents very cheap, and that became my first home console system at 4 years of age. I think maybe 4 or 5. I was a very young lad, and yeah, I'm trying to remember what my point was for this. Oh yeah, the game. So it goes that far back for my video game knowledge. I've played games from that console all the way up through Nintendo, Sega Genesis. I played some Sega Master System, Game Boy, the original Game Boy when it came out, Game Boy SP, which is sort of like the advanced. I played that. I played some of the handhelds, Vita, PSP. I played some Commodore games, PC games, back in the day. nothing in recent memory because I've been a console gamer. So I've played all the consoles from, Nintendo, GameCube, Super Nintendo, N64, Wii, Switch, now PlayStation from 1 all the way up through 5. I've played some Xbox games. I did try to buy an Xbox and see how that worked out way back when. I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to stick with Sony. Just because of the gaming licenses they had at the time. They had the games I was into, so I stuck with that company. But anyway, that's another conversation. And then I'm into the VR, played the PlayStation VR, MetaQuest VR, and yeah, all these arcade games. Like, I have so much video game knowledge in this brain. I've seen them all. I've seen them all, essentially. So pretty much, I have the eye, and my background is in quality assurance, for the company that I work for, and I can transfer those skills over to the video game. I can look at a video game and I can break. That's how I'm good at video games, because I can break it down in my mind's eye, and just takes a little bit to learn the controls of a game, get your muscle memory going, and then learn the mechanics of the game, enemy movements, all that stuff, and then you're off to the races, getting through the game. And it's weird because I always felt like nobody wanted to play video games with me growing up because I always beat them at stuff all the time. And I never thought of myself as a video game wizard growing up, because I'm like, you don't think you're that special, you know what I mean? And it's just amazing to actually start realizing that that's one of the good things about the community, is you get to be able to share the experience with the other gamers, test your mettle against them and see how you match up against the other people, and it's all in good fun competition. That's something I really enjoy, and I'd like to do going forward. I miss the competitions. So we're gonna go back to the chat. Yeah, Wizard of Wars, I believe they did patch it. I did update that one. I made sure I went through and updated all my games, so I believe, yeah, they did do a patch where you can actually enter your name now instead of using the username from iArcade. I think that's the case. I think that's the case for that. Before online released, I was able to link them. That's interesting. Yeah, John G, about the browser thing. Yeah. And then, yeah, Papa Brad. Yeah, I agree with the next statement. Right after that, I'm going through the chat, so kind of know where I'm at. Certain things I'm going to read, certain things I'm not going to read. So anyway, but yeah, I'm there. Where are we going? Oh, guys, you're moving the chat on my phone here. Yes, I do quality assurance. All right, that moved up on me. Before online released. Yeah, there was it was about, I believe it was the guys at Bash Bowling's talking about Tank Bash, saying you gotta be careful, it might break your machine. That's what that is there, John G. He did put a post in the community talking about that game, because he is aware what's happening with Mystery Encoder and all that. And then yeah, it was amazing working with the devs, Papa Brad. The 2 videos I have on my channel of Heavy Metal Titans, if you haven't checked them out, go check them out. It's pretty much turned into a live QA session with the lead programmer, Renzo, as I play through the original version of Heavy Metal Titans for iArcade, and then the first update patch for the iArcade. You know what? Time flies when you're having fun. I gave them 7 hours of my time, and it was worth everything for that time. and I appreciate it. It was fun hanging out with them and just chilling in the chat. They're a great group of guys, and I definitely look forward to continued friendship with these guys going forward. And I really appreciate Zhang for taking the time to do that voice over for that game. He mentions my name in the game, and the guys at Swashbuck Gaming put me in the credits. I'm so thankful for that. This is the second game I've had my name in lights. I did do some work with the guys over at what was it, DreamWorks Studio? No, not DreamWorks. Forgive me for forgetting the studio's name. I wish I had the top of my head, but the studio that was behind Death Horizon Reloaded for the Quest. It originally launched on the Quest. You can still play it on the Meta Quest 2 as well. It's on the Meta Quest store, and it was a zombie shoot 'em up, right? Jump scare shoot 'em up, survival type game where you have to go around and find your ammunition. Ammunition was limited, so you had to be careful with your shots. You just couldn't run and gun type thing, and they were having a hard time balancing the game out because I played through it. And I ended up getting this insane top score that nobody could touch for months and months and months. And I got on their Discord and I got talking to the lead developer and just talking about what was working, what wasn't working in the game, if there was any glitches as I was playing. And they were taking all that feedback. And they were making the game better. They did, because the game initially started with the first chapter. And then they made some more chapters of the game. What I think they went in the wrong direction, and this goes back to not listening to the right people and getting bad advice. What happened was during the time in the development of the game, because it was an ongoing development of the game, right? They had a roadmap that they were following. And when Saints and Sinners came out, that was what was the problem. When Saints and Sinners come out, great game. But what ended up happening was people were playing that game when it came out, and then they were coming back into the Discord, and telling them, hey, make Death Horizon Reloaded with melee weapons. Put melee weapons in there, and kind of make it like, that you can hit these zombies with melee. And the reasoning being is because they wanted to make this game like another game. The community that was in the Discord, and there was a small minority group of people's voice that was saying, hey, make it like that, and the developers listened to that and actually not sticking to their roadmap and finishing the game in the way they envisioned it to be. Because I remember I went away from the game and then I came back and I started playing it after they added melee weapons, and it was one of the worst things that they could have done. It did not balance the game properly, because that was one of the elements of the game that made that game very good, was the jump scare, the fear of running out of ammo, not knowing where it is when you go forth, and the new weapons, and just throwing hordes and hordes of zombies at you. So it had that fear factor of the game, and that's what it had going for it. And so what happened is, if you're introducing melee weapons and all that, you're unbalancing the game for one, because now where you've put all the ammo, you're not using it if you're using melee weapons, so you're going to end up having all this ammo in the game, so it just completely unbalances the game. You got to think about all this stuff, right, and not just add it to the game when it wasn't part of your plan. Like, it completely unbalanced the game, and it didn't make it fun. It changed the whole atmosphere of the game, and from what it was intended to be, in my opinion. And also on a programming aspect of it, you're putting all these objects that are program movable on the game, which is taking memory away from other things. You know what I mean? Maybe you can't have as many zombies on the screen because it's taking up memory to have all this melee stuff. So you got to totally change things around in the game. Pardon me. I need a sip of water because I've been talking a lot. But that's just an example. If you don't listen to the good advice, right? I really wish they wouldn't have put melee weapons in the game and they would have just kept on with their vision. But it is what it is. You can only give advice. It's up to the other person whether or not they want to take it, right? That's just how life goes. But yeah, but it was awesome. Point being is because I helped them on that, they put me in the credits. It's my first time I had my name in lights, and they also sent me swag. They gave me a Death Horizon T-shirt. I'm not wearing it now, but they gave me stickers. No, you can't buy those stickers in stores. And I worked with the devs on that game too, Totally VR Baseball. I joined their Discord and I gave them QA feedback about their game, and they sent me some stickers as a thank you. And yeah, see, I do give good advice, and I'm very glad the people at Totally VR Baseball, the devs over there, listen to some of my good advice. And I really wish they would bring back the selectable pitches back in the game, the curveballs and all that. I really did enjoy that in one of the beta builds before. It's still not in the main build. I did play it recently, and you just throw the ball like normally, and there's no pitch selection. And please bring that back. It had a lot going for it. You guys were in the right direction with that. I love the way the game's going now. They're not going to hear this stream unless somebody sends it to them. But I really appreciate what they did, because they did add more to reasoning to playing. They did add a new arcade mode, going through the journey of going through the different stadiums and playing the different teams, and then you earn coins to unlock the aesthetics of your character, like haircuts, sunglasses, that kind of thing. So it brings the replay value to the game. They were heading in the right direction, and I hope they're still tweaking and developing that game, because it's almost there to be a finished product. Just bring that pitch selection back, and hopefully we can get the player base back to play an actual baseball game, because wouldn't that be fun playing 9v9 baseball in VR? It's fun. We're going to go back to the chat. I'm going to get caught up into the chat. My mind-eye fails me every time with games. Yeah, I know. It does get hectic sometimes, and that's all in the game design. And yeah, it is lonely at the top, Goofy Foot. It really is when you're on the top of leaderboards. It really is. Some games won't update Space Invaders and Powers of Hex. Obsidian, what you do, if the download's in queue, cancel it. What you should do is uninstall the game. Once it uninstalls through the app, go into your library, or sorry, your uninstalled games list, and then just reinstall it, and it'll push it to your machine. And then yeah, hi Goofy Foot, and then we're down to Popper Brad. Best thing. Okay, the best thing we could hope for also is Mystery Encoder figures out how to keep the leaderboards going, and imagine if we can get the online back. So that's what I also mentioned earlier in my stream. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. If he can make something like that happen, that I don't see that as a bad thing. If anything, that's community building, to bring all that stuff back. And if he's able to do that in a way where it's legal and all that stuff, we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. I'm interested, because that's one of the things that made the arcade great, was the leaderboards. I think we all are guilty of like waking up and maybe even before work, just popping the machine on and checking the leaderboards and seeing if somebody beat your score the day before, kind of thing, And it overheats the motherboard. Not too sure what that means about that comment. Yeah, we already talked about the reinstalling the game. Hey Rainwater, how's it going? Welcome to the stream, buddy. Okay, I'm caught up with the chat now, guys. So yeah, a lot to take in here over the last, was it 4 days now since that announcement on Friday? Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, that's what I'm saying. There's nothing to be sad about. Like, Michael's moving on. He seems to be excited on his new adventure. Zhang's going back to spend some time with his family, which is good while he plans his next move. And we're going to continue gaming like we always do. Because gamers game. And we game on. And yeah, Jeff, yeah, you're commenting. Yeah, we all really hope the leaderboards will get working. If Mystery and Korok can do that. But having said that, though, I don't believe the Facebook community page is going anywhere. It'll still be up and running. So we'll be able to share, like I said, guys, we'll be able to share our high scores and stuff like that. Let's say in the event we can't get on any server to have leaderboards. Like I said, our shows, send us your clips of your high scores and stuff like that, and we can integrate them into the show. There's a way to do the high score thing and compete still with the community. We can make it work, guys, because it's always about the games. We just have to find creative ways to make this work. It was a great novelty to just have that integrated into the system with the leaderboards. Just like At Games has that integrated with the MCAP pinball tournaments. And your scores get uploaded automatically to that tournament thing, as well as the servers, online leaderboards for At Games. Like it's a great novelty to have all that stuff, and I'm glad it's going to be missed, absolutely. But we'll find creative ways to make this work, absolutely. And did Michael say where he's working next? He may have brushed over it. Maybe during the time that was happening, I think we were all talking about how nasty the chat was becoming in MichealB's stream. So much so that MichealB actually had to stop his interview with Michael Svabek to tell the chat to calm down. You know what I mean? See, I'm pausing for dramatic effect here because that's what it should be, because like that's kind of ridiculous, no? That doesn't really show very much respect to Michael Svabek, a man who hasn't done anything to anybody. He seems like a very genuine dude, and somebody you'd want to hang out and chill with, right? I wish him all the best going forward. I mean that. It's not goodbye. It's I'll see you next time, man. I hope he keeps in touch, but we all live on this planet together. It's a fishbowl. There's only so many places you can hide, essentially. Oh man. Oh man. All right, what are you guys saying in the chat? I'm gonna get back to you. Goofy was saying screw Facebook. YouTube is getting there also. Exactly, and people used to compete all the way back in the 80s, before the internet, before all that stuff. So, there's always ways to make this work. Community involvement is important. Absolutely. And yeah, Rainwater, it did get that bad. Honestly, if you go replay MichealB's video, and really, Jeff, if you even replay this video that I have, like I put up another layout. You joined late, but I had another layout, and I had a window open in my OBS here, and we were watching MichealB stream live here. So yeah, and I had my another bigger window up above me, which is the window I was sharing for here, so I was able to watch everything up on my second monitor. And yeah, with those individuals, they were not being very respectful, and like I said before, all the super chat money that was given to MichealB, just to say some nasty comments and stuff like that, that money could have been put to better use. You could have donated that. If you're just throwing money away, why don't you donate that to a children's hospital or something? Children's charity foundation, whatever. The money could, my point being is the money could have gone to something much better. You know what I'm saying? The $5.99, the $10, the $20 super chats. You know what I mean? In this economy, and everybody's hurting and stuff like that, you could help out with that kind of money. You know, you can buy an article of clothing and donate it into a clothing bin. You know what I mean? That's another way you could help. That $4.99 could have bought an article of clothing for a child that could have been put in a donation bin and given to a single mother that's raising her kids and can't afford it. You know what I mean? But these guys don't think that way, of their way of thinking. It's unfortunate that they think this way. And these are people that you shouldn't follow. They're not leaders. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. This goes back to that nasty video that they made. All 7 people. And they know who they are. And I'm sure you've all seen that video. It's very ridiculous. I don't know how people can support people like that on their channels. It's condoning their behavior, so it kind of almost makes you in line with their values if you support them. There's more to life than what they're doing. I dropped my arcade coin. I'll find that later. I've got a friend that's suffering from stage 4 lymphoma, cancer right now. Right. He's like a year or 2 older than me. You don't need to feel sorry for me. Feel sorry for him. You don't need to type that stuff in the chat. My point being, at any time something could happen to us right now, all of us. And all this bickering and all this whatever. Life could be cut short. And you're going to spend all your time being negative and hurtful toward people. I can't wrap my head around it. Please, someone explain that to me. You know what I mean? Like I told you, like while you guys are here watching me, Casey's messaging me constantly, like he's enraged. Right? I don't think we dare comment publicly on my stream right now in my live chat, but he's sending me, you know, messenger messages. And you know, they're not nice messages. Like I'm sure you guys have watched their videos. I'm aware that he's called me a racist. I'm aware that, and anybody who knows me and any of you guys know that's the farthest thing through the truth. I work with a variety of individuals where I work. It's a multicultural place. I love people. I work with anybody that has a good attitude and good work ethic. Doesn't matter where you come from. Right. We're all human beings. That's how I go about life. And people should treat you like with respect and dignity. You know what I mean? Get off your high horse. See, this is a good thing about this, because I don't have my chat up on the screen. I can just ignore right? So I'm just going to skip over people in the chat here. So this is great. Alright. Alright. So I also agree, please don't engage with this user in the chat. Everybody in the chat, just ignore them. You guys can engage with me, and we'll continue on going. Let's see, where we are in the chat. Yeah, definitely we wish him the best, Michael Svabek. And, let's see, were people mad at MichealB or Michael S, Rainwater? Well, you know what they were doing. They were trying to hijack the stream and try to ask those gotcha questions. And to really, you know, try to put themselves in a good light if that's what they were trying to do. But they totally just flopped. They kind of made themselves look like, I don't know, I like to use the word clownfish, you know, a fish that's painted up with clown makeup kind of thing. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, because it is a fun train wreck to watch, and just unfortunate that MichealB had to put up with that in his stream. That's disrespectful to MichealB as well. And yeah, we're going down Jeff Rainwater. And yeah, that's the good thing. Some people just do need to be blocked. Cause yeah, I get you. And absolutely, you can't tell people how to spend their money. And that's the one thing that they were trying to do. Like, they're saying, hey, don't spend your money on the GRS deck, spend this, you know, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. You can do you. Absolutely. Those people that are doing that. If they want to go this other route to do what they're going to do with their machine, they can go do that. The Mystery Quarter route that what we're hearing. Everybody has a choice. So. And frankly, I've already explained that. The other reason I'm getting the GRS deck is it's a spare control panel. Who else is making one? The company's bankrupt. If something happens to this control panel here, I'm kind of screwed, right? So it's good to have a backup. And plus, I'm getting all those upgraded controls. So I'll be able to put this panel away in storage, and it's a backup. So I think that's a smart thing to do. So I definitely recommend everybody purchase one, because it's probably going to be a one and done run. And yeah, it's just, that's the other reason why you want to get it, for spare parts. And then right on, John D. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Jealousy does turn in rage. That is like the story as old as time. Arcade talk. I really agree with that. And that's unfortunate that people hold that in their hearts, because all that is just negative. You know, I think we've all experienced that in our lives, and it's just a sickening feeling to carry around with you. You gotta let that go. Absolutely. I do have a great attitude on life, because I've gone through a lot of stuff in my life, and it's giving me perspective, right? And kind of when you get about halfway through your life, you have a lot of time to reflect on things, if you spend the time to think about it. And that's exactly, life is too short, John G, for so much drama. I have enough already, don't need it on YouTube. And I've said this before on my stream on Friday. You go through so much stuff every day on the daily basis. The moments you have to yourself, you don't want to spend dealing with more of what you deal with during the day. Essentially, you want something different. You want to escape. You want to relax. You don't need to watch something that's going to get your blood boiling, kind of thing. You know what I mean? You're in control of all that. You have a choice. Everybody has a choice. You choose you choose what the food that you eat. You choose the drinks that you put in your water. Like I'm choosing water right now, so I'm going to drink that. You have a choice of what clothes to wear. You see where I'm going with this? Exactly. You have a choice what to watch. And I thank everybody that has joined me tonight to watch. I appreciate every single one of you. Absolutely. And, yeah, John G is correct. And then, absolutely. Yeah, and that's a very important. Viewers are important. You want to build that relationship with your viewers. And you treat them just like you treat anybody else. You show them respect and dignity. And my camera froze again. Must be overheating, guys, but at least the I'm gonna fix this real quick. So uno momento, por favor, and I will fix it. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it must be overheating or something. Sometimes I just have to unplug it and plug it back in and restart it. It's great. And yeah, and that's the thing. And, viewer engagement is very, very important. And yeah, I hear you, Jeff, and I'm glad you're listening to the advice I've given you. You choose what you watch. Don't watch the trash content anymore. And just you know what a good advice in life, and what has been told to me, the greatest power you have, especially as a man, is the power to walk away. Turn your back. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. And that's what you do. Because at that point, what are people going to do? Don't have time for you. I'm 42 years old. Right? I don't know how much more time I got left. I want to surround myself with positive people. So when it comes down to the time when I do pass away, I'm going to be happy. You know, because I've surrounded myself with good people. That's how I want to leave this world. All right, so here we go. I know you definitely enjoy that vacation, Rainwater. I saw you're camping, so yeah, definitely have a good time with your family, for sure. Not many opportunities to get away to go camping, but I hope the weather's nice for you out there. And that's a good point, Biggie D. Don't take things on YouTube too seriously. I don't. I'm having fun. Like I started becoming a YouTuber. Just kind of fell into it actually. And I'm really enjoying myself. It's a nice little hobby. I'm not getting paid for anything. You know, I'm not doing this to ooh, guys. I'm getting a message from Squashbug Games. You're gonna hear it here live, and I'm getting tagged on the Facebook post as we speak. All right, we're gonna go pop this in. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, guys, I'm gonna read this post. Keep an eye out for the final hot fix version 2.0.0.8 and future release of Heavy Metal Titans. Or feature release. I think he mistyped here. Okay, and feature release. Okay, I understand. Okay, I'm sorry. I just can't read this properly. And the feature release of Heavy Metal Titan. So I think the verbiage he's using here, the feature release, probably indicates that this is the last update. I would put my money on that. Based on how he's verbing it, I think that's the case. All thanks to Michael Jerome Svabek and iArcade supporting developers, and yours truly, Jeff Bidner. I get a shout out, guys. That's fantastic. For helping find last minute bugs and easy changes to help improve the gameplay experience. This is a short list of the fixes we've been working on since yesterday. Just finished tonight after playtesting. So they've already playtested it. They added a small settings menu to play all music in the game. So you're going to have like almost like a jukebox mode within the game for the in-game music. So that's going to be awesome. And then you're going to have music that didn't make the final cut. So you're going to get... So this might not be available on the Steam version, guys. So we might get unique music, unreleased music that... Oh my god, that's going to make this game even more valuable on this cabinet, guys. But I'm going to keep reading. Let's go. And I'm going to get back to the chat because I don't have it on my phone right now because I'm reading this. Alright, this is awesome. Here we go. Added the toggle to swap walk and run toggle for instant prone. So it's taken away from the joystick. The control, which is good. They say it's way better. I suggested that to them. And yeah, the game, the way they designed it, that's how it should be. You should have a toggle for crouch as a button and not have it as a control as the joystick. So that's awesome. What we got here? And yeah, you do that in the settings menu to change that option for your controls. But you can still play it the regular way, since the tutorial explains it all. If you choose the swap, the individual special will be hold reverse shoot, then tap forward, then tap the forward shot button. So that's going to be some slight variations, and I think he said the tutorial will explain all that with the changes. Here we go. And then the activating Prince Malcolm in the game will also be the same. With the configuration control update. Then when you beat the game after the credits, you are taken back to the main menu, which is another thing that I suggested them, so you don't have to keep rebooting the game if you want to go back into the tutorial or read the character bios, or if online is available after it. Online is available right now. But after the iArcade server shut down, I don't know if Squashbug Games are going to take over that. But that quality of life improvement after you beat the game to go back into the main menu selection to be able to choose online mode right after is good. That's a good addition to the game. Otherwise, you have to press menu and go back into the arcade menu and reload the game again to go back into that interface. So that's good that they did that. And then fix the issue where I somehow deleted all the coins. Some enemies in level 1-1. Yeah, oh, my camera quit again. But yeah, that kind of felt like that. Like it felt like there was a lot of coins missing where they should have been. A lot of open air areas. So he accidentally deleted those. So that kind of explains that. My mic is still working, but the capture card is not. So just give me 1 second to fix this. I'm getting there. Give me a second. Yeah, here we go. We're back again. Alright, perfect. I'm going to keep reading. I'm coming back to the chat, guys. In a minute here. There we go. And had to revert back to the last... Alright, so fixed issue where I somehow delete all the coins and some enemies in 1-1. Had to revert back to last committed on that level. Added indicators to buildings that teleport on 1-1. Made tracking missile great again. There was one weapon in the game that was just garbage, that purple tracking missile. it was not effective in certain situations, the gameplay, and sometimes the enemy was overpowering you and you were losing lives. And sometimes there wasn't another power-up to switch weapons available, so it kind of handcuffed you and forced you to kind of lose lives because the enemy firepower was just too much for that gun because it takes so long to pop off a shot and it doesn't pass through enemies. So that was the biggest problem with that weapon. So I'm glad they made it great again. Faster, much faster, they said. Added wall to the end of 1-1 where axes were. If you ever played the game, at the end of the last building before the boss, at the top there was these axes that were at the top of the building that were out of place for the level. It didn't look like it belonged there. It was supposed to be part of the castle level, these swinging axes, and they just kind of used it as a barrier on the top of a building to prevent you from jumping into the boss area on the first boss. And I told him that shouldn't be there. You could have like done something else and put like a taller building there to prevent the player from jumping into that area, because this totally looks out of place. Yeah, so it kind of takes you out of the environment of where you actually are on the the levels in the city, and then you have this. It just totally looks out of place, and it totally breaks the immersion of the game. And then what else did they do here? Added a Papa Brad shout out. Papa Brad, if you're in the guys, if you're listening to this, they added a Papa Brad shout out, added a Steps Gaming shout out, and added a Brooklyn Menace shout out. Guys, I messaged you in the later, man, in the chat, man. I'm gonna screenshot this. Take a screenshot. Oh boy, I can't wait to see that, guys. And then what did they do? Changing the spinning blades in the game to red so you can see them better. That was one of the things I suggested, because they have it the gray on gray. It's hard to pick it up, like especially if you're focused on something else on the screen and as you're moving, that's like at a corner of your eye essentially, and you don't pick up the color contrast. I find I kept walking into this stuff and taking unnecessary damage because it was hard to see. You kind of have to be a little bit fair to the player in some cases with your game design, because you want the player to get through the game. You want to give them some challenge, but you don't want to be so cruel to them, right? You know what I mean? And then move coins so you can get them on the fall in 1-3, and that's the other thing I suggested to them, is when you fall down this pit in 1-3, it's in the programming and the mathematical equation, I believe, because when you start falling, it's initial fall speed, and then there's an equation that'll increase the velocity of the fall speed, and it just kept increasing. So what ends up happening is when you fall down this long pit, your character picks up so much speed that it bottoms out off the screen, and you can't even see your character anymore. And the purpose of falling down this pit, and he's put a bunch of coins that you're supposed to collect, and you're supposed to maneuver your character as you're going down this pit to collect them. But if you're falling too fast, for one, you can't maneuver left to right quickly because you're falling so fast, for one. Two, you can't even see your character to do so. So that was a big error in the formula for that. So they went and corrected the fall speed when your equation. So that should look a little bit better. And they made the Renzo tank boss a little bit harder, because we did play it on the first update, and it was a little too easy. It was hard to begin with on the first version of it, and then we made it a little easier on the second one. So hopefully the third one, it balances it out and makes it a fair fight essentially between the computer and the player. And then we're going to Glenn's boss is harder. Not ridiculous, but you can use a strategy to beat him, and I recommended that because on the second build the flames didn't go through from the dragon. I told him you can have the flames go through the barriers and stuff like that, and he said like why would we do that? And I'm like, because I said when it comes to bosses, the bosses can break the rules. You know what I mean? Because they're bosses. You can make them do whatever they want, essentially, in a video game. Just don't make them like just the regular run-of-the-mill enemies that you get leading up to the boss. Make them follow rules. But when it comes to boss, the boss can bend and or break a few rules in some cases, depending on what you're going for in game design. And then what we got here? And then the Renzo tank, because the Renzo tank was getting picked up by the platforms on that boss fight, so that no longer happens, so that is fixed. Fixed the weird transport issue at the top of the castle in 3.1, added a checkpoint where it takes you to the Phoenix fight. Speed of players in Wild West now much faster. On World 3.2, it has better contrast of floor colors, so you could pick up the items. Because you fly on the back of one of these birds, and the color palette they use for that level is very hard to pick things up because the color contrast was so close. So I suggest a color palette swap in certain cases for that level. So hopefully that one looks a little better next time we go in, so you can actually find the hostages in the arcade machine a little bit easier. It was very hard to pick it up in that playthrough. And spikes show on the base on 3.1. When you get into the castle with the red carpet, you can't see where the spikes come up. That's something that was overlooked in it's out of place from the first levels of the game, where you actually see the outline box of the spikes that come up. That wasn't consistent across the whole game. So when you got to level 3.3, there was no way of knowing until you actually stopped and actually seen the spikes come out of the ground to actually know where they are. As once they retracted, it would just look like there was nothing there. So you got to be fair to the player in that instance, and change that. And then, oh my God, he did so much. Like, I'm just listing off everything that he did here. And then he says, lastly, enjoy, and we'll post the update when it's live. So this is coming very, very quick. Oh, this is awesome. I'm coming back to the chat, guys. Sorry for keeping you waiting here. Just give me a second to reload my video. My gosh. Okay, I'm gonna get caught up in the chat. You guys have probably been just absorbing all this information. I gotta scroll back. My God, you guys were chatting a lot. Here we go. Alright, here we go. My God, I gotta scroll all the way back here. Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. Pardon me, guys. I totally lost my bookmark here in the chat. That was a long Facebook post to read. My gosh, Renzo, you've outdid yourself. I really am looking forward to playing this next build, and I think it's going to be what we're looking for. From the sounds of things, I'm really interested in playing the next update. I can't wait for it to be pushed to our machines going forward. Absolutely. Okay, I think I found my place here. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah, the great attitude on life. I think that's where we were. And John G's correct. Oh my God, I'm so far behind. And oh yeah, here we are. Yeah, Biggie D. Yeah, we got all those big titles today from Mini City Games. It was very generous of the developer to go ahead and do that. So I was able to pick up a bunch of the In-City games that I had not already purchased already. I did support this developer and bought a few games from them, which I did enjoy. He's got a future. In-City games, they definitely have a future in video game development and design. I can see his potential. He just needs some guidance. I think he's one person developing games or something like that. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's just himself making the games. I think if he brought somebody in that he trusts to help just go over what he's doing and help guide him in the right direction with his game development, I'm sure he can make some really good games because I see the potential there from what he's put out already, and some of the enjoyment I've already had with some of his games. Yeah, I definitely see it. And then yeah, we talked about that, Jeff Rainwater. Yeah, not iArcade has made. See, I gotta correct everybody when they say iArcade made the games for free. No, the developers asked iArcade to make their games free on the store. That was the developer's choice. So I'll have to correct you there. And then here we go. Oh yeah, now it is. Yeah, there we go. As we talked about, you're not at home enjoying your camping trip. Jeez, I'm so far behind. And there you go. Absolutely, we're gonna keep going. Yeah, we talked about that. The seriously, Biggie D, not talk. I'm getting caught up, guys. I'm gonna be right there. Yeah, watch for the snakes, Rainwater, when you're out there camping. He had a coyote run into him the other day. He was telling me. So I'm glad he's okay there. I've seen some coyotes on my way to work in the morning. I think that one time on my way to work, there was one standing in the middle of the road. Don't ask me what he was doing. But middle of the road. What time was it? It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. Just standing there. Mind his own business. Middle of the road. And this is in the city, mind you. And then, pardon me. Oh, man. Pardon me, I've been talking so much. My throat. All right. Yeah, if the patch is live for Heavy Metal Titans, I'm definitely going to check it out when I get off stream. And my capture card keeps freezing again. I love this thing when it overheats. I'm just glad this... Yeah, a few seconds to fix. But anyway, then we're going to go back down here. So Biggie D, your question is the update ready? It's soon. Soon, it's going to be ready soon. I'm going to say it's probably going to be something maybe pushed overnight, or we're going to see it sometime tomorrow, for sure. That update, and it's probably the final one because tomorrow's Tuesday. It takes a lot of work, because what they have to do is they took my feedback. He was actually changing things like while I was talking to him. Like he spent 7 hours with me in total, Renzo, and he was working while he was watching me, right? So he was doing all of that. It takes time to make all these changes. Then you have to go through and test it yourself on your end. Then you have to go and get the build ready and then submit it to iArcade to then put it on this update as an update on the store and get it pushed to your machines. It's all a process and it takes time. And it seems like the quickest they've done it is like a day and a half turnaround for that. So yeah, we're running out of time for updates. So this is probably going to be the last update for Heavy Metal Titans for iArcade. I really hope, because I wasn't planning on doing having it turn into a QA session, right? He just decided to pop in my stream, right? Because I was probably one of the first guys that were playing it, because they released it overnight. Like right after we were done the Friday night arcade show at like 2:30 in the morning, and I went to bed. Like they pushed that overnight, because it wasn't available at that time. It was while we were sleeping. So I was probably the first persons to actually get a video up on YouTube, and he was really wanted to see what the game looked like, and somebody else playing it and hear some feedback. And it just ended up turning into a QA session. And I was happy to do it. I wasn't actually planning on showing off the whole game. I was just going to show some levels and be like, hey, whatever, just like a review. But because he was in the chat there, I kind of sensed that he really wanted feedback. So I just like, you know what, I'll sit here and I'll just get through the game. Took 4 hours for the first time, but we got through it. All right, John G, have a good night. I'm sure you're gone already. I'm getting caught up in the chat. we'll see you on the next one, brother. And you're welcome, Papa Brad. I'm glad I was of some help to these guys. And I'm looking forward to working with these guys in the future. There's talk of Heavy Metal Titans 2. You know, so if that comes to fruition, I might be a part of that project. So we'll see what happens there. And then, yeah, so grateful. Oh yeah, I'm getting right down. Oh yeah, all the shoutouts. I got to see the shoutouts, Brad. I'm going to talk to you off stream, and I'm going to get offline here soon once I get caught up in the chat, because I think we've talked about everything. So I'm going to get caught up here. Yeah. So yeah, I'm caught up now. We're talking about the in-city games and everything, and you know what? I'm so proud of all you guys. I'm proud of you, Steps. I'm proud of you, Papa Brad. I'm proud of you, Brooklyn. You know, you don't get this honor lightly, getting a personal shout out in the game. They watch our shows, and they're appreciative of what we're doing, because we're bringing the community together. These guys at Squash Bug Games are a great bunch of guys. They really are. They've got hearts of gold, and I really appreciate them. I really do. It's not every day you get your name in lights. You know what I mean? Everybody wants their name in lights. It's like a bucket list thing. You know what I mean? I've been fortunate enough. This is the second time I've had my name in lights on a video game. It's pretty awesome. You know, it is. I hope I can continue to be part of more projects, because that is my passion in life. And it's something I'd love to do on the side. You know, freelance. And maybe, you know, maybe in time, maybe I'll actually get paid to do that stuff. Who knows? Opportunities are the most important thing. And I'm glad to get given opportunities, and I'll do the best I can. It's up to the people that ask for my help, what they want to do with me afterwards. If they want to pay me, they want to throw me swag, they want to do whatever, that's up to them. I'm just here to help. I'm a helpful person. And all my friends know that. The ones that know me, I'm a very good person to talk to, good advice. Got a good head on my shoulders. So anyway, in closing, because yeah, it's getting late and everybody should be getting off to bed and going to work, especially if you're on the East Coast, because it's like 12:06 a.m. I'm on vacation, so my sleep schedule is pretty loose. That's kind of why I'm streaming this late tonight, and this is not a normal thing. I decided to come on and just chill with you guys. I've been doing a lot of gameplay videos and stuff like that. I thought maybe, hey, let's just do a watch, especially because it's Micheal Svabek, because it's gonna be the last time we're gonna see him, probably in this kind of way. And yeah, it was a great way to say goodbye. And that's kind of how that stream should have went with MichealB's chat. Everybody should have, like everybody should have been appreciative of all the efforts of Micheal Svabek. It's just too bad that got interrupted. So anyway, everybody will sleep on that tonight, and but yeah, absolutely. I just really hope the this drama just exactly. I've turned my back to it. Right. Absolutely. Because I don't need that negativity in my life. Absolutely. So, everybody have a great night. And, yeah, we're going to see you on some future shows. The great thing about me is, like, I'll pop on whenever I feel like it. You get short notice. whether or not when you want to catch me. I think that's one of the good things about me. I don't have a schedule. I'll just do whenever I want, really. So, hope to see you guys when I pop up, because I do appreciate you. But I don't like to commit myself. That's one of the reasons why I do pop-up streams like this. I don't like to commit a time, because stuff in life always happens. So usually I'll know if something won't interrupt me. So like I'll be like, I can give people a half an hour notice, and then I'm like, I can set up, and then boom, away I go. But I'm not going to be like days in advance, because like, you know, some stuff comes up, and like I don't have to put out a thing like, oh guys, I got to cancel my stream tonight. Just that takes the work out of it, right? You know, I don't have to make that post. Right, exactly. But yeah, come join me on my channel, Nick's Reviews. Definitely, we go over gaming content. I break games down and help you see through the developer's eyes what they're trying to do to you, and try to come up with strategies to outwit the programmers, right, and the game designers. So that's my jam. And I also like to just playing casually with everybody in the community and you know what, hopefully if this channel takes off and I start getting monetized, I might look into actually investing into the StreamYard and getting the show to look a little bit more professional and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, I do this for fun. So I know how much time I should be investing into this, so I don't feel bad, you know, that I'm putting all this time in videos and not getting, you know, the return on investment, essentially. You know what I mean? You do this casually. I do it kind of basic, because then that way it's good up here. You know, if video doesn't do well, I'm not going to be like, you know what, I spent all this time on it. You know, you know what I mean? I'm not going to do that to myself. So that's why I like to do a lot of live streams, because of that. It's easy. Takes one less step, because if I do a private video, I have to record the video, and then I have to kind of encode it and then upload it to YouTube, and depending on the length of the video, it takes a long time to do, and then it takes forever to get posted. Whereas if I just live stream right now, it's instant. It's right there. Boom. It takes so much time away from doing this where you can spend it more on the content, essentially, which is great. So you'll usually be catching me on live streams most of the time. But anyway, and then the next person is definitely Steps Gaming and Papa Brad and Brooklyn, my favorite people that I game with a lot. Be sure to check out their channels, Steps Gaming. He's got over 2,000 subscribers right now, and Papa Brad's Gaming, he's got over 2,000 subs right now. They both make some really good video game content. Definitely check them out. And I have to leave Brooklyn Menace for last, because the work that this guy does, and especially on short notice, this guy is a wizard in the editing room. When he puts his videos together, you can tell that he knows what he is doing. He enjoys what he's doing, passionate about what he does, and it shows in the work that he produces. Same with you, Papa Brad and Steps. You guys all do great work, and I can only hope to be a fraction of that, use a fraction of that skill to be as good as what you guys do with the editing and all that, slapping that stuff together. So I appreciate you all for that. And I'm definitely looking forward to spending some time with you on the future shows up in the upcoming days this week. And yeah, I think on that note, we're gonna send you out. Have a very good night, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one. I had a really good time tonight. Thank you for joining me. Take care, guys.
Get a little bit of gas. of gasoline.